Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? It's JTheGreat here. Got the boy Bats here in the building as well.
Is
Um,
there?
yeah, we're here today. We haven't done this in a long time, but we're gonna be reacting to some videos here today. As you guys can tell by the screen, the first one will be Six's video, Minato versus Hashirama. I thought it was interesting. It's been discussed for a long time. I'm definitely curious to hear his thoughts on it as well. Then we're gonna hit up Virtue's video. I think it was Four Tails versus Isakatsuki member, Four Tail Naruto rather. And then for entertainment, I mean, I'm gonna be objective regardless. We're actually gonna be reacting to a Noodles debate. Noodles versus D1. Apparently they debated recently. This year. I didn't know that. What's going on, Shadow, Terion? But yeah, we're gonna react to that. By the way, if you guys want, we'll react to other stuff. If someone donates, let us know if you want us to react to a certain video. We'll do that here today. These are just
Is
the videos that me
there?
and Batman came up with. Well, but if you guys want us to react to something, let us know. We'll give you, a fair price. Nothing crazy. Probably $1 per
Oh yeah.
minute, whatever. But we're gonna get straight into it, folks. Make sure if you haven't already, please hit the like button if you haven't already. It's really
A
appreciated.
fucking like button, maybe.
Hit that goddamn like button, folks, and feel free to ask questions as we go on. We wanted to give you guys some entertainment. As far as reacting to stuff, it's been a long time. But yeah, we wanted to give you guys that, and you guys should be able to see the screen here. Let me make sure. Oh, actually, wait, wrong tab. Sorry, guys. You guys should be able to see the screen here. Let me double check. So this is the sixth video. Let me know if you guys could hear it right. Make sure it's like right in the middle.
Let me
Let me
get
see what
some
you
real
guys are
quick.
saying.
One moment, bro.
Oh, you good. Let me read what you guys are saying. I'm gonna use my phone for the chat, so don't disrupt the screen you guys are seeing. But I hope you guys are doing well, though. Hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, what's going on, Shadow, Torres, Terion? I appreciate you guys. Another piece of news while we wait for Batman. As far as non-anime related content, I made a community post. I'm gonna be doing that on a separate channel, J Talks. I've had it for a while. If you're not already subscribed, please feel free to go do that. It's in the description down below. All my non-anime related stuff, like comic books, combat sports, for the most part, is gonna be over there. I'm still gonna post some non-anime related content here once in a while, but yeah. We're gonna wait for Batman real quick and we'll get started here. But again, if you guys want us to react to something else, just let us know. Give you a fair price, and we'll go ahead and do that. Let's wait for Batman real quick. Feel free to ask stuff, folks. I think Batman went to grab something. We'll begin when he gets back here. But yeah, it's been a long time since we've reacted to some content for you folks, especially live here. So let's see what the people have to say. What's Six? Shout out to Six. Shout out to Virtue. Shout out those other guys. Make great content. Subscribe to them if you haven't already. But yeah, this should be a good one, folks, for sure. I think Batman still hasn't returned. Second here.
All right. Hey. All right. My bad. I'm back.
Oh, you're good. All right,
Yep.
folks. Here we go. First video, Six on Minato versus Hashirama. Let's see what he says here. Let me know if you guys could hear it and if you guys see the screen right. Here we go.
I've been talking about Hashirama versus Minato for
Six
a long
versus
time,
Jaja
an
debate.
extremely
Oh,
long
damn.
time. In fact, just recently, my first debate on the topic had its 4-year-old birthday, and I've had many more since that one.
I've never seen that
That
debate.
being said, I don't care to claim to be
Yeah,
an
me either.
expert at talking
Damn.
about it, but you could probably guess that I've heard any and everything that there really is to say about it. So I want to approach this video from a different angle than I would normally approach a versus battle,
All right.
where I talk about one character's stats and then how the other character compares in the same stat. Instead, I'm going to give arguments for why each character would win this specific matchup. With that being the case, this video
Doing
does
good,
not
Shadow.
have
Appreciate
to
it,
be
brother.
watched in chronological order, nor is it meant to be. You can click chapters below and skip to any one of the arguments and hear how they would play out.
All
Every
right.
section is going to be a different argument, and these arguments won't build off of each other, or at least I don't plan on that happening. If it does, I'll be
Got
sure
the
to
one shot in
mention it.
there.
I can't say I do videos like this often, but I do have a ton of other versus battle content you can watch on my channel after this one
Yeah.
and in the future, so consider subscribing if you're interested.
Real quick though, Jay.
We're gonna start this
Yeah.
off with a
One thing I will say on this, like really fucking quickly, like if we're talking about like a live Hokage Minato or even Joning, like I don't think this is a topic at all. That's just me
Yeah.
personally. What's because I am very curious to see where he goes and how he plays the angle. Because this is either going to be some crazy highball scaling that may have some logic or rational, whatever, blah blah, but it's just clearly like, nah, that's not it.
Yeah.
Or the only thing that could at least be understandable, because eventually, like for me, wise future reference, I'm gonna be having like a video related to Minato, of why I think he's way more stronger in the war arc for XYZ reasons, whatever. But if it's war arc Minato, where he has KCM and
Oh yeah, it's
technically
a different
Sage Mode as well,
conversation.
I think
Yeah.
that is more understand exactly. Like
Yeah.
I think that's a whole different conversation. I think that's very way more understandable. And I could be wrong, but I think with that you can look and be able to formulate arguments or certain
Oh
things, and
yeah.
even because he has a really lot of good, impressive speed feats in the war arc. Because in the war arc, when he's brought back, even though he is an Edo, but it's not like a drastic Edo nerf like the fucking Konoha Crush. It's only they're close to the original power. It's stated, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
close is a big fucking deal. So there's that. Yes, there's an Edo nerf, but where I think where it makes up is him having the fucking Nine Tails, and
Oh
we
yeah, for
know
sure.
there are tons of statements and even including feats that when you have the power of the Nine Tails within you, that technically is an amp to even your base stats and all that itself as well. You know,
Yeah.
what's it called? So like, if it's that, then I could be more understanding. But because when he comes to that battlefield, bro, he's only in base. And he was way ahead of all the
Yeah,
motherfuckers, you
speed
know, like
wise. Yeah, exactly.
so.
I would say this as
Yeah.
well. Like if like Batman said, if it is Warlock and there's Edo included, this conversation is much different for sure. But
Yeah.
as far as a live Minato, the best way to like argue in favor of him over Hashirama is using the one shot and creating like theoretical highballs for him,
Yeah.
using like the Nine Tails sort of feat, if you want to use that, him in the astral plane with the Rasengan. Just really highballing him to like an extreme amount, giving him benefits of the doubt there as well. How fatigued he was, etc. Him getting impaled by V2 Kushina. That's like the best way to really wank like him to an extremely high degree. But that's not Six's style, so I doubt he'll do that. But yeah, we'll have to see what he says here. Definitely interested. Let's see, folks.
Minato, since in this matchup he is not the favored winner, and I think that's because Hashirama, regardless of who you think wins in the end, simply looks more impressive than Minato,
Yeah.
and the story, in most people's interpretation, presents him as stronger. But what if I told you this wasn't always the case though? Back in part 1, there's a few pieces of evidence that suggest, at least in the beginning, that Minato was meant to be stronger of, if not
Okay.
the strongest among the Hokage. Before I even present the information, I want to let it be known immediately that most of this information is out of date now, either due to
Agreed.
retcons or inconsistencies.
Yeah.
Most of
It's
this
part
Yeah.
stuff
one
isn't
retcons,
true
man.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
first bit here comes from the anime version of the fight between Hashirama and Tobirama versus Hiruzen. After taking a hit directly to the face, Hiruzen claims that Hashirama has the same mighty strength as always. This implies a few things. For one, that at least in the anime originally, the Edo Tensei was not supposed to reduce the power of the person that was summoned. And two, it implies that Hiruzen, who is weaker now, as stated, would have been stronger than Hashirama 10 years ago. That will become important in just a bit. Just keep a mental note of that. The most common rebuttal to this is that Hiruzen would only know about Hashirama's strength from training or sparring with him, since they obviously wouldn't be enemies meeting on the battlefield. And if that's the case, then Hashirama was probably holding back on him. My main issue with this is just that because they were sparring doesn't mean they couldn't be giving it their all. When the session was happening, of course. Implications for this same thing in the manga are lacking, however. The closest you get to someone even making a statement similar is one of the onlooking Anbu watching the fight, commenting that the battle is a high-level ninjutsu contest and that this is what it takes to be Hokage.
All right.
Orochimaru says something similar when it comes to Tobirama summoning a bit of water from just inside his mouth, saying that him being able to do that shows why he was named Hokage. Anyway, how exactly does Minato fit into all of this?
Yeah.
According to Jiraiya, everybody paled in comparison to Minato. That
Yep.
should include both himself and Hiruzen at the time, and this was 12 or 13 years ago at that point, when Hiruzen claimed to be able to beat Orochimaru 10 years ago and took a punch from Hashirama in the same battle while he was likely mentally nerfed. Jiraiya's statement is backed up at the end of the manga with the weekly editor's statement from chapter 238, saying that Minato has unparalleled strength and that everyone is setting off to try and get to his level. This stuff makes me think back and wonder if Hiruzen really didn't want that third coffin raised because he didn't want to fight 3 Hokage, or did he just not think he could handle Minato himself?
Right.
I don't think these two interpretations are mutually exclusive or anything. It could be the case that both of these things are true. He both couldn't handle Minato and couldn't fight all three Hokage. In fact, him not being able to fight Minato or handle him would mean he couldn't fight all three Hokage because Minato would just be there. Anyway,
Right.
there's the outdated information on why Minato was originally presented as maybe stronger than Hashirama. The scale of power was just different. But
I'll
when
say
Minato
this, Jay.
and
Like
Tobirama,
freaking with the Minato thing, I think either or is perfectly fine, regardless
Right.
however you perceive that. But it would just be absolutely like that'd be GG if that happened because he's not fighting
Yeah, three
Orochimaru.
Hokage.
Like three of the same level of hit. Come on, but
Yeah.
he's cooked, and they could technically use their abilities. Now we do know Tobirama was restricted from using all his abilities because he didn't even do Flying Raijin, so we know
Right,
that. Now for Minato, it is interesting whether if that would be the same case or not. Maybe Minato could still be able to because he was technically way more better than Tobirama with Flying Raijin, so maybe he would be the exception. And if that's the case, Hiruzen's just fucking. He can't even be touched. You know what I mean? Like you
Nah.
saw the hand-to-hand combat, so he's cooked. Then like
Yeah.
there's so many reasons why he'd be fucked. So
Yeah,
like it's just
I'd say prior. I think it was stated like prior to like the retcons. Hiruzen was stated to be the strongest Hokage, I believe. He was the strongest Hokage this period at that point in time, prior to Part 2, and where that dynamic seemed to have changed. Also, yeah, like Six said, it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. It could be the case that Minato is superior, and he just can't handle three Hokage. Like those are both true. That's fine as well. Another theory as to why perhaps he didn't want Minato, like Batman said, to be reincarnated or reanimated is Flying Raijin. That's a huge problem and a very useful hacks in this situation, especially combating multiple opponents on that level that are around like his level, give or take. So that's another theory as to why maybe he didn't want that guy reanimated.
like Jay, what is Hiruzen doing to the Rising God, bro?
Yeah,
Because he's probably whipping that out. Like
Yeah.
what's he doing? He's cooked. Like he could deal with taijutsu, Fanetsu. He could use his ninjutsu to combat against like wood style and water. But like not a Rising God. Like what?
Yeah, exactly. And it does seem that Hashirama wasn't meant to be the top, the top shinobi in comparison to the other Hokage in Part 1. But like Six said, it's outdated. Once you get to Part 2, especially the war arc, it's quite clear who the superior is. It's heavily implied. It's still a conversation though, even for live Minato. But again, it just seems Hashirama is a superior. Someone said base to base is a legitimately good fight. Minato scales to full Kurama, and the data book says Kurama is equal to Hashirama's wood golem. I'd have to see that statement. And Minato's faster. You have to prove that too. I don't know if Minato's faster than Hashirama as far as physical speed. Maybe Flying Raijin, but physical speed, I have to prove that. Base to base isn't a fight at all. Minato doesn't scale to Kurama in any way, and only clashed with a heavily restricted Kurama. Oh, you mean in the one shot? Yeah, he was restricted because of the chains. You're right about that. Base Hashirama versus Casey Minato is a good debate, though. Yeah, that's more of a debate, in my opinion. I agree with that. Yeah, it does seem that Part 1 had different sort of perhaps implications made in comparison to Part 2. Like perhaps Kisame. Yeah, like an example, Kisame being below the Sannin, and like Minato being the strongest Hokage. Hiruzen being the strongest Hokage at that point.
Bro, he had Kakashi being the strongest in the beginning, bro.
Yeah, the very beginning. So it's very clear that Kishimoto, it was a very metamorphosis process for his narrative as the narrative went on. Part 1, Kakashi was the guy. Hiruzen was the strongest Hokage. Minato was like, he was super scary to Hiruzen. And then you get to Part 2, Kisame slamming full power V2 killer V, and Hiruzen is just like, oh yeah, Hashirama, you're that guy. Everyone's scared of him. His own brother. It's like everything changes.
That's the
in Part
problem
2.
with the data books too, Jay. Like, and that's another thing. Like, why we always say like the data books are really contingent based upon like the current times of when Naruto was being released, and you name it. It was just to build up the hype value. You know what I mean? To have the audience hooked in. You name it. So like, the people don't understand that. Like, and as time went on, the data books has kept changing and and then or contradicted by feats and statements and blah blah. So like, people like really need to understand that like the data books do not, like, especially all the ones you start getting in Part 1.
Part 1,
that it's just strictly to get the audience hooked in, or it was the initial plan at first for scaling, but then things change, yada yada. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because if we even take the statement in the beginning of Hiruzen being the strongest Kage, right? Like out of all the nations, whatever you name it, and then you bring Shippuden into play, and we see all the stuff with
Raikage.
Minato, Raikage, you name it. Come
Yeah.
on, but you tell me Raikage V2 is losing to old
Old
man
man
Hiruzen,
Hiruzen.
or Yellow Minato, Yellow Flash Minato is losing to Hiruzen. Come on, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, again, like we have to be really careful on how we analyze and how we do things, whatever, because that's just not how it works. They did the same shit with Obito, with Itachi, and with even Sasuke as well. You know, so
Exactly. Yeah.
you have to understand, like, that's just how it went from beginning to end. So
Yeah, and here's the thing about data books when considering them as like evidence or substantiations. There are multiple factors to consider. Like Batman said, the time period in which these data book statements were specifically made. That's one. The literality of them. Like, is it hyperbolic? Is it not? Like, for example, the Sharingan seeing all things in the universe. Are you really going to use that as a legitimate piece of evidence and take that at face value and consider it hyper literal and not hyperbolic? Um, Also, like the changes in the narrative as well. It's the data books at that point in time in which they are made. Even then, you got to take them with a grain of salt due to the hyperbolic nature of some of the statements. The obsolescence of statements as well. Like for example, Sasuke being stated to be able to take up the Akatsuki, his power, like it surpasses the Akatsuki when he's happy. But then in that literal moment, he doesn't even kill Toby. The reason that's made is because we didn't know at that point in time when that statement was created that Toby was Obito and that Obito was actually cracked. We didn't know that at that point in time. So, the data book, it actually deceived us into thinking, oh, Sasuke's that fucking guy. He killed this guy in one shot. When in reality, Toby, or Obito, literally just instantly phased through it. So these sort of factors need to be taken into consideration when deciding what data book statements should be used. So generally, that needs to be the sort of analysis process you take when you are trying to decide what is a good piece of evidence. But then again, people disingenuously use data books all the time. The Sharingan statement, the Part One statements, etc. So there's many
that's
factors.
why you have to be just aware, and then and that's why a lot of devil's advocate comes into place as well. But people get like really biased for their characters that they really like, or even takes, you know what I mean, or even
Yeah,
to do shock value, right?
exactly.
And then
Yeah,
they'll come out and be like, oh, well, has to be the case because of this data book, and it's like they just ignore everything else,
yeah. It's
So
like a complete dismissal of context. That happens a lot. So a lot of the times, yeah, like you said, intentionally it happens. Like certain people in this community do that all the time.
yeah.
Um, Someone said doesn't scale to him in any way, but dealt with him twice. All right. So firstly, he didn't deal with Kurama
Wait, what?
physically. He dealt with him with hacks because they're talking about how Kurama scales to Minato like physically. He dealt with him with hacks,
From
flying right from
what
when Obito attacked the
one
leaf.
shot? Are they talking about the one shot or the incident?
Yeah, I think they're talking about the incident. I think
Okay, well, if it's the incident, what's it called? He does like
flying
the
Raijin.
body flicker, yeah, and
Yeah,
like flying Raijin and stuff. Like he does the flying Raijin barrier, which is hacks. He does like his
the
teleportation speed, which that's fine. That's the reason, right? Because
yeah
it's Minato. I
the
don't see why
seal.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah, the seal, like, but the majority of it was just him having to use his speed
his
or
hacks.
to
Yeah,
do hacks. Now, never ever is this man like going blow
like
for blow
boxing.
or
Yeah, no, no,
catching his claw or fucking there's none of that. So I don't know what you
no,
guys
no,
are
no,
getting
no.
like where he just scales like completely to physical. Like you could say
Yeah,
speed to react and
yeah,
move
speed.
because
Yeah,
he saves Kushina, but
it's essentially yeah, like the style makes the
yeah.
fight. Yeah,
So
like style makes the fight.
yeah.
And the astral plane. I mean, I made a video in this when the one shot came out. And the astral plane, the power scaling is a little different. I think I used like a Killer Bee Naruto scan to substantiate that. Like the scaling in the astral plane doesn't scale to like the characters in the real world to an extent.
Yeah.
Um, so we could use that, and it is impressive that he like stalemated Bijimon in the astral plane, but that's not necessarily equivalent to like the real world. Firstly, secondly, yeah, in the incident when he's in his prime and he's stronger, he's not like Batman said. He's not boxing fucking toe to toe with fucking Kurama.
And
He's using hacks.
he would need a Rasengan. Like
Yeah, he would
if
need
we're
a
just being
Rasengan.
logical,
Yeah,
he's not fucking
punching it
Raikage
and
with a
shit.
lightning
No.
armor and going
Yeah, no,
blow
no.
for blow with the eight tails type shit. Like you like the people always forget. You needed special conditions in order to brawl Biju like that. So one of
Yeah,
them, as an example, being a Jinjuriki yourself, right? Or
yeah,
two, having lightning armor. Wow, what do you know? He did special condition because Raikage or the third just couldn't do it normally. Or having a like hacks. So like
Hacks, yeah.
Hashirama was wood style or the suppression, and then Madara was the shotting gun,
Shotting
and so
gun,
or
yeah.
using his Susano. You know, so like there was always special conditions to fight. Especially the Nine Tails, right? Or the
Yeah,
Eight
the
Tails. You
strongest
know what I mean? As
tails.
for all the
Yeah.
other BG, whatever, because we know like Datara shitted on the Three Tails with his bombs. We don't know really what bomb, but you get what I mean? But
Yeah.
overall, like if we're talking about Nine Tails and Eight Tails, the two that are really big deal motherfuckers, okay? Like it's just as simple as that. No, but not even Hashirama or Madara was physically doing shit,
Yeah, hell
which
no.
is tied you
No.
to whatever. So you
Yeah.
telling me Minato's doing that? Get the fuck out of here.
No.
He would need
Very.
the Rasengan or his fucking flying Raijin hack shit, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's
So
that simple. And so far, Six is, he's doing a good job here. So let's continue.
yeah.
Spitting this puddle on the ground is grounds for him becoming Hokage. Imagine what these same people would say if they saw Kisame literally turn a desert into a new ocean on the map while he was
Yeah.
at 30% of his chakra against Team Guy.
True, yeah.
Let's talk about a pro Hashirama argument similar to the one we
All right.
just went over for Minato, but simply more updated. Hashirama's portrayal is almost god tier when it comes to Naruto Shippuden. In some of the early chapters of Part 2, Orochimaru claims that Hashirama used wood release to gain total control over the tailed beast. Later in Shippuden, Kabuto says that Hashirama's power is seen like a fairy tale and compares him to the Sage of Six Paths in that regard. Look at Minato and Hashirama's respective fights for the village. Minato against Obito and Kurama, then look at Hashirama versus Madara and Kurama. Obito might be a bit more difficult to Hashirama to deal with, and that's a big might there. But the scale is on two completely different levels. Hashirama and Madara made an entire new landmark with their battle.
Correct, yeah.
Minato dealt with two Biju bombs from Kurama. Hashirama caught one with his golem hand and deflected one with his Rashomon gates. But that's before Madara showed the ability to rapid fire them like a machine.
Yeah, fun fact, the golem hand thing that Hashirama did, that's that size of a Biju bomb was the same in the astral plane. That Minato clashed with the incomplete Rasengan, by the way. Now, there's all the stuff that Jay already mentioned, but if you guys didn't know that, there's that too. So it is pretty cool. But one thing I do agree with Six is getting at here. There is constant narrative reflections of Minato technically doing very similar things Hashirama is doing in like scenarios or context wise, but the difference is it was Obito as the alleged Madara, right? While Hashirama fought the actual Madara,
legitimate Madara.
So
yeah, exactly, and definitely a difference in caliber for sure.
Peerless, although this one is a bit outdated since Data Book 4 says him and Madara were equals. Remember when Hashirama made Tobirama calm down when the Edo Hokage were summoned? Well, after he flexed his chakra, Minato was impressed as well. Obviously, being impressed doesn't inherently mean someone else is stronger than you, but it's something to think about.
Yeah.
Up against the Ten Tails, Hashirama does a lot more than the other Hokage. He helps with the barrier, but then he adds on his own deity gates to help. He then makes clones to make holes in the barrier to let people attack the Ten Tails, and then he stacks another deity gate on top of that one, which is the strongest one so far. When they're about to fight Jubito, Hashirama once again talks as if he's the strongest, saying, to be blunt, this guy is even stronger than me.
Yep.
That also doesn't have to mean much, but Jubito is also clearly stronger than Minato, and you got to keep in mind.
Jay, Tobirama reacted in Speed Blitz Jubito.
Oh my god! Imagine he's like, Tobirama is actually the strongest. He reacted. He's the only one that reacted. Like, come on, dude.
Literally, bro.
Come on,
fuck it. Hey, I will say this. I will say this really quick too. Minato, like while in base. And I'm talking about Warwick, mind you, and obviously with the KCM, and if he stacks Sage 1, it's even better. But that Minato, I do think he is over base Hashirama, but just like what we get from the beginning of the war, whatever, blah, blah. But I'm telling you right now, if Hashirama whips out Sage 1, which he can do immediately, that is, at that point, I'm more than likely leaning on Hashirama, even with the KCM and shit, and you name it.
Yeah.
So
that's a significant tool if he's able to do that.
Like, it's a crazy amp that he had. Like, to be fair, Minato could go Sage mode as well, and because he has the KCM 2 thing as well, technically you could argue the same for Naruto, where Naruto said, "Oh, I'm getting nature energy even faster because of the KCM mode, and stuff." So you could technically argue the same, right? But I don't know, like Hashirama's Sage mode was ridiculous. So in compared to everybody, it was such a big leap. Like it was insane, dude.
Yeah.
So like bro, he beat up the full Nine Tails and Madara. Like it was nothing with Sage mode.
Yeah, literally, it's a significant tool if you had access to that. What's going on, Sage? What's going on, brother? It's My guy.
Barely trying to prove anything here. All I'm saying here is that Hashirama is kind of portrayed to just be that guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Minato's sealing jutsu is the next thing we'll touch on for his arguments. This argument was made mainly because while Minato is in the story a bunch, he doesn't really have any good attack potency feats. Sure, he blows off Obito's arm, but that makes him, stronger than Suigetsu, I guess, and a rival for Carnin paper bombs. You might be thinking that Minato clashed with Kurama's Biju Bomb in the latest one-shot released in 2023, and while he did, there are circumstances surrounding it that don't make it that simple. For one, the Biju Bomb is incomplete. You can see clearly on the page that the bomb hadn't gotten done forming, meaning it wasn't in max power.
Yeah, definitely.
And on top of that, Kushina had Kurama wrapped in chains that are known to suppress chakra.
Correct.
Immediately, that stops Minato from getting up to the level of the full-powered Nine-Tails Biju Bomb. Minato does have his fair share of nerfs as well against Kurama, however.
Yeah, he's fatigued.
Kurama had pierced Minato's chest with his hand at this point, and Kurama's V2 chakra, when he's evil, acts like a poison. On top of that, Minato is inside the mental scape when he lets off his Rasengan, and it's a Rasengan before it's perfected. And probably the most important thing to mention is this is 9 or 10 years before Minato reaches his peak of power.
Yep.
The issue, however, is that Minato is at the very least implied to be weaker than Sage Mode Naruto. Not only does Paul say that Naruto surpassed his predecessors, Naruto is better at Sage Mode than Minato or Jiraiya, and has the Rasen Shuriken on top of that, which was already something Minato had never been able to accomplish. And Naruto can put Senjutsu chakra into it now. There is this one statement from the volume summary claiming that Minato has power rivaling the Rasen Shuriken, but this is a complete mistranslation. Actually, calling it a mistranslation implies Viz just somewhat messed up, but no, they completely made up their own summary for this volume instead of what was originally written in Japanese. I'll put the two on screen for you to read if you just want to pause.
Yeah, I'll just say this. Either way, I guess it doesn't really matter because, I mean, I think we all agree that the Minato's Rasen Shuriken doesn't compare in AP to Naruto's. His Rasengan doesn't compare to Naruto's Rasen Shuriken. So.
Yeah, and another thing too, though, Jay, like they were saying like Naruto's Rasen Shuriken was like rivaling like the power of like something with like Minato, whatever, blah blah, you name it. Yeah. But that's fine. It could like rival, but that could be like to many things, like many things. You know what I mean? Like that's his interpretation territory. We don't really know necessarily what. But you know, so like, but either way, it's still more impressive for Minato because the fact that like, let's say you even think it's the Rasengan or whatever. Like, okay, the fact is Rasengan could even rival or be competitive to the Rasen Shuriken, like that's pretty fucking impressive.
That's pretty impressive.
Minato can do big ass Rasengans too, like really big ones,
giant ball,
and which is more power. While Naruto, it's always been normal size, at least through Shippuden, until he gets to like that KCM2 and and like and all that stuff. So yeah,
it's still impressive. I mean, fucking like how 14, 15, he's like fucking stalemating at fucking Tail Beast. That's still pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, but no, Rasen Shuriken, that'd probably be like if he did like a normal output, I would agree. But if he does like a max or just even focus his chakra control with it, because we know Minato takes that all day compared to Naruto. Honestly, it's I wouldn't see why he wouldn't be able to surpass even a Rasen Shuriken, because he's that strong, you know. But,
yeah, it's definitely an interesting comparison.
Never stated to rival Naruto's Rasen Shuriken. Whether or not you think that was downplay is irrelevant because the statement was simply made up in the first place. I know this is a crazy amount of setup for just one win con, but trust me, the explanations are required. Hashirama doesn't have too great of durability feats on top of Minato's relatively unimpressive showings in the area of attack potency. Hashirama can heal really well. We all know that. He can heal the same way Tsunade can, but he can.
Okay, I'm gonna say this really quick. My bad. So I have a feeling he's gonna get into like the whole durability, since he doesn't have durability feats. Therefore, like, he could just get beat up by anybody as long as the attack lands. That I disagree with. If that's what he's gonna be going to, we'll hear him out. Whatever. What's it called? And the reason why is because that's, for one, it's argument of ignorance. Like, all because it's not doesn't mean it's not the case. But two, exactly. And then two, most importantly, the way durability is emphasized in Naruto throughout the entirety of the fucking show is utilizing your chakra to enhance your body. And we've seen plenty of statements, plenty of feats of where ninja do that, whether if it's Kiba with his nose, or if it's ninja doing it to their feet to move faster, the whole nine, whatever, or their whole body as a whole to tank an attack, yada yada, right? So we've seen plenty of instances is of them incorporating chakra into their body to become what they're normally more capable of. Because if they're all just in their human form, anybody's susceptible to anything. It could be a fucking anything, right? A paper cut, whatever, right? Like, bro, like in Boruto, the man's getting hurt by a turtle because he's not in combat mode and focused, right? A turtle bit him and he's like, ow, you know?
Yeah.
But then we see all the other crazy ass feats he's doing, whatever, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Shit's
Then you have
tanking,
Minato where while a lot of shit's going down, whatever, and he's focused on protecting Naruto, a splinter hits like his leg towards the end, right? And he gets cut by Splinter. But yet you see this motherfucker doing a QB bomb Rising Gun clash when he's a fucking kid, and then all these other things, and then slamming a Rising on Obito. We see the big explosion. Clearly, his durability has to be way beyond, because if he's fucking Splinter level, his body would have just fucking blown up, or his bones would have broke from him slamming a Rising on an Obito from the explosion and the recoil. You know, and we also see Science where there's recoil damage as well when it comes to the Chidori Rising Gun clash, etc., or Boruto using the compression Rising Gun. I can go on and on and on. You know, so the way durability works in Naruto is based upon the scaling of the individual's power. Okay,
right.
So if we know where they're like basically remotely at around in the narrative or scaling, whatever, in some regard or degree, their durability has to at least be within that ballpark, right? It's the only thing that makes sense, you know. Like, so it's kind of common sense, and that's what you got. Like imagine Goku. Like, are you gonna sit here and say, oh, Goku's like human level because there's like that one feat where he gets shot off guard or whatever, some shit, you know? But yet when he's clearly focused or whatever, he can do insane shit, right? You know,
fighting gods.
So I feel like, yeah, exactly. So I feel like, I don't know, like there's people just ignore at least that sort of information.
Context.
And whatever, blah blah. And shit, it said Sage is here. You know what, Sage? I give you a challenge, brother. If you're listening to this, I don't think you've done it yet, but maybe make a durability video for Naruto, like how durability works as a whole, and so on and so forth. Because I feel like people don't really understand that, or better yet, it's just not talked about enough.
I agree.
But that's just me personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I'm really say. So even though he technically Six is right, he doesn't technically have durability feats. It's normally him using the wood style to cover himself when the explosions happen, or whatever, blah blah. You name it, right? But at the end of the day, we're talking about the fucking full Nine Tails. Like, you think anybody, you know what I mean, is tanking without like some, come on, like, no. That's why Madara is using Susanoo and Hashira is using one. You know what I mean? Like when we had the 10 Tails, Madara did his Susanoo to protect himself as well. Yada yada, right? So that's all I'm getting at. But if we're talking about them fighting other ninja though in durability, he would definitely have durability, especially if there's like a Rising on explosion or whatever it is, right? Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, I'd say when it comes to durability, there is like this presupposition amongst most in the community that it's stagnant no matter like what situation a shinobi's in. And I agree. I think it's dependent upon the situation at the time. Like you said, fucking Boruto got bit by a fucking turtle and it hurt, but then you see him fucking using a giant ball or Sengon to beat Momoshiki. Like, it's obviously much
Momoshiki,
different.
All this shit.
And,
Exactly.
And if his level of durability really was that, he'd be fucking disintegrated to bits without AP. So it definitely varies depending upon, like you said, chakra, like how much chakra is being integrated perhaps into their body, into their chakra network. It definitely increases it. It's not as simple as, oh, this guy's durability is stagnant and he's Splinter level, and it's that simple.
Here's another example. You see Naruto in 6th path mode, remind you, fighting fucking Shin, and a sword can pierce through, but he was just because he wasn't focused and he was rusty and yada yada. And then later on, you see base Naruto tanking a karma fucking explosion blast to the face by Kawaki.
Literally,
I mean, like, and we saw what he did to like that one. We saw what he did to that one dude that was like, I think it was an outer for Kara or whatever, whatever. But he pulled up, and then like Konohamaru was shitting his pants even with that dude, and he was like the weakest, and Kawaki was just bullying that man while extremely fatigued, but his AP with the karma was insane. So like overall, like again, like durability, it's dependent upon when the ninja is focusing, so on and so forth, and when they're fighting, they demonstrate it throughout all the freaking time. Like if they all had human level durability and so on and so forth, like they'd be cooked.
These battles
so many times then. They wouldn't be possible. Like all the times when Naruto and Sasuke are doing like their taijutsu exchanges, whatever. Like you could even hear the force if you're watching the anime. Like it's come on, bro. It's not that works.
It is definitely analogous to Dragon Ball, like that one statement that Wiz made when he's like, well, when you're not on guard, you're susceptible to much weaker attacks. Like when when Goku gets shot by fucking fodder because he's not on guard, because he's not focused, his keys and being integrated. But when he's on guard, he's fighting god level opponents like fucking Beerus, Jiren, like fucking
That's what
Golden
I'm
Frieza.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely not that simple. There's explanations to it. Physics, like you can apply it, but you got to apply it to a specific situation. You know, it's not as simple as, oh,
Yeah.
his durability is stagnant, so he got bit by a turtle. That means, you know, anything higher would fucking
Now he's turtle
mortally
level.
wound
Yeah.
him.
Now he's fucked. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. So it's definitely not that simple, and it's either, you know, the case is people either don't understand that or they're just intentionally disregarding that to prove a
Being
point.
dishonest, and then they're just
Yeah,
going off like the objective feat that occurred, and then like, oh well, Minato got stabbed by Splitter, so yeah, that means he's Splitter.
literally.
It's like that's so
Yeah.
dishonest.
Yeah, he like at
like,
14, like fucking half dead. He's like stalemating BG bombs. Like, come on, dude.
bro,
It's like,
like, oh, that's like, so what? That's like saying a human being, because you know we can get affected by splinters, right? You know we can
yeah,
get stabbed. That's like us being able to now argue, oh, I guess we can tank a fucking big nuke in your hand using a Rising Gun on impact. You know,
yeah,
we'll be
come on,
fine.
dude. Yeah,
like,
literally, it's
yeah.
it's definitely much more nuanced than people make it for sure. All right, see.
And Madara claims this makes him the ultimate shinobi. It might have gone missed by some, but we actually get to see the type of role this played in Madara and Hashirama's last fight while he was alive. Just a bit of clarification here, Mito Uzumaki, Hashirama's wife, became the first Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails during the fight with Hashirama and Madara. Hashirama managed to get Kurama away from Madara in that fight, and when that happened, Mito came and took the Nine Tails into herself.
Yeah,
In chapter 568, we get a flashback from Kurama's perspective of all the people who have controlled or possessed him over the years. And here you can see Hashirama saying that he can't let Kurama run wild, and he's got a ton of damage on him. Since we know this was done during the fight with Madara, it can be concluded that Madara was the one to actually do this damage. And you can see at the end of the fight, Hashirama still has these wounds. They're just healed to some degree. The forehead marking is there. The mark on his cheek is there. The eye that had been beaten shut or closed to prevent blood from going into it, and the marks from that are still there as well. It makes sense
Yep.
Madara would respect Hashirama's healing so much if it kept Madara from being able to put him down, even with the mass amounts of damage he was piling on. Even in the middle of the fight, Hashirama and Madara have this clash and a giant explosion comes from it, and Hashirama is fine on top of his Shinsu Senju. Did he heal it? Did he tank it? I guess we don't know the truth of that, but you see how this is a bit of a problem. The only other time Hashirama even gets hit with something normal in the manga is when he's in Edo Tensei and Hiruzen blows up his leg. But
Yeah,
we
then it
know
doesn't really
he's
matter. He's
not
an
even
Edo.
close to full power back in part 1, so that doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
Like I said, this is a crazy amount of setup for just one WinCon, and just to refresh everyone's mind, we're talking about Minato's sealing jutsu. Now that we understand why it has to be argued for in place of a Rasengan or something that does actual damage. When it comes to sealing jutsu, Minato excels in this category, not only being able to hold back
Yep.
the full power Nine Tails with the seal, but instantly crafting a seal to separate Obito from Kurama, rebuilding Naruto's 8 sign seal with a simple twist of his wrist while being an almost out of chakra ghost,
Yep.
sniping off half of Kurama using the Reaper Death Seal, and at the same time using it long range where Hiruzen had to get close up, sealing half of Kurama inside of Naruto while being almost out of chakra and on death's door, holding back Kurama while the seal was weakened on Kushina's birthing bed, and being taught the other Uzumaki sealing jutsu by Kushina. Ignoring the feats I just mentioned that are already insane, possessing the Uzumaki sealing jutsu is an insane feat in and of itself.
oh yeah, for sure.
Because the Uzumaki were hunted to extinction because of how strong their sealing jutsu were.
Yep.
Having this in his arsenal makes Minato a giant threat, especially considering the large volumes of chakra he can seal away with it. The common counter to this is Minato saying it's impossible to seal away such a large volume of chakra in reference to full Kurama, but this argument lacks context. I agree that on its own, this statement can be interpreted that way, but let's look beyond this one page and see if that's true.
Okay.
For one, Minato knows Kurama can be sealed all the way because it was sealed inside of Kushina for most of the time that he had known her. And the second thing, which is probably the most important, Minato has barely any chakra left when he says this.
Correct.
And having less chakra is obviously going to affect your ability to perform jutsu.
Yeah.
So can Minato seal away a chakra volume as large as Hashirama's? The answer is a simple yes, he can. For this, we're going to have to compare Hashirama's chakra supply to Kurama's, and doing that is fairly easy. We know that Hashirama has more than, but close to half of
I had to
Kurama's
step away for
chakra
just a
supply.
moment. Did I
And
miss
we know that
anything regarding the
because of
durability stuff or
KCM2
no?
Naruto.
No, he basically moved on, and now he's answering the question of
Okay.
whether or not Minato could theoretically seal Hashirama's chakra like he did Kurama's. So he's like substantiating that right
Okay.
now. Yeah.
After witnessing
Yeah.
Naruto
Okay.
share his chakra with the Alliance, Hashirama comments that he has almost as much chakra as he does.
Yep.
A fairly straightforward statement. Hashirama is saying that he has more chakra. While KCM2 Naruto is Naruto plus Kurama, in the war arc, KCM2 is mostly Kurama.
Yep.
Naruto already had way less chakra than Kurama anyway, but that doesn't even matter for the point I'm about to make. To quickly jog everyone's memory, Naruto ran out of chakra pretty early into the war. He ran out while he was fighting Obito and the other Biju, but Kurama gives him more chakra,
Correct.
obviously so he doesn't, die. And from then, the rest of the arc, Naruto doesn't have his own chakra. It's always Kurama's chakra. Even during the fight against Sasuke, Kurama says that Naruto's chakra had been long drained since the war. Also, you don't regain chakra quickly in Naruto. When shinobi run out of chakra, it normally takes them a couple of days or longer
Yep.
to regain the chakra that they lost.
Yeah, that's true.
Kakashi
Yeah, especially if you're
begged
depleted.
using the
Kurama's
Sharingan
different though.
chakra.
He's the exception,
Wait.
Kurama though,
Oh yeah, for
because
sure.
he can gather, he can mold and gather chakra though.
He can
You
like
know what I mean?
gather
So
from like externally. Yeah,
yeah,
literally.
it's like him doing like sage mode type shit, basically.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
So yeah, and so far Six is spitting on all this. Yeah, he's saying the correct
Oh,
information,
facts.
whatever.
Yeah.
No, I agree, but pretty good.
Yeah, so far really good actually. Really good
Itachi says he
substantiations.
needs to rest after using Tsukuyomi and Amaterasu in one day. You get the picture. Basically, KCM2 Naruto is almost all Kurama. So Hashirama is just a little bit above half Kurama in terms of chakra,
Yep.
and Minato sealed 8 tails of Kurama while being a fading chakra ghost with
Yeah, he did.
ease. He held back full Kurama at 15. He sealed half of Kurama inside Naruto while he was almost dead and out of chakra.
Yep.
And he held back full Kurama again on Kushina's birthing bed. This last one isn't direct, but Hiruzen tells the other shinobi fighting Kurama to just hold off until Minato gets there.
Yep.
If you think
It's
that
true.
means Minato was going to come and body slam Kurama and beat him up, then that's fine. But I think it's more likely Hiruzen is waiting for Minato to seal Kurama so
Agreed.
that they don't lose the Nine Tails. But anyway, that's how Minato could seal Hashirama. If you're wondering where he's going to seal him, it's possible he just seal him inside himself or summon a scroll to put him in. Sealing someone inside yourself.
Yeah, I'll
isn't
say
that
real quick, Jay.
uncommon
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel on this overall, but I would agree that he should be able to seal him.
It's
Um,
yeah, it's
and-
possible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible, and based upon like what he's presented so far, but most importantly, like if the guy can seal the full 9 tails, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
towards the end of the fight, and he's not even at full power either. Like he's really fatigued at that point. I would definitely say he could do it with Hashirama, because
Agreed.
the
Yeah.
full 9 tails would be way more. Because when Hashirama is making the statement of Naruto on it, that was only with half.
That
if
was
I'm
half.
correct.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Not full.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, like, yeah, I would definitely agree he should be able to do it in theory. So
Yeah, I agree. Like,
but I have no problem with that. But the
Yeah.
only issue is if he's even able to get to that point to try to
Yeah, that's the point.
initiate that process. You know,
yeah,
but,
like
yeah.
it's theoretically possible he could, but yeah, the question is, what's the likelihood of that actually happening? Basically, so I agree that it is possible though. It's theoretically possible he could seal him. That's like a possible win con. Whether it's probable, that's different conversation. So
Naruto. Sasuke did it to Orochimaru, and Minato sealed some of both himself and Kushina into Naruto. Funnily enough, Hashirama has a similar sealing argument to Minato. Now, Hashirama doesn't have the type of sealing that can seal you away. He blatantly says he's waiting for other sealing shinobi to do that.
yeah, he does.
But the deity gates are a good sealing jutsu. The only problem is that from what we've seen, they probably do require the target to be stationary. He dropped them first on the Ten Tails, who wasn't moving.
Stationary.
And the other time he used them was on Madara while he was messed up from Naruto's Rasen Shuriken. The gates do just fall from the sky. It's not like they spawn on the opponent. I could imagine it being hard to pin Minato down, especially since he can teleport, but Hashirama has a seal that makes you lose the will to fight, called the head seal. It's still one of the deity gates, and granted, although this thing is 0 for 2 on effectiveness, it's against some pretty strong people like the Ten Tails and like Madara who
Right.
just broke it. I don't imagine you could prove Minato is capable of doing something like that.
Right. Fair enough.
The next one for Hashirama is kind of crazy, at least in my opinion. But Hashirama has a crazy genjutsu called the Bringer of Darkness.
Bringer of Darkness.
I don't know what Minato's genjutsu resistance level is, so I'm not going to assume he could just get past this jutsu. I mean, Hiruzen knows every jutsu in the leaf and is stated to know 100 genjutsu on top of training Minato's
I'd
teacher,
argue that it
who
could
likely
probably be
taught him
really good because Obito's no slouch with genjutsu, and never, not once, did he introduce that as for a win con
Yeah, he
in
never
the
even
fight.
attempted it.
Yeah, like think of it this way: like, why risk and gamble a speed battle when you could just genjutsu, especially if you're similar to your opponent's speed, which that would make it even more beneficial, right?
Yeah.
And then you have all the lore statements of like, in order to combat against an Uchiha, unless you just scale over them, but if you don't and you're similar or there's even above you, it's suicide to fight them because you can't deal with their genjutsu, right? You know, like,
Yeah.
and you would need like a teammate or like someone to get you out, whatever, blah blah. It's explained by Lady Chiyo. So like the fact that he never gets put in genjutsu, looking basically dead in his eyes for the most part. Maybe you could argue he's looking at like at his chest or whatever, and it looks like he's looking at his eyes, but whatever. But either way, like he never gets tagged. Not once. Obito never even like thinks in his head as like a plan or this. Like, so the fact that Obito doesn't, you could technically argue that it wouldn't be possible. That he does have like pretty good resistance. He does know who his sensei is too. You know what I mean? So he has intel on Minato as well, to a degree. So like I feel like it actually is favorable and more probable for Minato to have some level of resistance. You know, and then you can just kind of go off that. Like now to say like he could just deal with like a Tsukiyomi or type shit or Kodo, whatever. I think that's bullshit. Yeah, that's different. But you know,
I think that's almost impossible for most people at least.
But we're talking about Hashirama's genjutsu prowess, which is scaling. So that I don't know, man.
Yeah,
you know, I'm just saying. Like he could probably teleport out. Maybe he can teleport. Like if he gets put in a genjutsu, I could see that happening to counter the genjutsu. But
like, that's what it would seem most probable to me. Yeah, like him just teleporting out of it, probably more than likely.
Yeah.
Let's see what he says.
Release genjutsu, and Hiruzen still couldn't get out of this one. The genjutsu itself is just set up, however. Hashirama can literally change the battlefield in an instant and litter it with poisonous flowers. And if Minato can't see, I don't know how you'd expect him to get out of this one. You could potentially argue that Minato would just throw a kunai far away and teleport away from the genjutsu, since genjutsu are stated to have a range limit on them. But considering Minato won't be able to see and Hashirama can cover the entire battlefield in a wood forest, there's no telling if he'd actually be able to pull that off or not. If you take this battle as happening inside the Naruto verse where Minato and Hashirama just started fighting at some random point in time, however, then Minato could definitely get away from Hashirama because he could just teleport to any of the thousands of kunais and markings he has all over the world.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to thank my buddy Sage for this next.
Hey, shout out to Sage, man.
While I don't personally agree with
shout out
it,
to Sage, brother. If you're still in your
show, Sage is everywhere, bro.
That's my guy,
that man is everywhere. He be teleported out of nowhere to slide through.
Flying Rising.
I'm gonna call him the Flying Rising Kakashi dude, you know?
Literally. He can leave things.
Kakashi with the Flying Rising type shit.
Facts. Leaves it. Minato teleports the bomb away, throws a kunai, and lands before the bomb comes out at the other location.
Yeah.
If Minato can leave things in here, then it should stand to reason he could do the same thing with people and leave them in here if he wants. But even if he can't do that, he can't just leave people in there forever, then he should be able to, like displayed with the Biju bomb, leave them there for at least a little bit before they come out, in which time he can set up a Rasengan or sealing jutsu to have it prepared for when they exit.
That's an interesting theory. Let me just know that one more time.
For at least a little
it's an interesting theory. I've seen like it was a short clip that Sage did.
Yeah, that's a really good theory.
The only thing I will say, a person could be maybe different though, but that's like the only kind of counter you can say. But it's pretty good.
And based on the
interaction, one does move into a subspace and appear at a specific destination.
Leave things inside of the subspace even after
temporarily, right? Yeah.
Minato teleports the bomb away, throws a kunai, and lands before.
Yeah, because there does seem to be a delay. Cause like he'll like leave this over here and he'll go somewhere else. Like there's a delay there almost to an extent. implying like it's left in a subspace. That is an interesting
Bomb
theory for
comes out at
sure.
the other location.
To help
With
Sage
Minato
too, and what Six
convincing
is saying, if you
Yeah.
count the
the last
filler
one for
anime,
Hashirama is likely the most
what
obvious,
Minato
is
does
simply
this to
outlasting
Naruto,
Minato. We know that
when it was Naruto and Sasuke fighting, and then he grabs Naruto and just teleports him, and he slams Naruto into a rock.
Yeah.
So Minato technically does that to a ninja, but it's technically filler. It was during the Infinite Tsukuyomi thing when like of what Tsunade would think of how the world would be if she had everything she wanted, you know. But
Yeah, it's definitely interesting theory, like the idea of where things
yeah,
go when, he's like teleporting them away, like that subspace and that statement that was pulled up. That's a good theory, actually.
Minato has
One of
nowhere
my
near
favorite
as
win
much
cons.
chakra as
Yeah, for sure,
Naruto,
brother.
and that Naruto, even with Kurama, doesn't come close to Hashirama in terms of chakra amount.
Oh, for
Hashirama
sure.
was able to fight Madara for a total of 24 hours and wasn't even breathing hard at the end of it. So the stamina department, he's probably covered.
Yeah,
This is really only an option if you think Minato is too fast for Hashirama to hit, but not fast
right.
enough to blitz Hashirama. So Hashirama is essentially just going to fight on the back foot until Minato inevitably runs out of stamina. I have a few issues personally with
and
arguments
that's
like this
why I
because
think Minato would win too, though. Like that right there, what he said, I kind of feel is like the general consensus of the fight. To where like if we're talking about Warwick Minato, right? Like
Yeah,
sure, yeah, he can be faster, whatever. He's teleporting, or especially if he's at least doing flying Raijin. Like that's definitely granted. If he's teleporting with that, I don't see Hashirama tagging him or nothing. But the problem is his physical speed, right? That's where it gets a little bit, like, like
yeah,
what can he do, whatever. Because the whole issue I find Raijin falls apart is whenever they teleport, yeah, they're basically gods at that point, right?
instantaneous. Yeah,
But yeah. But when they appear though, and they try to then incorporate their physical speed and correlation, now they're getting either bitched or it's fair game, right?
yeah, exactly.
So which is why
Um,
normally Minato's attacking from your blind spot or from behind, etc. Right? So we
yeah,
see that with Madara to Tobirama, we see that with Jubi
exactly.
Madara to Sage with Minato,
Yeah,
etc. So all I'm getting at is like, sure, Minato can be fast, whatever, but eventually he's gonna get gassed out, and all Hashirama has to do is just cover himself with wood style, this, that, whatever, and just prolong. Basically, the inevitable would be prolonged, and then he would just lose, right? Like
exactly.
the only way Minato's really coming on top is if you truly believe KCM to Minato, or maybe even along with a Sage mode fusion, if that could be enough to like get through his wood Buddha shit, a crazy thousand hand statue, and I don't really see that. I really don't,
Yeah, exactly.
um,
The
but yeah,
speed.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
it
let's
mainly
see.
comes down to characters just not reasonably fighting like this. I think if Minato and Hashirama fought and Minato was making no progress at all, he'd just stop fighting. But
Yeah,
if he
probably.
doesn't, this is probably what will end up happening. This becomes a more likely when Khan if Minato decides to teleport away Hashirama styles an arm statue or his wood golem, since those are gigantic, and Minato says teleporting away large objects costs him a lot of chakra.
Correct. Yeah,
So throughout this, I want one thing to become clear. This battle is not the one-sided mess that everyone thinks it is. There are genuinely some decent arguments you could put up for both sides of the debate. And while I think it's obvious to everyone that Hashirama is probably stronger than Minato, that
yep.
doesn't mean Minato can't pull out a win.
Yeah,
And there
it's
are
not
tons of
impossible. It's not
examples of this in
impossible.
the series. Kidomaru almost beat Neji while being weaker than him. Rock
Yep.
Lee was stronger than Gaara,
yeah. I
but
agree
still
with all
lost
this.
in the
I
Yeah,
end.
agree with it. Yeah,
Pain,
that's
while
fine.
being stronger
yeah.
than Jiraiya, literally admits Jiraiya had a chance at beating him. I could go on and on with this, but
Well, he did say if he knew our secret, which means he could have brought help and stuff. But yeah, it's still
the end
agree.
result is
Yeah, and
essentially
the
that
secret was
bad matchups
Nagato.
exist
If
for
he
Yeah,
already knew
Nagato.
Nagato, you know what I mean? Like he would have never fought the path of pain. He would have just
Yeah,
found Nagato. I
and
mean,
he
now I'm
probably
gonna be
wouldn't have went
honest,
alone either.
that'd be even
Yeah,
worse. That'd be a worse ass whooping in my opinion, though,
yeah,
because now you're dealing with Nagato. You know, where he has all the abilities, whatever you name it. Like, good luck.
yeah,
What's it called? But overall, like there's like the only way is like, yeah, if he knew that secret and was trying to exploit that, and then maybe like if he like was hidden, right, and then he does like the frog song on Nagato, and then bam, right now he's dead. You know what I mean? Like I could see that, and that makes more sense as interpretation wise.
I agree.
But
Yeah, I agree with what Six saying
And at
here.
the end of the day, Hashirama is a bad match for Minato in some ways, the
Yeah,
same way Minato is a bad match for Hashirama.
for sure.
That being said, this debate is going to come down to what you value more in terms of portrayal of a character versus what they've actually done or theoretically
Right.
could do. Let me just give a massive example of this that no one can disagree with. I'm sure
Okay.
that everyone agrees 8th Gate Might Guy is stronger than Edo Nagato. right?
Facts.
Right.
But
Yeah.
if they were to fight, Guy would have
Facts.
absolutely no win condition against Nagato.
Right. Yeah. Because
and
Nagato
simply
can't
run
die.
Yeah,
out of
Yeah.
he's an Edo.
chakra from the
Yeah, he's an
Edo
Edo.
Gate, and Nagato would be the winner. Not quite the same as this example, since Hashirama does have a win count on Minato, but so does Minato.
And they're not Edos,
Anyway,
but yeah.
I'm yapping at this point. I
Yeah.
think I've made myself clear. And just to be crystal, I think both of the positions on who wins here are valid.
Fair.
If you
Fair.
value
Yeah.
portrayal more, then go with Hashirama. If you think
Right.
Hashirama could never land the win con, but Minato is more plausible, then go Minato. If you like the video, be sure to leave a like on it.
All
and
right,
subscribe
definitely
to
left
the
a
channel.
like.
Yeah, and honestly, I agree with the conclusion. Like
I
I
agree
do,
too,
I do. Yeah, I fuck with that conclusion. Whatever, that's perfectly fine. And reason I know there's probably some like Minato haters that think he's like trash or weak, whatever, and they're on crack, which is very rare percentage of the Naruto community. But they're
Yeah.
probably all losing their minds with this video. But either way, very reasonable, very understandable.
Definitely.
Like the best thing you could really do for Minato is advocating the speed discrepancy, especially if we're talking about base Hashirama. You know what I mean? But now if Hashirama is just starting in the strongest form, like Sage mode, and then Minato's in his kit, you know, whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's where it gets really, really interesting, and it's along the lines of what Six basically said in a general consensus. And overall, I'm fine with either or, but I will still stand on this that it is way more probable for Hashirama to still come on top. And that's just because of the narrative emphasis and the
narrative.
consistency of that
Yeah.
being reinforced. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure even after Madara saw Minato, he still states only Hashirama can fight him or beat him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So he says that many times, but as for when Minato shows up, I would have to look back at that. But if that is the case, then again, Madara has seen Minato, is, you know, whatever, everything he's done with the 10 tails, you name it, and he still thinks only Hashirama
Yeah.
can
It's the
fuck
only
with
guy
him,
who wanted
you know?
to fight. Yeah.
Yeah,
literally.
that's the only guy too. He didn't give
He didn't give a shit about anybody else. Yeah.
But I do remember this. It's reinforced when Hashirama pulls up. The music starts playing. He's all like hyped and shit. He's like Hashirama, like he's like about
Yeah.
fucking time, you know,
The
whatever.
only guy who wants.
And then like
yeah.
and then Hashirama points his finger and he's like, "Hey, I'll deal with you later, bitch. I gotta fight the 10 tails." You know, like
Yeah, literally.
so like overall, like that's where it starts looking really, really bad again for Minato. The narrative emphasis, the constant reinforcement, the consistency, statement wise, whatever you name it, yada yada yada. I feel like Minato only really shines when it's comparing to base Hashirama, because we do
Right.
know they're all trying to get there as fast as they can. That
Right,
like
yeah.
it's so dishonest to Rat to say why they would be holding back their speed or whatever, blah blah, right? You know, so the fact that Minato does get there way quicker, full conversation, everything he did, right? You know,
Yeah.
I do think that's very impressive. And maybe you could even argue Hashirama could still be relative, but I feel like that's a pretty big gap in speed, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I could see Minato, at least in my view, dealing with base Hashirama. Okay.
Yeah.
So and that's basically where I'm at. But what do you think, Jay?
This is what I'll say.
But-
Yeah. So, firstly, I'll start with, you know, in relation to alive Minato versus, you know, base Hashirama, because it changes in the war for sure. Being an Edo, I'll say, like Batman said, that feat where he arrives like significantly sooner than the rest of the Hokage does matter. Yeah, it's not a combat action, but they are in a hurry. They're all aware that the world's at stake. They're hauling ass. There's no doubt about that. And he gets there significantly sooner, to the point where he's having a conversation with his son and Sakura, and they're not even there yet. That's significant.
Tobirama and my bad real quick, but Tobirama and Hashirama were like sweating, like, oh shit, Madara, he's like, oh yeah, we gotta get there. They're all
Yeah.
like freaking out.
Everyone's
So-
hauling ass. So like I would agree that in general, it's more than likely Minato in base has, you know, better overall speed to, again, keyword base Hashirama. I think that changes when he gets in stage mode.
base.
So
And if it's the Minato in the incident, the Nine Tails incident, or even Yellow Flash, that no, because
Yeah.
he struggles to Obito blatantly. You know what I
definitely
mean?
struggles.
And Hashirama's not struggling to KCM tier level of power and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And
Yeah.
that's an interesting, you know, feat to use, but I would say more than likely he does. Now when it comes to him in Sage mode, things change. He's combating, you know, Prime Madara with the Nine Tails on top of that. He's arguably the strongest
Tails.
shinobi non-six pass besides AK guy to ever live, and unfortunately Warwick Sakura as well. So he at that point, you know, I think, you know, Hashirama is very intellectual. He would, you know, decipher the speed of Minato quite quickly, and probably would go in Sage mode. It's instantaneous for him, by the way. He can do it like fucking instantly. So that would be
Yeah.
something he would do very, very quickly. Once that is done, I do believe his speed overall is superior to, again, keyword base Hashirama alive.
Yeah.
At that point, he had the superiority in basically every physical aspect. And again, flying and rising is instantaneous within itself, like we always say,
Yeah.
but the activation time to activate it isn't, and the attack afterward is not instant either. And I do believe
Exactly.
Hashirama would react to everything Minato has. In
Woodstock
Sage
for
mode.
sure. What
Yeah,
guaranteed at least what? Even if you don't think like even in Sage mode with his body, which I think is ridiculous, but even if you don't blatantly what's up, bro? Obito was reacting to KCM2 Naruto with his wood style. You know what I mean? Like, come
literally.
on.
Yeah, so he would react to everything. Six said the durability it's ambiguous, but I'll say this inductively, it isn't definitive, but inductively I'd say for him to be able to have a battle for 24 hours against Madara in his prime, along with the Nine Tails implies. I mean, we have to say at least decent durability. I mean, then for him to withstand that level of that length and that level of battle for that long, and then at the end barely be
Yeah.
breathing. I mean, that's significant durability that
He's
cannot
not.
be.
He's not human level, man.
Yeah,
He's
no, no.
not. No.
And I know that durability, the regeneration helps a lot, and that things that matter. It certainly aided him with his durability for sure. I mean, it enhanced it as he kept regenerating passively, as he doesn't even need hand signs. But his durability is to be respected. I mean, there's no point, there's no way to negate that. I think basically, I think simply saying, "Oh, we didn't see it, so we can't believe it," is an appeal to ignorance. We got to take into consideration what was said about that battle, to kind of get an indicator of what his durability is most likely like. I'm not saying he can tank everything and fucking like tank it for a sing under the face or anything, but his durability is respectable as for sure.
Like Jay, another example,
Yeah,
Edo Madara, it was KCM2 Naruto with a Biju bomb in his hand. He
yeah,
tries to speed blitz Madara, and Madara just blocks it with the fucking
fucking
Chia
deflects it.
reflection and
Yeah,
tanks the whole explosion and recoil. Like he was perfectly fine, no
easily.
Susanoo or nothing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, because yeah, sure, he's reflecting it, but there's still going to be the explosion effect, the
the
recoil. You know what I mean?
impact.
Like the
Yeah,
force, yeah, the impact, and he was fine. So
yeah.
if Edo Madara can do that, you're telling me how? You know what I mean? Again, like there's so many ways to prove that they have to have good durability,
It
and
has
what
to be
we've seen
decent.
yeah, it has to be decent, and what we've even seen with consistency whenever Ninja are on the same level as well. They normally have very good durability feats. When we saw Obito and Minato, same level, right? And we see the rising gun feat and how he's perfectly fine and he hits Obito, whatever, blah, blah, right? You know, so like, and Obito, that's even more impressive in a sense too, because yeah, he lost an arm, but yeah, we know how the rising gun works. It infects you from the inside as well, technically, in a way. To where
Yeah,
like when you saw the water tank, it made like a big fucking hole in the back, you know what I mean? But it did barely really nothing in the front, but there was like that little small hole, you know? So
yeah.
like there it does like that type of damage too. Like the only thing that we know objectively, this isn't you can't even debate this when it comes to durability. You can't train your organs. Your
No, no,
internal
no. Yeah, yeah,
organs,
no.
you can't do shit. That is always human level.
Yeah,
But the outside of your body, that you can amp up or develop or whatever, so on and
right.
so forth. And that is what
Yeah.
me and Jay are advocating for.
Exactly. Another argument, think about it this way. Look at the
Yeah.
durability that we do see observably Naruto have against Pain when he first, utilizes
Yeah.
Sage Mode. He's literally like fucking breaking chakra rods in half with just his hands. Like stuff can't even penetrate him. Like
Going from like a
his skin.
crazy height, like all the way in the
Yeah,
sky.
falling from like a
You know,
fucking
yeah.
like a skyscraper height and
But,
doesn't
but
do
in
shit to
base, he
him.
would have died. Paul
Yeah,
says he would like. That's why he had to keep catching him with his tongue. When he was in base trying to learn, and he was about
yeah,
to fall, he got caught because he would have died. But when he's in
yeah,
Sage mode, Paul doesn't do shit, and then he just tanks it, and Naruto's like, "Ow!" But he's like, "Wait a minute, like this doesn't hurt."
yeah. He's like
And then
falling from
and then Paul's like, "That's the beauty of Sage mode. You're way more
yeah.
enhanced now, you know, than
He's
you're
like
normal."
falling from
So
several meters on like fucking
yeah,
super like sharp rocks and shit, and it doesn't even hurt. Now think about how much stronger Sage Mode Hashirama is in comparison to that Naruto, who he defeated, what his lore is like. So imagine his durability and his physical prowess when he's in Sage Mode. It's fucking ridiculous. I mean, the guy could probably the stuff that he could probably tank because he's in that mode and say in Sage Mode. It's ridiculous. So he would withstand a
yeah.
lot of what not Minato has to
Another
throw
thing
out.
too, Jay. Here's another thing too. Hashirama doesn't have really any incentive to really use his durability that much either. To be fair, in his defense, which isn't a bad thing. He'll do it if it's necessary because he's not dumb, right? But
Yeah,
here's another problem too. He has healing regen,
yeah.
insane healing.
Passive
So
regeneration.
I'm gonna be honest. Even if there's something that could be coming, it might like it might actually just be more beneficial for him to take the injury, whatever, right? And then he just heals because he's fine, right? And I mean, it doesn't mean his durability is shit. It just means he'll take the damage to exploit that right, and then he'll heal and he's fine. You know what I mean? So there's
Yeah.
that too, and there's along with those you know. So again, like there's many variables in discussion, but like but all because we just don't see anything and we don't know, like we can't just sit and be like, oh, then therefore like he could just get fucked up by anybody. I think that's
Yeah, it's a
so
bit of ignorance
I
for
don't
sure.
agree. Yeah.
Definitely a bit of ignorance. Last thing we'll say before we move on to it's gonna be Virtue's video. Shout out to the boy. When it comes to War Arc Minato, firstly, he can't die.
He's a
There's that.
beast. He's
Yeah,
a
he
beast. The
can't
Nine
die.
Tails amp goes hard, man, even in
Yeah.
base.
He can't die. He's clearly gaining an amp with Nine Tails. His speed, his physical prowess, his ability
Yep.
to use other tools such as BG bombs, all that's provided. On top of that, he can't fucking die. So Hashirama can't really beat him. He can't kill him at least. At that point, I do lean towards more so Minato. Again, Edo, KCM, Minato. He can't die, firstly, so what would Hashirama do? There's nothing he can do. Again, he can't be fatigued. He's an Edo. He has infinite chakra. Minato, let's say let's say theoretically he can't hit Hashirama anyway. Eventually Hashirama will fatigue. It might take a fucking day, 2 days, whatever, but he's gonna fatigue. Minato will never fatigue. You can't seal him. Not the way that Minato could seal.
Minato has to be careful though, which I don't think he get caught because of his teleportation and how fast he is. But he does still have to be careful because we know Hashirama can drain chakra though. You know what I mean? Like the QB chakra, whatever.
QB,
similar to like the Divine Tree, because which aka Divine Tree is also wood style by the way in a sense. But either way, like he has to be careful because when that happened a minute so before, it was off screen, but he somehow got tagged by the Divine Tree or touched. And it drained him so significantly. Even while he's in KCM 2, he still couldn't use Flying Raishin because that's how like low on chakra he was as an Edo. So like he can still get low, but again, like he's very, very fast. So I don't really see it getting to that point. And the Divine Tree, there was like so many, like everywhere. You know what I mean? So it's a lot more pressure, etc. But while with Hashirama, he can have more of a singular focus.
Yeah, single target.
Yeah, so like there's that too, but either way, everything what Jay said too, like that's just an insane advantage. Like you practically have infinite chakra because it's constantly regenerating.
Yeah,
while Hashirama has a normal regenerating where it's like fucking as Six said, we've seen it with all the ninja. It could take days to recover your fucking chakra.
Yeah, and Hashirama, he concedes himself. I need to wait for the sealing core. You can't kill an Edo. I mean, he literally says, I need sealing team. So in the end, Minato would win. But I do a very good video.
Who do you think wins though? If like let's say we remove the Edo thing, but it's still the same scaling. But if we remove the Edo, do you think Hashirama still win? I would say probably, but
if he's able to start in Sage mode, I would say perhaps. If he's in base and Minato's bloodlusted or something, it's gonna be difficult. Yeah. I mean, it is instantaneous.
How fast do you think his Sage mode activation is? Because one thing I'll try to advocate for, because this is the problem. If he's only in base, right? We both agree that he's probably cooked, whatever, blah blah. But let's say we still grant Sage mode even though he's not starting in Sage mode. If it's fast enough, like how Susanoo is with the right Kage, blah blah, or wood style to whatever. If it's honestly really that fast, then like he technically would still be okay. But it's kind of very like ambiguous or vague. Like we don't really get anything regarding like how fast it actually is. Like we know it's instant. So maybe it is like just really, really fast and right or whatever, but we just don't really know though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I would say this is like more speculation, but if Naruto was able to do it, like when he was about to get striked by a pain, he like fucking literally activated it as soon as he had another clone to spare.
True. Yeah, true. That's a good example.
I would say Hashirama could probably do it at least that fast, which is pretty
fucking fast. It's like nerve transmission, right? It's like your neuron of
your neuron has to fire. Yeah. Now Minato is so goddamn fast though, with KCM2 with that amp that it might be possible that he might behead Hashirama before he even activates it. But he'd have to be bloodlusted though, like extremely.
And Hashirama's not healing a head, by the way, guys. I'm just putting that's not. You need your head intact in order to utilize your healing factor. Yeah, like that's just like nobody's built like Wolverine and Deadpool. Okay, this is Naruto.
I would say it's not in character, but Minato was like bloodlusted and it was just out for blood, and like they start out like bloodlusted, he would go for the head immediately, try to behead him before he.
He does that in character. He always goes for the head too.
Yeah. He'd go for the head, and if that amp is significant enough, he might behead Hashirama before he even activates.
He would try to behead him too. He would definitely try to behead because he would be, especially if they have intel, he would know he has a healing factor too.
If he does that, he's like, you know what? I'm not even gonna let him get in Sage mode. I'm just gonna chop his head off. That's it. And
Now,
that's
if it's no intel, that's
it's
technically
different. Yeah.
that's different, and that could even be more of an issue for Minato because let's say he tries to like go for the head or whatever, and he thinks Hashirama's dealt with, but then he just heals that, right? And he's like, oh shit, this guy can heal, and now Hashirama has enough time to do save, now he's fucking cooked,
No,
right?
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so
No, it's cooked.
so
Yeah.
like there's a lot of factors, but you know, it really just depends. So that's why we're both kind of you know what this and this, but. All I will say too, Hashirama isn't an idiot either. When he gauges something enough of a threat, he immediately activates Sage when it gets serious.
Oh,
He
yeah.
does it every time in character. So like
Yeah.
when he's fighting Madara, he's playing around, whatever, blah blah. He's having a great time base, right? But then the moment he sees the Nine Tails in the majestic armor, he's like, okay, yeah, I got to get serious now. And then he
Yeah,
gets
exactly.
Sage mode, and then you know whoops some ass. And same thing with the Ten Tails. Like he's there, he's whatever. He's fighting a Madara, and then when he sees the Ten Tails and shit, what does he do? Sage mode, and then he does the Divinity Gates. You know, so.
Yeah.
So like I will if he does just by gauging Minato's power and realizing that he is a threat and or like he's pretty fat, whatever, he probably wouldn't even take the chance and then just go and say it, and then now Minato's probably cooked, you know.
Yeah.
But again, we will be like generous. Maybe Minato could just be faster and then just behead him before he
Behead him, yeah. Maybe bloodlust and he goes for the throat. Yeah,
Yeah.
he might take it. He might be that fast at that point with KCM amp on top of that plus flying Raijin. Yeah, it's
Facts.
quite substantial. But great video by Six. I agree with the conclusion. He's right. It is like decently contentious. Definitely depends on perspective. There are some things that are ambiguous that you know you have to deduce yourself. You can't really use evidence for because a lot of things are
No,
unknown. But great video by
like
Six.
the
as
durability
always.
shit, you know.
Yeah, the
Like,
durability shit, all that shit, it's definitely ambiguous, and you got to kind of decipher that yourself. And you know, the better argument would win at that point. But yeah, now folks, we're gonna go straight to let's see what Sage said. Hashirama passively has Senjutsu, so he could probably use it whenever he wants. Yeah, I agree for sure.
Oh yeah, facts.
So where is the video? This one, yeah, each Akatsuki member versus Four Tails Naruto. I heard it was a great video. Yeah, definitely a great topic. Let's check it out.
And another thing, I'll put this out there real quick for this video. Actually, well, no, you guys do the intro first, and then I'll say it. My bad.
Oh, yeah, you're good. Yeah, so this one is interesting. You know, Four Tails Naruto is always like perceived as the guy that can take out Sanin. I mean, he almost killed two of them, right? Jiraiya in one
Crazy
instance.
feat.
Crazy feat.
Crazy.
Almost killed, you know, sick of Orochimaru, but Orochimaru nonetheless almost killed him as well. So he's definitely Sanin plus. Very powerful. And the Sanin, you know, relative to old man Hiruzen, who was at one point
He's
stated
not
to be the
beating like
strongest
all
Kage.
three Sonic. I'll say that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he won't be beating because you know, like they can fight him to a degree, Jiraiya
Yeah.
and Orochimaru or whatever. So like if it's all three, I feel like that's you know,
They'll
then
probably
they should
take
be
it.
fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could probably take it due to because their abilities, whatever. But 1v1, he's above, blatantly Sonic tier above.
Yeah. There's like multiple
No, so
instances
it's like
where.
Hanzo or Sasori or like you know Chio like like all Sonic above or like Pain or Itachi, but you
Yeah.
know, but he is above.
Yeah.
But it's a big deal. It's crazy, and this is another misconception. Not completely, but there is a misconception. A lot of people think V2 Naruto would be very similar to how all the other V2 Jinjutsu are, and that's blatantly false. Those are false
No, yeah,
equivalences. V2 Naruto, and it's only half the Nine Tails, remind you, which is even more
By the
crazy.
way, yeah.
But V2 Nine Tails is way more powerful than the other V2s by a big margin because Guy and Kakashi were reacting to all the V2 transformations.
Multiple,
remind you. So and we know, like, you know what I mean? Like, so like, at that point, like, sure, it could be debatable or not whether if you think their physical speed and base and whatnot, or even
Sonic.
Chidori, Riker, if you think they're even soning at that point or not, or approaching, or maybe they are. That's a whole other can of worms. But main point being said is, depending on how you analyze that, that can kind of give you some answers. And if you think Kakashi and Guy are not like soning tier yet, or at least above soning or whatever, that kind of puts into perspective again of the drastic difference between the V2s that they fought and the one that's being fought against Orochimaru and Jiraiya.
Yeah.
You know,
And on
so
top
there
of
is
that,
a big power gap.
Yeah, and on top of that, they were amped by Obito's Dojutsu as well, so they're being
even
amped.
worse.
So even worse. They weren't even regular fucking V2s. So yeah, this should be interesting. Definitely interested to see Virtue's takes. Heard some rumors about his takes. Definitely interested. Shout out to the boy. Let's check it out.
Orochimaru versus the Four Tails variation of Naruto is a moment that's monumental for the series, where you finally see the monstrous Orochimaru meet his match in Naruto, who finally enters his version 2 state for the first time. And although Orochimaru did well, considering his state, what would happen if each of the other Akatsuki members were to battle this same Naruto in Orochimaru's place without the aid of Kabuto, seeing as he never directly helped engage Naruto, and the win card for the members would just be to bring Naruto in. Also, I'm a little bit sick for this video, so if I sound weird.
Oh, Orochimaru was still very strong though. Even with like at that point, like, he was still starting level. That's all I'm getting at.
Oh, for sure.
Regardless of the nerfs.
Yeah. State in a section to underline and highlight the key points of both his arsenal and scaling, beginning with the preface of the Four Tails being, well, the Three Tails, which is actually extremely powerful, managing to rip Orochimaru's face straight off, leading into when he actually charges up his power, which outputs so much force that Kabuto was completely blasted and flying in the air with his glasses shattered, whilst he was coughing up blood due to the internal damage.
I'm gonna say this: Kabuto had a downfall, dude.
For the rest
of a downfall. He got weak as shit, man.
He was not that guy until the war arc.
Kakashi Yamato could deal with that Naruto, you know, like
isn't a character that Yamato, the top Anbu member, can play around with at the beginning of this battle. The battle between the two monsters begins with Orochimaru sending out his 1,000 snake jutsu, where Naruto then just swipes his arm so hard that all the snakes seem to just be blasted away, omitting a force that even Yamato admits he's never seen before.
Crazy.
Naruto then engages the more offensive position while staying.
It's like Hiruzen versus Orochimaru all over again, but even more crazy.
Naruto having
him getting bitched more
per se, of having to be completely immobile, which probably just isn't true, seeing as the only time he's implied
Hiruzen's fucked too.
Up a chakra explicitly noted on the pages prior to be by
he don't got healing like Orochimaru, so he's fucked.
His old ass is back would give out his shit.
Orochimaru should have
done so many times,
man. You're getting fucking blown back and shit.
Prefer to stay stagnant whilst manipulating his deadly chakra hands, which can extend out of nowhere and then chase the target, allowing for him to remain almost as an offensive turret, for him to constantly pressure opponents like Orochimaru through these hands. And while Orochimaru is quick enough to jump around the hand, he does seem to just attempt to hold off the hand through snake summons, while he then just projects himself out through one of his most chakra fatiguing jutsu in the Rebirth. Something quite disadvantageous for him to do if he wasn't going to get quickly overwhelmed. Even when this strategy works successfully, Naruto straight up tanks the punch to the face and then just
AP stronger than Sonic durability.
All of Orochimaru's organs, demonstrating two things for us. The first of which being that once again, Naruto remaining stagnant makes complete sense, considering he can reform his entire upper body out of the chakra on his upper left arm.
The fucker's a symbiote.
This also goes to show that even despite Orochimaru's vast power with him still being hindered over the bodily rejection, he would have died throughout this fight, such as this very instance, if he didn't have the Oro rebirth and things like that.
Yeah, real quick though, Jay, the reason why V2 Narts is also another problem too is because you can't even use like shadow clones technically either. Like because he could slam his arm down and bam, explode. You know what I mean? Like,
oh god,
like that. So you're kind of forced to have like a 1v1 scrap with this guy. You know what I mean? Like unless you could like fly or some other shit, but. Like that's another problem too. That's why like for Hiruzen, like he's kind of really cooked because even if he does like his classic shadow clone for the 5 natures, bro, Naruto is just gonna slay. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what they're dealt with.
Hulk
like
smash, dude. He has like Hulk smash attack. I'm like, dude, you can't even
Loki
like
type shit.
Yeah, you can't even do shadow clone type shit because he'll do Hulk smash.
You have to use his pole. That's his best option. The pole.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
the monkey shit.
Prowess. Yeah, bro.
Opponents, showing how a full power Orochimaru is likely just a better match for Naruto in this state. This would be further corroborated through how Jiraiya, a fellow Sannin who's believed by shinobi like Ebisu to be capable of stopping Orochimaru through his power that is on par with Orochimaru's in the second data book, was still completely pushed to near death by this Naruto, making it one of the 2 closest times Jiraiya
anime only, but we see more feats for Jiraiya,
which is quite consistent through
he could dodge, he could do shit,
but also just analyzing how when both Naruto and Jiraiya remember
he was relative.
Jiraiya does have a slash across his chest, although the background debris is different, implying that Naruto was able to push Jiraiya into a near-death corner twice. And this same Jiraiya being on par with a healthier Orochimaru would also translate to him being able
that Jiraiya doesn't die though, so he has to be relative at least.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that was impressive.
The rest of the world, as stated 3 separate times in the first fan book.
And if it wasn't for sealing, he'd be cooked.
Implies that he holds the
reputation for sure
of being the strongest Kage, a reputation that he's implied to live up to by the bystanding Anbu, who implied this as well. Although, it doesn't really end there, seeing as we are made aware of not only his and Orochimaru's relativity in power, but also how Orochimaru is always noted to be the more talented, or having a wonderfully vast array of jutsu, ranging from all the jutsu in Konoha according to the 1 Decade 100 Ninja Guide, whereas on the contrary, Jiraiya is a marginally more taijutsu based fighter. Therefore, and them being on par with one another, and the third anime profile guy stating that Orochimaru and Hiruzen have practically the same taijutsu.
Their taijutsu, you can't compare it. Jiraiya would slam the fuck out of Orochimaru.
Oh, facts. He's definitely superior in that department.
Barely effective, but simply protecting himself.
Sage mode, at least. Sage mode.
Oh, facts.
Hence then making this Naruto a likely superior relative fighter to the peak base Sannin tier and other characters like the 5 Kage individually. And while it's unclear if he used Bijou Bombs against Jiraiya, it's still a move he could use throughout his matches with the Akatsuki members if his poisonous chakra hand swipes are ineffective. Beginning with our
Jiraiya might have not let him, to be honest.
First just open
he might have been like immediately Dark Swan, whatever, like, you know, because Orochimaru, he has healing regen to kind of get away around it.
Yeah, and Jiraiya had to like avoid that.
So, he has to avoid. He can't take nothing. So he probably just like immediately just shut that down right when he tried. But...
Oh yeah, he had to. He'd be fucking.
Potentially maybe a little undercredited in some right through his relativity to Kakuzu, his partner, while Kakuzu is in base. Something you could see through how they put their arms up at the same.
Why are we talking about these fodders?
This one should be quick.
Combat speed, how they run at the same speed against Shiryu, how they can react
zoning to your motherfuckers
at the same time, how they both react relatively to the bomb.
They're badass, I'll give them that, but they're not strong.
At least while
they have some aura, but they're ass.
To him in reaction and combat speed, at least on a lower.
We'll give you that. Oh yeah, sure, you're above Jonin and shit. You know the high tiers.
Like Jonin and Shikamaru, who both just get heavily pressed by Kakuzu, which would be consistent with how Hidan can actually piece up Asuma through him doing backflips to dodge his own thrown melee.
Only Asuma and Kakashi can really fight Kakuzu hand to hand.
To then slice a piece of Asuma's cheek. However, with Asuma's best scaling beat to, you know, being like to Kakashi using what the second data book calls his true strength, which is almost certainly knife fighting and CQC battles overall.
That's true. Can we see Kakashi going blow for blow head on too?
Like both Kabuto and Yamato being vastly inferior stat-wise to the Four Tails Naruto should be quite telling. Especially which, you know, if you couple it with how the Four Tails hide is specialized.
Four Tails slams them. Slams them.
Beat the fuck out of these people.
Kusanagi blade.
All hearts going down very quickly.
Strongest of all animals.
Probably one slash.
Was at one point capable of
shit, the poison when Kana gets on it, where you can't move.
Obviously,
Kusanagi blade one shot, 5 hearts.
It is still certainly extremely powerful and of a much greater power than Hidan.
Diamond ain't taking that shit. He couldn't even do it as Shidori.
Kusanagi
fucking disintegrate his ass.
Kage like Hiruzen and what have you. Therefore, Hidan shouldn't. You know, he should definitely just lose this battle against Naruto when accounting for how he does try to.
They don't have the scaling. That's the problem. They don't have the scaling.
Not even close.
They're not Sonic tier. Yeah, they're not Sonic.
Naruto should be able to kill him without having to move very much, and he should just be able to poison him or rip him to shreds while Hidan's win con simply doesn't exist because, well, he won't be able to pierce Naruto, and hence can't get blood from Naruto.
Right, if Orochimaru's sword couldn't do it, yeah, come on.
Fuck no.
Kakuzu, we have a much more complex fighter, seen as, well, you know, maybe his base taijutsu and reactions aren't exactly the cream of the crop. His ninjutsu is intensely
he gets blitzed, though. That's the problem with Kakuzu. He just gets slammed.
Disaster. You couple it with his fire style, then it could even overpower.
He's not blitzed. His lightning could probably maybe damage the armor, like we see with Kakashi Raikiri in the war, but
fastest and
maybe, because we never see the Raikiri being tested against V2, not Ninetales, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Pierce encounter another one of Kakuzu's golden tickets and how it allows for him to tank virtually every physical attack, which is the Diamond Morph. And he can just kind of use this to morph anywhere he chooses in exchange for the mobility of that part. Therefore, if Kakuzu splits his hearts, you know, earlier into the battle to then allow for his hearts to fly around as they did in the war arc, while simultaneously trying to shoot Naruto's body while evading the hand swipes, which Naruto can use more than one at the same time, to then potentially swipe at a heart, maybe at a time.
I don't think he's evading anything, though.
Land his ninjutsu, then I might see a problem. Like, 2 Raikiri level power at a long range is absolutely absurd, and it's no wonder it took him 90 years of living to get these hearts. However, if Naruto is much smarter, then he could just like reappear at another part of his arms to then allow for his.
And he can regenerate. That's the problem. We've seen like
the wind heart while he
we've seen them regenerate and shit. So
yeah, regeneration, extend himself with his arms and shit.
Yeah. If he were to even.
So even if he got cut through or whatever, like what do they would have to seal him, bro, or knock him out.
Lightning heart being reacted to by Ino and Choji at this, and this same Kakashi would also just state that Naruto has surpassed him or is at least on his level, and this Naruto is obviously vastly inferior to the Four Tails of V2 state, a power that would throttle Jiraiya to near death. Whenever this base Naruto actually after the Kaksu fight,
Kakashi's not beating Four Tails either.
Hell no.
Kamui, he could do it. I could see that maybe.
But I think Kakuzu if he sniped him, his high level ninjutsu can account for multiple combatants at the same time, and his intellect is something that even Shikamaru compliments. He does stand, albeit a much better chance than his partner Hidan, but in the end, he should still very well get overwhelmed, likely even without Naruto having to use Biju bombs, but if he does, then, well, it's over. So I definitely give Naruto the win here against Kakuzu, like, maybe 7 out of 10 times.
Yeah, literally.
After the zombie duo, we now have Deidara, who's actually
now
very impressive. And while I've been preaching the Deidara agenda for a while, seeing as well, he's very underrated. And to attempt to not regurgitate all the same
if he's on the ground, he's cooked. He's
fucked. He's
fucked. But if he's flying, he has a chance.
A base heavy Sasuke through the initial opening of the fight, seeing as Deidara is stagnant and Sasuke uses body flip.
He was relative to heavy Sasuke.
To Deidara,
yeah, relative.
While the usual argument of
he reacted twice,
was able to cover a much greater distance prior,
and then he reacts to CM2 Sasuke in the end, which is more impressive.
Yeah, literally with the Genjutsu.
It can work, but it also just admits one crucial point that you would also have to concede, being that with that logic, when Sasuke stops using body flicker and uses his combat speed to draw his sword and swing through Tobi, Deidara then blitzes him there, seeing as he jumps back to the tree behind him, allowing for him to cover a much greater distance than Sasuke did in his combat speed. So this simply just doesn't work. And to then try and use the next instance of Sasuke getting behind Deidara, this isn't really a perception blitz or anything like that. Deidara is just clearly looking at Tobi, as most of his bombs, his C1 bombs, landed next to Tobi, and he's just kind of yapping about it. When Sasuke does attempt to slice
it's actually more impressive for Deidara because he reacts to a behind attack.
In the blast,
definitely impressive.
Fighters tank it.
Because we saw what happened with Kakashi and Kakashi. Whenever they get behind each other, they can normally speed blitz.
Down his shoulder for their position to have not changed.
And I would say like Deidara is slower. He admits it. Deidara, and Tobi's like warning him. That also helps him react. But he is reacting still. Like he's struggling, but he's reacting. So there's like relativity to some extent there. As far as speed,
meaning that there had to be more reaction, combat speed relativity, or just related actions during the time frame we didn't get to see. Deidara in his style of fightings also just decides to hold back less and size up Sasuke with his C2 tracking bombs, which Sasuke was able to react to, although the bomb's explosive velocities were too fast for Sasuke. Something very noteworthy considering how Deidara
he really did though with the mind shit.
On par with Oniki, but
he would have probably been in really big trouble without that help from Obito, man.
Oh, facts. I definitely aided him.
In fighting Naruto, he will almost certainly try to maintain a flight whilst dropping bombs onto Naruto through some potential C2 bombs and things like that, which were able to completely flip the Turtle Island, which obviously dwarfed
that is impressive.
I think that's what he used in the 3 Tails to knock it out.
Deidara
probably,
either that or a stronger one,
or even just uses speed birds, which are explicitly much faster than his other bombs. Throughout, they were able to actually completely weave in and out of Gaara's giant Shukaku hand finger sand attack to then bomb Gaara himself. These would be absolutely perfect for Naruto, and these would just go right around the arms, and these can also usually be formed very easily with a right hand formation, which he usually uses left, but for these he uses right. Something very easy for Deidara to utilize, and the only reason as to why he didn't really use them against Sasuke was actually because his right hand's tongue was cut off by Sasuke's leg, which is made worse by how Datara might not have even attempted it, as unlike the Gar fight where Datara would use face attaching bombs and, which he could use to catch Naruto as eye goggle, which actually allows him for him to fly in the atmosphere. And here's a graph showing just how high Datara actually is when he's able to track Sasuke in a matter of minutes, something the Konoha squad and Kakashi's search dogs couldn't do, despite them all covering separate climates in that area. The eyeglass also isn't thermal to chakra, making this even more impressive. So, I mean, could Naruto's hands even reach this high if Datara was to, reposition himself? Probably not. Anyway, I digress.
Probably not.
Probably not. That's pretty high.
Attacks and goes out of his way to
he could just shoot Biju bombs though and stuff.
Yeah, you definitely use that
instead. Wanted to show off his brand new C4 that he was planning to kill Itachi with. And the third data book favorite battle section.
Honestly, what do you think so far, Jay? Like, because we don't have the verdict from him yet, but like, do you think Datara could take it or no? Because we know Datara is not Sonic tier.
Yeah, no.
But like, if the conditions are just right, that's where it gets interesting. Like, if he's already flying in the air, because that's the problem. Like, if we just say like it's default battle standards situation, right? Whatever, main character 2, whatever, like. He's probably getting bitched right away because on the ground, like he's like, come on, he's struggling to heavy Sasuke. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's shitted on. So like, and he's not Sonic tier. But if he's flying, that's where it gets a little interesting. So if we give like Datara a handicap, which is already like obviously not fair, but if we do that, I think that's when it gets a little interesting. But either way, like it kind of gets to the point whether if you think he'd have enough AP to subdue the Four Tails, because here's another problem. If it's not bloodlusted and he's having to capture Naruto, then I think he's fucked. Like, I don't think, like, because Naruto can regenerate, he can, you know what I mean? Like, whatever, like, unless you think, like, the Three Tails feat, like if you think, that, Biju would have, like, more durability than a V2, Naruto, whatever, like, that's where, like, it gets really complex. But this is the problem for me, though, is, like, the healing, though, where he could regenerate his, and he could fucking do all that weird symbiote shit and shoot Biju bombs. Like, I don't know, man. I don't. Yeah.
I think when it comes to V2 Naruto with Four Tails specifically, it's a very specific version. Yeah. I think he would definitely have to have that handicap. If he's not, he's getting fucking blitzed immediately. I mean, he could really wreck the fucking base Sasuke. If he's on the ground and, Four Tail Naruto is always bloodlusted, he's going to take him out very quickly.
Always, he's
always bloodlusted. He'd have to be airborne. Now, at that point, honestly, like the microscopic bombs, for example, I think because
of could probably kill him.
Yeah, the only thing is the corrosive nature of his like chakra and how it's acidic. It might like actually fuck up the
it
clay.
Might just burn it. It just make it go away.
That might happen. So you'd have to like drop nukes on fucking like a C3 or something.
Yeah.
At that point, it comes down to could the AP be sufficient enough to knock out Four Tail Naruto, or would it just upset him and make him get to like Six Tails or some shit? That's the question.
That's what we don't know. Yeah, that's where it's a problem.
That's the question, and that's the problem. Man, it definitely gets very interesting.
That's why it's hard, because it's like it's like damn, like fucking he all right, like that's what it gets really hard, because it is very impressive for him to knock out the Three Tails. But to be fair, I just remembered, if we actually analyze further context, Obito was also helping him, because Obito says, "Oh no, I did it," or whatever. Yeah. And then like Datara was like, "Nah, whatever, blah blah," and I did that. Like, I think he said like I did the heavy lifting or something. I don't know. But either way, like they still both work together, and it's an off-screen moment. So like we can't necessarily really grant like for Datara to fully, like, we don't really like, that's the problem. It's like there's kind of like some ambiguity. It's ambiguous with that. Yeah. So like again, like this gets really really hard. Like if he could knock him out, then sure, right? He obviously has a W. But if he can't, then he's just fucked. Like, bro, like, and especially if he can't kill him, like that's even worse. Now, let's say he's bloodlusted and could kill. I think the only explosion I could see taking out Four Tails Naruto is the one that took out the snake. Yeah, I think that's probably the only.
That would kill him. Yeah.
Yeah, that would kill him. That's suicide. I mean, so again, that's technically not really a win. So
yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to like advocate for Datara, but I don't think he takes it no matter what, dude. That's just me though. But
I'll say this logically. I do remember when when Orochimaru punches Four Tail Naruto, it does send his ass flying. Like, it affects him. Like, punches him right in the fucking face. So maybe C3's AP is so much better that it would actually hurt him. Maybe make him go unconscious. But it's still ambiguous. It's still very ambiguous. there's the question of can you even make him go unconscious without like sealing him? That's another question, or sedating him. Yeah, honestly, it'd have to be C3 or C4. Honestly, I think it's the only way that it would hurt him enough to make him go unconscious or defeat him. And at that point, if he uses C4, he dies too. It'd be a stalemate basically. And C3 maybe it'd be enough. At that point, Foretell Naruto might try to stalemate it with his own BG bomb and say, "Fuck it." I mean, it's not gonna hit me.
Here's where it gets even more problematic, Jay, though, and more contentious. Like, if it's really that simple to knock him out with just AP blunt force, you would think Sagemo Jiraiya could do it, or Big Rizingon, or you know what I mean, like because the Sonic are no fucking slouch with their ninjutsu and shit. Like we've seen like the Frog going toe to toe with the One Tail and shit. Like all that stuff, whatever. And then imagine like a combo attack, which we saw like Jiraiya's fire style with the Frog, where it just one shotted the snake. Like, bro, their combo attack was more powerful than Datara's final explosion. I mean, so like, again, like if it was, I feel like if it was like that simple, then why the fuck did they even struggle, right? You know what I mean? Like, why are they getting fucked up or this? So like, that's where like it gets even more like kind of like really hard to potentially even grant the blunt AP win con, because like, again, if it was that simple, then why is Jiraiya having to resort to sealing? Like and then why is Orochimaru just playing the survival game, healing over and over, running, and I mean, so like that's where it's just weird, dude.
Yeah, it seems like it'd have to be quite the AP, either C3 or C4 for sure. Microscopic, I don't think would work. I think the corrosive nature of his chakra would corrode them and probably melt them away.
Yeah.
And
it's smart,
I think that's probably what would happen. Also, even if he does drop a C3, C4, he could just use a Bijou Bomb and offset it. He'll just shoot the fucking Bijou Bomb.
No, Jay, Gara San fucking tanked that shit, though.
Yeah, it did. C3.
And you think Four-Tails Naruto ain't going through that sand? Come on, nah.
Or even at the very least, a Bijou Bomb. Like, if he sees it coming, he might fire a Bijou Bomb and, offset it.
Exactly.
So...
It's slow. Like, it's dropping at... That's another problem. Slow. His bomb shit... That's a really good point, actually, because it goes by the laws of physics speed. It's not based upon data or what. It's just dropping. It's like dropping whatever in the sky, so, and that would give Naruto or V2 plenty of time to respond to that. Bomb. So I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it.
It's possible, but it's unlikely.
Possible. Yeah, but no. I feel like he would have to have the exact perfect variables maybe to pull it off, or especially if he had the aid of Sasori, right? If he had his aid, then I could definitely see it.
Definitely would help. Yeah, I would say it's possible he could win, but unlikely.
Different ninja use contrasting styles in a heated battle. Long distance versus close range. Sasuke shines, showing off the power of his Sharingan. End quote. This virtually confirms that Sasuke's Sharingan is the primary factor that lost Deidara that fight, not only due to its ability to see and counter all of Deidara's plans, but also how it makes Deidara act out of character. The same section of the third databook notes explicitly that Gaara entered into the Deidara fight at the advantage, yet still, Deidara was able to overcome that. Therefore, in this battle against Naruto, I actually think Deidara has a really good chance, and while you may be very quick to note that Naruto's way faster than Deidara, and this could be true, although it's likely not the difference you think and doesn't really matter for Deidara's case. What do I mean?
Oh wow, he doesn't think he's
we did
way
already
faster.
establish that Deidara isn't below a base-heavy Sasuke, we could also still establish how he actually should be at least relative to the CM2 Sasuke, at least in how he fights, such as how he's able to perceive Sasuke pulling the strings and then react accordingly, or how he gets pinned to the falling dragon and yet he can still manage to kick out one of the shuriken, remove the other, toss off the cloak, and summon a bird, while Sasuke merely grabs a tree using snakes. I mean, bro, if this isn't a top tier clutch moment of all time, I really don't know what is, but this would imply that they are relative and can react very similarly in similar time frames, something also highlighted when Deidara is able to turn around and react to an actively flying Chidori enhanced Sharingan CM2 Sasuke whilst fatigued. And this flying Chidori strategy is shown very consistently in battles like the Gaara fight, where in 2 times this was used by Sasuke. It was actually at the...
I'll say this. Look at the key statement here from that distance. So he has time to react here, firstly. Now, if it was close quarters, point blank range, I don't think he'd react. I mean, I don't think he'd efficiently react. It probably would hit him. Secondly, the very situation that he puts Sasuke in gives him the advantage to react to things. One, the line mines, which he wouldn't be possible without Obito. Two, the aerial advantage. And three, the very fact that Sasuke had to be wary of both ground land mines and aerial attacks. That limited his ability to attack Deidara like directly. So it wasn't as simple as them going toe to toe, one on one. So I don't think it's simple as he's relative to CS2 Sasuke. I think there was very advantageous positioning for him due to him being aerial, due to him having landmines, due to him having
his wing was
missiles.
fucked up too at this point.
And he was fatigued as well. So there's that. He wasn't like full power C2 coming at him. I do agree that base Sasuke and health prime base data are relative in speed, at least to significant enough to him to react. At the very beginning of the battle, he's reacting, and that's
it's arbitrary, but they're relative.
But as soon as like CS2 is the case, I don't think that's the case anymore. Again, the situation he's in, the advantages he has strategically help him. I don't think like CS2 Sasuke is like fucking a blitz tier above Data or anything, but I do believe he's faster. I do believe he's faster, and I believe that overall Sasuke is the superior. I mean, Data admits it even before CS2. He's like, oh, he's quicker. He's too quick.
Yeah, like Datara would absolutely need flying support to have any chance remotely against CM2.
Exactly.
Any chance remotely. You know what I mean? Like sure, like at this moment when Sasuke like diving at him, whatever, to try to hit him with a Shidori, whatever, blah blah. Like, yeah, Datara like react. For one, you got to take this into consideration. For one, beeline attacks are very easy to avoid. That's just stated so many times.
Linear.
A straight attack, it's very, very easy. That's why you need the shotting gun. Okay.
Yeah.
Two, this is at a distance. He's not like face to face with Datara or coming on the side from behind. If he was to the side or behind or face to face, Datara would have been fucked in the situation.
Yeah,
but he was at a distance, which gives Datara even more time to aim dodge and then react accordingly, and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
So yeah, like it's not necessarily like blatant relativity. It's just along with the variables and the conditions that were at play, and along with him having a fucked up wing, because the other wing was the snakes, while the right wing is fine. So like again, there's a lot of variables.
Context.
If this was like Datara like floating in the air, and Sasuke has his full wing and a Shidori, and they're face to face, and he's dodging over and over and going on it, then absolutely, right, relative or equal, right? But because there's all these variables, like Jay said, it's you can't come to that conclusion. You really can't. Especially how he performed in his base with a shotgun gun.
I mean, Data literally admits he's too quick, and that's base Sasuke. He's like, he's too quick. I have to get. I need landmines. I need aerial advantage. I need missiles coming at him at the same time. It's that simple. I mean, it's
another thing too. Four Tails is way stronger than CM2, so it still doesn't work.
Way faster.
Like I'm sorry, but CM2 Sasuke is not Sonic tier. Like that's just blatantly been shown. Sasuke admits it himself and says,
After
I can only kill you. Yeah, I can only kill you and beat you because you're really, really fucked up now. Like you're on your deathbed. Your body's like it's at its limit, right? You need to get a body now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He says that verbatim. He concedes of why he could even have any chance remotely, and he still loses.
Still, he still like fails. Basically.
He had to use his shotting gun, his visual prowess, to reflect the body ritual jutsu.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
If he didn't have his shotting gun, he would have died right there and then. So so that's another problem. While Four Tails Naruto was slamming Orochimaru, a stronger form and at full power. You know what I mean? So So there's that too. Like that, I do still disagree. Even if we like ignore all this or even grant this, Four Tails is still above CM2 Sasuke.
Yeah.
So
and that's full power. This is like a fatigued one on top of that. So overall, it still wouldn't really matter. But yeah, there's context that I think needs to be sort of like at least acknowledged when like trying to deduce like the speed gaps between these two. So. But yeah, let's continue.
Two most progressive points in the fight.
What's going on, Shadow? What are we discussing? Oh, we're reacting to Virtue's video now.
And his regular combat speed.
What's going on, War Anime? What's going on, Raspberry?
Opponents. So this would obviously be, at least relative to a Curse Mark Sharingan Sasuke's combat speed or Fireball Jutsu. But anyway, what this would mean is that, yes, Naruto is definitely the faster of the two.
Not enough to confirm.
Agreed.
Or anything like that. Especially, at least, if you just say that he is in his flight speed already and is acting in character, which would give us a really good gauge of how he would interact with Naruto. outside of saying what I said earlier.
Yeah,
With
he's on foot, he's blitz. No, I disagree. Yeah.
He's getting fucking
if he's on foot, he's dead.
That's with him like
he always starts on foot 9 to 10 times too.
Or even
yeah, he never really starts
airborne.
airborne.
Of all explosions, according to the third data book. And
it was only really in the Turtle Island he was already airborne. That was the only time. But that was because Kabuto was controlling him. So he was out of character.
Out of character, not even himself.
If you subscribe to what I'm about to say. And what I'm referring to is Datara, for what seems to be no reason, completely aggravates Naruto by terrorizing him, causing him to rage into this power amp of the Nine Tails. And while
that statement's fucking badass, though. Datara says Kakashi's Kamui is Itachi level. Like, that's pretty impressive.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah, that's pretty high praise.
There.
But then again, it's Obito's MS, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
The reason as to why he was terrorizing Naruto was
it's basically Obito's property.
Power him up to the point where he would not be completely evaporated by either a large-scale C2 or a C3, and that's
another thing. Datara fucked QB Naruto. He got fucked. Oh, now, yes, I know he's fatigued, whatever, at this point. But guess what? They were all fatigued. All of them were fatigued. Even Naruto. Like, they're all fucking arbitrarily fatigued. So, like, the fact that he's struggling with QB Naruto as well, like, when it comes to combat speed, react, whatever, blah, blah, like, come on, man. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Like, if he's struggling with fucking QB Naruto and a fatigued Kakashi who's barely learning his MS abilities, you telling me he'd fucking beat Four-Tail Naruto? Like, nah. It's just not gonna happen.
Kill Kakashi or just cause more trouble for Kakashi, something along those lines. So this Four Tails Naruto is probably almost the ideal fight for Datara, and I think with all of his variations of bombs and hard counters and his flight ability, I think Naruto probably loses more times than not.
And I don't know if I agree with that.
And he also still breathes while still in state, which would mean that like Datara's C4.
It's possible, but unlikely.
It's possible.
Unlikely, bro.
Yeah, I think it's less likely that he wins.
If this is the route though, Jay, for the video, then what's it called? Then everybody else is definitely taking it. I feel like that'd be obvious. You know what I mean? Yeah. If he thinks it's actually very likely for Datara to more than likely come on top, it's only a given for all the others to fucking do it. Now I'm a little worried for the next one though, because maybe they eventually change their mind. Maybe because I think this is an older recording. So like at this point in time, maybe he didn't think, but in their Shishri video recently, I saw a little bit, and they were saying Sasori is Sakura level, and I don't agree with that. And so if he goes that level, or he goes that route in scaling, I don't know if he changed his mind, and and maybe in this video he thinks Sasori is fine or whatever, you know. So again, maybe, you know, but if that's the route he's planning to go, I heavily disagree with that, and you know what I mean? Like, no, because that means then Four Tails Naruto would beat Sasori, and that would be the conclusion of that too.
He'd have to beat him if he's fucking Sakura level. Yeah.
So if he thinks he's Sakura level, then Sasori's probably getting an L verdict next.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to hear that one.
Yeah, Naruto's only real win con here should be a really lucky shot with a Bijou Bomb, but with Datara's flight speeds and relativity to CM2 Sasuke, let me ask you this. Giving Datara a massive distance advantage and him already being CM2 Sasuke in speed, could he react faster than the suppressed, weaker Orochimaru? Of course. So, for Datara, I would actually say that he should beat Naruto, give or take 7 out of 10 times.
Wait, he thinks he can fight Orochimaru too? No,
I don't agree with that either. Like, Sasuke admits he can't fight him. Like, he can't
see, a full power CM2 Sasuke couldn't do shit to Orochimaru while at his weakest on the deathbed.
Like, and that was deathbed Orochimaru. Like, Orochimaru was stronger against Four-Tail Naruto. Yeah,
against Four-Tail, yes.
Yeah,
no,
I
bro.
don't agree with that.
No.
I think Orochimaru would defeat Datara more than likely. Yeah, I don't agree with that. But
nothing but love, by the way, to Virthue, because he's good. We disagree with that, though. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, no, he's that. Virthue is that guy. I mean, he's that fucking guy, man. So check out his shit. He's fire.
He would slam Noodles. He would slam so many motherfuckers.
He's way better than fucking Noodles.
I suppose underestimating the past, and in doing so, I hope to make up for that by granting him a more charitable and complete approach to his power by expounding, more upon why he's probably much closer to Datara than what you may have imagined. So
thank God. I'm about to say.
Actually concedes to
Kakashi. Did change their mind. Okay, interesting.
He's not shitting on him.
Is stronger than I. Probably, yeah. End quote. Therefore, would this just imply that Sasori is the superior of the two, point blank?
He is.
No,
yeah,
not necessarily, and it's actually a lot more complicated than that. As you all know, you probably all heard the counter argument to this. That
I think he is, because when we actually analyze their relationship the whole time, it's very similar to Kasami and Itachi.
Yeah,
Sasori's always normally calling the shots, or he's getting like really annoyed, or like or he's like, "Hey, you better fuck," blah blah. It's always like a senpai relationship where he really has high regard for Sasori and respects him and knows like that. Like let me not push the his buttons, basically, right?
Yeah.
The only time he gets confrontational with Sasori is when they're having a subjective debate about what art is.
Yeah,
that is the only time.
Yeah,
and that's literally it. And we see like. Datara can respond to like his tail attack, but that's the fucking stupid puppet thing. Nobody cares. I mean, like that's whatever, So like we're talking about like Sasori when it comes to him using his body, his string speed, like his puppet speed, and or his Kazekage. That he's getting. He's not. So like, so I think there's many reasons, or empirically, like narratively, and by especially statements, big statements, but even feats where. He's no fucking joke, and the fact, and another thing, this is like in character, Datara is always arrogant or thinks whatever he could be, blah blah yada yada yada. Like he's over here talking shit. Oh, I could beat Orochimaru, or I'm gonna kill him, or I'm gonna get my vengeance on Itachi. He's always saying some cap shit, bro. Yeah, he's a very arrogant, egotistical person. Yet he finally gets serious and humble with Sasori. Yeah, come on, bro. I mean, I think that says a lot. Because that's he normally doesn't do that. So the fact that he is getting this serious, I feel like that does really come to shove, But again, that's all I'll say with the whole Sasori and Data, whether if he's above, but because he said that's not the case and it's complicated. But
yeah, it's like it's not black and white, but it's statements. His statement, the how reluctant he is to ever admit inferiority. Like he'd rather, I mean, dude, the dude killed himself.
He'd rather die. Yeah, he'd rather be like just talking shit. Come on, So like
fuck it, I'll kill myself.
It's definitely in more favor for Sasori. That's all I'm doing. I'm not saying it's concretely or definitively the case, but like it's more probable that Sasori is definitely above.
If the dude's willing to kill himself instead of saying, "Oh, I'm weaker," then I doubt he's
and it's even worse if we introduce the games and the anime, because in the anime, Datara and Sasori are sent to kill Orochimaru after his betrayal, and they pull up in a 2v1, and Datara is not even participating in the fight. Sasori just tells him flat out, like, "Hey, you stay out of this, you just be a nuisance, okay?" Yeah. And it's Sasori and Orochimaru fighting, and it was basically Orochimaru's Edo third Kazekage against the puppet third Kazekage. And they were having an equal battle, whatever. But then in the end, the Edo won because of like the black sand fucked up the puppet, basically. Yeah. So like overall, like there's that, and then eventually Orochimaru leaves, but Datara couldn't do shit. And when Datara eventually tries to intervene and fuck up Orochimaru when he's flying in the sky, Orochimaru effortlessly dodges the explosion. So like there's that too.
This is more, that's just the case. It's more than likely that Sasori is superior.
Datara, he was a support character in the fight, bro.
Literally. Opponents lied about Sasori's strength in hopes that Kakashi would go away and battle the supposed stronger fighter. Now, in Sasori's benefit, however, I've addressed this before by saying something along the lines of such thought can't track on the basis of it presupposing Datara and a sense of care for his own self-well-being, which would be contradicted by the aforementioned antagonizing he did to rile Naruto up. So he's obviously not caring about his, self-well-being there, and while this does track, we have already given
he's doing that with Naruto, but not Kakashi.
Datara probably did that anyway, and why it doesn't have to be, doesn't have to be this, and more than likely isn't out of his own self-interest, at least in terms of him wanting to protect himself, and hence therefore Datara is still lying about Sasori's power. However, this reason here also doesn't give a necessary cause as to why it's a complete lie. And what I mean is, I would actually vouch to say that while yes, Datara does have a more, maybe a slightly better speed showings and things like that, Sasori simply never got the proper chance to display his own. And therefore, it's not as easy to say that Datara is stronger via feats, and therefore this is a lie, as Sasori's speed ceilings are left ambiguous. and his Iron Sand is at least stronger than Datara's bombs.
We have statements.
As the Iron Sand is stated to be the most fearsome weapon in all
and
of
then anime feats if you count that
Shukaku and Gar's Sand, which is obviously worse, yet it could tank Datara's pinnacle attack in the C3. Therefore, maybe you would then have a similar basis to assert that since the Iron Sand is stronger
fought a full power Orochimaru. Like, that's all. I'm just saying.
Therefore, the conclusion here would be.
And then Jay, pause it real quick. In the manga, he was going to fight him again.
Yeah,
they were going to have if you count the anime, it'd be a rematch. But let's say you don't count the anime, then they would have their first initial fight. And they were going to meet up on the bridge, where Datara and Sasori were going to meet up with Orochimaru and Kabuto, and the fight would happen right there and then. Yeah. So the fact that Orochimaru, technically with the nerfs on top of it, still thought he could fight Sasori, whatever, blah blah, you name it. Like that's kind of, you can say that's impressive for Orochimaru in a sense. But either way, like, main point being said, if like, you know, again, if all this like with the case or whatever, then. Sasori would just be like, he would just be trash, and that's not the case. Like, the fact that he was going to go fight him and sent to go kill him, you know what I mean, by the Akatsuki, I feel like that's very, very strong evidence. And that's in the manga, remind you. That's in the manga. So
yeah, exactly. Like, they deem him capable to take out a Sannin, while Datara barely fucking, like, he almost stalemated fucking Heavy Sasuke. It was inferior to fucking like dying like, fucking Orochimaru.
And Jay, that's impressive, because if they thought Sasori wasn't capable enough, or at least with the aid of Datara too, then they literally would have just sent Itachi, because they know he's blatantly above, right? Sure. You know, like Itachi, but yet they don't do that. They're like, oh no, Sasori, go. You know what I mean? You made a Kabuto your puppet as a spy to give intel, whatever, blah blah. You know, so good job there, and then go kill Orochimaru now. Go fuck him up. And
exactly.
That was the initial plan. So the fact that they sent Sasori. Even the Akatsuki think he would be capable of pulling the W. You know, so again, there's all that.
Yeah, exactly. So all of this indicates that, you know, plus with the Hanzo scaling and him beating the third Kazekage himself, and you know, Hanzo beating the Sannin when they were younger, Chiyo stalemating him several times in their primes, like, that all indicates that Sasori is most likely the superior to Datara, who again lost to Heavy Sasuke. So. I mean, he was below Sannin.
And you're probably gonna be like, oh, it's like, oh, well, those are young, whatever. Well, no, it's actually reinforced. When Jiraiya is interrogating that dude and he's finding out that Pain beat Hanzo, whatever, he starts shitting his pants. Yeah, he has a very serious reaction to that.
And that's prime Jiraiya. Yeah,
that's prime. So it would still apply then, you know. Yeah. So and six reinforced that in like some video way back then of talking about it too. So like we're not just saying shit out of our ass. Like it's reinforced. You know?
Yeah, like it's possible theoretically that Datara is above, but it's more unlikely. Like the empirical evidence, it implies the contrary, that he's inferior. I mean, he lost to a guy that admits he can't even beat on a deathbed Orochimaru. Like, he literally can't even beat that. And Sasori was sent to take out a stronger.
That was Sasuke.
Yeah, like he couldn't even beat fucking Orochimaru dying. Like, he was fucking almost dead already. So. Again, it's more likely that Sasori is superior, and he has a tool for it.
He had the aid of Obito. He couldn't even handle base Sasuke. He had to immediately concede on foot, and then basically go on his arrow thing, which is fine. That's normally what he does anyways. But and like trying to stay at a distance the whole time, handicap, whatever, blah. But Sasuke kept outsmarting him, and then doing what he had to do. So like again, like it's very, very straightforward. Four Tails is blatantly above Orochimaru and Heavy Sasuke, and Heavy Sasuke couldn't even beat the weakest Orochimaru.
Exactly.
So again, and then that correlates to Datara. It's very straightforward.
It's pretty straightforward, yeah. Like, it's debated, but it's pretty straightforward.
No. And it essentially can fall either way depending on how high you would interpret Sasori's scaling. Which also, really quick, him having a stronger sand than Gaara, meaning he could tank a C3, doesn't mean he would win, seeing as Sasori's third Kazekage has vastly much less sand than, either Gaara or Rasa, and Datara could just weave around the sand and hit Sasori point blank with this.
Way less? I mean, if he's in...
the third Kazekage was the strongest.
Yeah, he was the strongest.
He beat him.
Yeah.
Like, that means he would be stronger than Gaara, and then Gaara is struggling to an Edo Kazekage of his father.
Yeah, it was weaker than this guy. Yeah, so that's a stronger Gaara,
and the Iron Sand is the strongest sand out of all. That is also stated.
above the golden
so
sand.
I don't agree with that. He would definitely would deal with Datara's explosion, and then to say like he could just send it on the side or whatever and hit Sasori. That's not happening because Sasori wouldn't do what Gaara did to where he crushed his hand and then Datara was able to sneak explosives inside. Sasori doesn't fight like that. You know what I mean? He weaponizes the iron sand with the poison or just spams a bunch of fucking range attacks along with poison as well.
Along with poison.
So like if Datara even gets tagged once, he's bro. The man got tagged so many times by Sasuke. So come on, you know what I mean? Like and Sasuke has like very straightforward attacks. You know what I mean? He's mainly just incorporating his speed, but with very singular or direct attacks. Sasori is striking at you at all fronts, behind, the side,
multiple angles,
multiple angles, millions of fucking needles or big object. Like come on, that's not no.
And he says he'd have less sand. I don't understand why. Why would he have less sand?
No, that's not. No.
Bird, if again you subscribe to his speed scaling, which albeit is more concrete than Sasori's, meaning that I would personally lean towards Datara, but I wouldn't look at you weird if you were to subscribe to Sasori.
the birds.
As he never really does get the chance to just.
Man, Sasori.
Oh my god.
The majority of the fight,
they be shit on Sasori, man.
And was stated to have been trained.
Remember that stream you had, Jay? Where you like
respect Sasori?
Disrespect is good.
Oh yeah. I was like, come on, man. Why are you always disrespecting this man? Like, yeah, he fought Sakura, but come on, man.
He's gonna drink too, bro. You know?
Medical ninja. This would also imply that this Tsunade and his Sakura are among the best in the entire village, with Tsunade's reputation as a medical ninja.
No. Okay, no. So in evasive, like behavioral tactics or whatever, sure, but like overall, no, because we see Sasuke perception blitz her bitch and she's an evasion specialist.
Yeah,
you know, like so. I don't agree with that in a literal sense. Like in the skill category, sure, but not in a literal sense overall.
That's like a different interpretation.
Making it so that this wasn't actually Sakura's raw reaction speed combating Sasori, but rather Chiyo's reaction speed from a substantially large distance. Now, towards the very end of the fight,
not Sage, Jay, this is so weird because he's spitting facts right now with Chiyo, but in the Shisui video that he did with Sage, he was saying that it was Sakura's speed.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know why they backtracked on that. I really don't. And that's a recent video. Like, that was like it just came out. Like, this is an older video. So, like, I don't know.
Maybe like Six talked to them or something. I don't know. Like something.
Six don't think Sakura's or Sasori's a Sakura victim. Does he?
No, he definitely doesn't. Maybe he told him like, nah, Sasori's stronger than you think.
Of the fight. Not really the entire sequence or whatever. Although, in a few instances, we can still notice that Sasori was able to completely blitz Sakura with it, even being arguable that he was nearly perception blitzing her. This is especially highlighted when the third Kazekage puppet enters the fray and he pulls the blades out of his body. Sakura's only ever able to actually react in part to Chiyo yanking her back, saving her life. Therefore, after exiting the Hiriko shell, he was virtually testing their abilities and combat patterns, and while he obviously is never actually perception blitzing Sakura, like how heavy Sasuke did, it's still really impressive. And this here with Sasuke isn't actually as bad of a look.
I mean, it's not equivalent. She's like fucking nerfed and like shitting herself seeing him. It's not like she's ready for combat here, though, to be fair, comparing like those two instances, but
it may seem, because while
really
she was perceiving his movements, it very well could have been, or she wasn't perceiving his movements, I guess. They're very well
I will say this, I'm glad he changed his stances though on Sasori because this is I'm over here tripping. This is the current new video currently, while the Shishu one was the older. So it's the other way around. But I am glad that he changed because that stuff in the Shishu video 4 weeks ago, bro. when him and Sage are saying Sasori's a soccer victim, I was like, nah, this ain't it, man.
Like fucking like polarizing him.
making it so that
I'm glad they changed.
He
changed his stance.
Again,
yeah, no, he's definitely not calling fodder now.
You want to take Sasori to a higher end.
Six definitely probably came in. He's like,
hey. From the statement earlier,
yeah, he's probably telling him like, nah.
Under Datara, which is probably where I would subscribe to him being, especially considering how Sasori's third Kazekage should likely be above Gaara, or at least relative to him, with Sasori's additional weapons and control over the Iron Sand, meaning that like he could at least combat Datara, something implied by how Datara does respect Sasori quite a bit, with him even calling him master and things along those lines, despite having totally
that. Like, well, you don't call someone master if you're stronger than them. It'd be the other way around.
Exactly. Very relative to one another, with him being able to combo attack, something they could also do in the anime against the Edo.
I disagree with that. I feel like it'd be the contrary. So it wouldn't say they're relative. It'd say that Sasori is above.
Yeah, he's calling him fucking master. I mean,
for general speed and strength, he's relative to Datara's bodily output, and his Iron Sand is.
Look is fighting with Orochimaru. It's a story, not Datara.
But he would lose to Datara due to how Datara's
bomb showed the anime
sand, as shown against Gaara. Anyway, sorry if that felt tangential, although I hope you could see why this is absolutely pivotal for this match.
Look at that. Come on,
you walked away and nearly killed by Naruto's tail. If Sasori is relative to that, then he's cooked. And if he isn't,
that move is insane, bro.
And his other lines of skilling leave basically nowhere, meaning that we just wouldn't know how strong Bro actually is.
Avoid that and the 100 puppets? Come on.
Most people are cooked.
Kabuto's Viz translation statement is
because he was playing with them too, bro. That motherfucker, he did the 100 puppets first, and then all his Kazekage, whatever. Imagine him doing all that at once, like bloodlusted.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Come on, bro.
Yeah, that'll be raps for everybody. It's over.
And Lady Chill said in the end, if he wanted us dead, we would have been dead. He was holding back the whole time.
Yeah, he was definitely holding
Sasori just simply isn't there, and it's basically just saying that Sasori's not there, probably because he's dead. This fight should open with Sasori exiting the Hiriko shell and bringing out the third Kazekage, as he should understand how the Virthue Jinchuriki hides work, and his 100 puppets blades also probably don't have enough piercing power to get the poison in. However, the Iron Sand probably should.
He said his puppets don't have AP.
Yeah, at the very least, he'd have clouds though, and he would breathe that in anyway. He could use the
but not like, bro. The puppets can apply chakra to their body and their blades. Like, so blades.
I don't. Yeah, the Iron Sand, like fucking needles.
Bro, if that's how puppets operated, they'd be useless. There'd be no fucking point. Like, yeah, if they were just human level, basically, and, like, didn't have enough AP to fight, like, there'd be literally no point. Like even then, Conqueror wouldn't be able to hurt anybody. He would just have to use smoke bomb.
Yeah, at the very least, he could still make Naruto breathe in the poison anyway. At that point, he'd be paralyzed.
Above a full form Shukaku, and presumably his Biji bombs as well, as that's his ultimate weapon, and therefore the coated Iron Sand actually would probably pierce the hide.
I will say this: I don't think he can pierce through Naruto's shit, because we're talking about V2. I don't think he'd be able to pierce, but I will say that, again, if he inhales or whatever, then he might be cooked. I don't remember if V2 has a poison resistance. I don't. Yeah. I don't think so. I mean, so definitely, I think he would be susceptible to that.
They'd go into his fucking organs, like his lungs and shit. So
yeah.
So he probably would be cooked at that point if he drops fucking.
Unless you think he heals the poison effects immediately, and then it doesn't numb. But
if the Ninetales heals his fucking organs or something, maybe.
Yeah.
That's possible. We've seen him heal organs, but
poison is kind of ever evolving and upgrading, as highlighted.
My whole problem, though, I feel like he would have to be able to do it though, or be able to pierce or be strong enough, because if that was the case, Sasori wouldn't be able to capture anything then technically.
Yeah, no.
I mean, you know what I mean, because that's his fighting. That's his fighting style. So he'd just be cooked. Now, to be fair, he does have the ninjutsu. He does have all the elemental, fire style, water, all that, because he uses that too with the puppets.
Yeah.
Or with his own body. So there's that too. And again, if you have the scaling for Sasori in a certain sense, then in theory he should have enough AP to maybe even knock out V2 Naruto. But overall, it's interesting. I will say this: I do think Sasori would be successful in capturing Naruto. I do think so.
At the very least, I think the poison in the end would be enough. Yeah.
Yeah, either that or whatever. And let's say even if he can't
like somehow do anything with the poison and Naruto could heal, then at least the Iron Sand should be like strong enough to like subdue and then seal. That's the thing. He'll have sealing techniques. If Gaara knew sealing techniques with his sand, Sasori should definitely be able to do. Like he fought the third Kazekage, bro. You know, like yeah. So like, and actually, yeah, no, he would have the sealing because the third Kazekage has sealing techniques with the sand. So and he's using the third Kazekage, so he could also seal Naruto. Like he has ways to go about it. If all else fails, if he can't pierce or if the poison's not effective, then at least a sealing, bare minimum.
At least, you know. I would say like he definitely has more win cons and a higher probability of success than Datara. I'll say that.
And Gaara's dad could like fight Shikaku with all his sand.
Yeah,
so
like
the third Kazekage, a full tail, but yeah, exactly. So I don't see why Sasori couldn't be able to like subdue the four tails momentarily and then seal him. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So overall, yeah,
so
it's probably
kind of maintains its status as the most effective poison, something consistent with how it was so powerful that even Chiyo, who would conduct antidotes to Hanzo's poison, was having a harder time doing this to Sasori. So could Sasori defend himself enough to then close the distance and pierce him with it? And I would certainly have to say yes. And while yes, Sakura can crack Sasori's puppet body using a level of force likely below the base Sannin tier, the Iron Sand's defense is still virtually impregnable and would be defending Sasori throughout the duration of that battle. And on top of that, its offense is also just ridiculous through things like the Iron Sand, which would just guarantee at least one grain.
Oh yeah, like Orochimaru's bodying countries left and right by himself.
Shower, which Naruto just wouldn't really have an answer to. Couple this with his actual puppet body having the metal cord that might be able to pierce him and whatnot, or even just like the flamethrower.
But he'd be above because of statements.
I just have to grant Sasori
the statements
as well
put him up pretty
against
high.
Naruto like 7 out of 10 times. Next up, we have Konan.
He actually thinks he thinks he'd win more than that. All right, folks.
Cool.
Yeah, we're gonna I think we're gonna agree. Like the rest of the guy's fucking body.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. Yeah.
So shout out to Virthue.
This part.
Yeah, shout out to Virthue. We're gonna check out something I'm looking forward to. It's a Noodles and D1 debate apparently. I actually want to see.
What do you think for Konan though?
Oh, Konan, I don't think she pulls it off. I think she gets a bitch.
Yeah, I don't think she would need prep time. She would absolutely need prep time.
Yeah, I think there's only like a minute. What did he say?
And incapacitate her with his toad oil, so you could do what you will for her scaling, but
she lost dry, bro. Think about it. Chain scaling.
She has absolutely nothing to deal with Naruto
chain scaling
wise. So for Konan, she would get dealt with pretty easily. And with
he agrees.
Okay, cool.
Right, yeah, but yeah, folks, this one should be interesting. If Noodle's actually winning, I'll say he won. I don't fucking like him, obviously, but
here we go.
Yeah, I'll admit it. If I think he's winning, I'll admit that. I think they debate Sasuke versus Lee.
Yeah, it's Sasuke and Lee.
The cheating exam. So let's see what they say.
From my memory, though, I will say this though, J2, he did a very, very poor job advocating for Sasuke. He could have done so much better. It gave D1 a lot of room to kind of go around and talk, whatever, blah blah, and rebuttal, you name it. Yeah. So he did a very, very bad job, in my opinion, when I first listened. And then also, they went into this weird fucking territory of like comparing the Tomo shotguns and all that shit. It was just so dumb. It was so dumb. But all right,
it's very nuanced. Let's see what they say.
Yeah.
You get a high five.
What's up, D1?
What's good? Shimmer, I just slammed you in our last debate on Naruto. You performed terrible. I don't know why you're a bitch ass talking, you African ass bitch.
Anyways, calm down, D1. Calm down.
Yeah, but anyways, why do you think Sasuke win?
I think that Sasuke is just Lee, but better. Like he just has Lee's speed. He has Lee's capability with taijutsu. He has his ninjutsu, or he has ninjutsu. Lee doesn't have ninjutsu. He performs the same feats against Gaara. He has calcs that put him higher, like multitude of reasons.
Okay, so calcs. What claim do you want to go over first? You just made a lot. You just listed out a lot.
Whichever
you want. Bitch ass calcs.
Okay,
he's doing great.
That Lee is, Sasuke is Lee, but better in terms of what?
The examples I gave, like I listed like some. So pick an example specifically.
Yeah, do you want to go over speed?
Sure.
Oh, I'm gonna say this real quick. I would bitch the fuck out of Noodles in part 1 Naruto. Jay would destroy him in part 1 Naruto. He would never do that with us, though. He knows better. He knows he has to stick to his ratty ass, like Shippuden topics that he always debates.
Retarded ass fucking Toriyama bullshit.
Toriyama,
He gets slammed on that shit too.
Directly contradicted that Sasuke is literally slower than Lee.
In what way?
There's multiple statements that compare Sasuke to a slower version of Lee, and then those statements literally suggest that Sasuke isn't as fast as Lee.
Which one?
I'll go with the first one. I'll go get it.
Yeah, he's referring to I would assume Sasuke's like physical stats without the Chidori, which is true.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he definitely gates Lee's not fast.
Obviously, Noodles is more likely not going to grant that blah for many reasons, right? But you know,
want to reference it. I probably know what it is.
Yeah, he's definitely like it's stated by Guy, like, oh, he's comparable to like Weightless Lee.
Yeah, there's two statements.
Exactly.
He says that at first,
but
he
says
right
practically
after that,
the same speed.
He's actually got the exact same speed as Lee. So Guy himself,
practically.
Yeah, practically.
He never
so that means like he's relative or close.
Speed.
And that's like weightlessly, not even Gates.
Yeah, so you
exactly. That's really sad.
Speed means that they're equal in speed, correct?
Yeah, in base.
It makes sense. Sasuke only had a month, to get stronger. So
yeah,
exactly. Lee had years.
Yeah.
And that's like very impressive for Sasuke too. Like the fact that he even got to weightless or like at least relative, regardless if you think he's like close or if you still don't think he's like very close at all, but like approaching there. Regardless of that, that's only the can of worms. What's it called? Like it's still very impressive because in a very short time span, he got an insane level of speed, and it took Lee years. That's insane.
Yeah, literally, that is a feat. That just shows his
that is crazy how Sasuke. Like imagine Sasuke the same years. Oh my god! Right?
Yeah, he fucking cracked.
You wonder why he was in Shippuden. You know,
literally.
I guess we can go to media. Look in media. This is
like Rock Lee be crying and sweating. He'd be like, "Oh my god, his body's too fast, and with the shotgun."
One that he makes.
He's like, "He's better than me in Gates."
That he makes before this, where he says that's almost Lee's average speed.
Yeah, he does say average speed. Yeah, which is not Gates.
Do you agree that practically the same speed just means that they're just equal in speed, though?
No, not equal. No, what the fuck?
They're equal.
There's no what practically.
There's no what practically means.
It means almost, about.
Yes.
Well, almost also kind of just means that they're relative in base.
Oh, wait, but
now you're changing your claim.
First, you initially claimed that it states that.
Yeah, pause right there. You see, this is what he does in his debates, though. He does that a lot. He'll make a claim, and when someone disproves or debunks it, then he'll now make a new claim and said he was saying that instead. That's not true.
Yeah, and I think are they talking about just base to base, or they're talking about overall tuning exam? Because D1 would have to say is, oh, Gates is way fucking faster, but
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. As of now, they're you can rewind it just in case if need be, but because a couple times I was talking, but yeah, from what I heard, they're talking about just their base.
Okay. That's more understandable.
It means almost about.
Yeah.
Well, almost also kind of just means that they're relative in base.
Oh, yeah,
but
he said in base. Okay.
First, you initially claimed that it's
that one's more debatable, to be fair, but yeah, it's more debatable.
That they're exactly the same speed, and then you.
Well, let's just assume for a second. It's just we're talking about this statement. I get that. I understand what I said, but let's talk about this specific statement because we're talking about this statement. So
okay, so I want to go over the first statement, the first claim that you made.
I know that, but
you can't just change the fucking.
Okay, but you just tried to say that practically.
He's changing the fucking point.
We can go back to that when I actually find the scan for that. But I'm talking specifically about this. Like
D1 was scaling, and now he's trying to change
speed or almost the same speed. Doesn't that just reference that they're just basically the same speed?
No, because this is a slower version of Lee that he's being compared to, and he's still
a slower form of Sasuke.
And hold on, wait. Are you saying that what makes Sasuke faster?
His Sharingan and Chidori.
When was the Sharingan ever stated to increase your speed?
It's stated several times that it's able to enhance you with chakra in your eye. And it's
to the contrary. It's stated to the contrary.
It's also like
in the fight with Rock Lee and Sasuke,
things like that. So he intercepts things faster as well.
Yeah, predicted movements doesn't mean that you're inherently getting faster. That's not what the Sharingan does here in this instance.
It does allow you to predict better, which allows
pause this real quick, Jay. So here's what I'll give another thing. If D1 just said this right off the whip, I don't remember if he does. If he did, good. But if he didn't, then he made this way more longer than it needed to be. What Noodles just said right there is actually not true. The Sharingan, at least, I'm not speaking for the MS, but the Sharingan, it doesn't amp your body physically. What's it called? It's actually the opposite. Lee is roasting Sasuke and saying, sure, you can perceive my movements, but your body is too weak and not fast enough to react to me, which is why I keep blitzing you. You know? So, it's blatantly explained and completely contradicted statement-wise and by feats for reinforcement. But
let's see if D1 actually. Yeah, he should bring that up.
Notice I'm allowing you to finish.
It's just shown with their first fight.
Yeah.
My bad.
With Killer B as well?
Yeah, so what the Sharingan does in this instant, all it does is it allows you to predict people's movements. It doesn't initially make you physically faster. That's not what the Sharingan does.
That is actually what it does, though.
No, it does not. It doesn't make you physically faster. When does Sasuke activate the Sharingan and then he gets faster? I can
we see with the third Tomo.
Hold on, wait. He doesn't get the third Tomo here.
That's precog.
I'm not saying he gets a third Tomo here. He has a second. He gets a second Tomo during this fight. But I'm just saying, compared to base, that should still be faster. So with the third Tomo, he was previously getting like blitzed by Naruto, or second Tomo, he was getting blitzed by like One Tails Naruto, and then he gets the third Tomo and he starts like tagging the fuck out of him. So that obviously shows an increase in speed.
That's a false equivalence. That's third Tomo though.
Yeah, it's not
because he doesn't get the third Tomo.
That's later on.
You see, D1 just said it. D1 just said false equivalence. Yeah, pause it right there. So Noodles is trying to say, okay, well, it's shown with the third Tomo, but we're talking about 2 Tomo tuning exam Sasuke. And then D1 just also out of that and said that's a false equivalence, but he just said it in a different way. What's it called? So yeah, that's not true. For one, that's 3 Tomo, completely different. And 2, if we're even analyzing that further, again, it boils down to them debating, but me and Jay are just speaking for ourselves. If we were in the situation, that's still precog. All that really happens is he just gets higher kinetic visual acuity, and then he's able to even perceive Naruto even better, to where it's like he can see his fucking after image, literally, shown on the manga, to where he can see what he's about to do before it even happens. So he's just able to predict and then respond accordingly. So, and his 2 Tomo form was actually able to react to Kyuubi Naruto. He was relative. Kyuubi Naruto was slightly over, but he was relative, to where he could still respond at certain moments. But then when he gets that 3 Tomo, now that his precog is so fucking cracked, it's ridiculous. He can use his relative speed, incorporate the aim dodging and precog and all that, and he's just able to bully the fuck out of Kyuubi Naruto. So
yeah.
Wait,
how they go about
this. Finish. Hold on.
Yeah.
Can somebody cut that recording off too?
Yeah, turn that shit off.
So yeah, the physical like speed amp is still not that's still not true, bro.
Yeah.
Especially for 2 Tomo. Like, what?
Oh,
like,
bad.
Not 2 Tomo.
Okay, thank you. So what Sasuke does, even with the third Tomo that you brought up, he's not physically getting faster. So what happens is the third Tomo obviously gives him some sort of precognition that allows him to see movements before it actually happens. So that gives him some aim dodge time for him to be able to move out of the way before the attacks are actually being landed. So it's not actually him physically getting faster. It's just him being able to see movements, and now he's able to move out of the way before
he's able to react quicker, right? Like he's able to move. He's able to move quicker. Because then Go ahead.
Let me finish. Because the initial claim that you made is that he's actually getting faster in terms of speed. But I'm telling you, no, he's not getting faster in terms of speed. He's getting faster at which he can see movements actually, the perception of what he can see movements at. Right. And so now he gets the aim dodge time frame to order to move out of the way before the attack is now happening. Okay. So
he didn't have that before.
In the instance here with the second Tomo, it doesn't give him that same precognition that the third Tomo gives him. But I can grant that the Chidori makes him faster, but the Sharingan here does not physically make him faster.
D1, you're not really understanding though.
So
what
he
you
grants the Chidori
is not different functionality and being faster. Like
they're
you're
debating.
saying,
They're debating tuning exam Sasuke versus tuning exam Lee, and I think it's just base to base. They're not including gates from what I see. So.
Really getting
and they're also talking about like if the Sharingan physically amps right now,
which allows him to see attacks before they come at him, so he moves faster, like he reacts quicker. So it's he's aim dodging, right? And aim dodging, it's like you're able to see things coming from farther away, so you're able to start your movement prior because your reaction time is quicker. So it's like in functionality,
but you don't become physically faster though,
or like in this case, attacking faster and just starting your attack sooner.
Remember the right Kage moment
or speed is literally
like the fucking. So that's another perfect example. Like he was only able to tag the right Kage because for one, he already had the initial speed to do so, and 2, along with the precog, he saw the linear moment, the direct motion, right? Ducks under, and then bam, stabs him. You know what I mean? Like, and then that's all he did. And now he's at a distance too. But then whenever he's in close range and like close proximity, the right Kage immediately subdues and grabs him, and then it's about to kill him, and he had to use the MS. You know, so like. Like that's like the physical like shit, like that's just not how that works. If the Sharingan was like even if we granted it was a physical amp 2, if it was so drastic, or let's say even if it was why the fuck is he learning like Chidori or all these things or whatever? Like that doesn't make any sense. Or why is he even having to train his body for a month just to acquire a really fast taijutsu based body in corporation with Chidori? Like there's just so much to the contrary that doesn't really make sense. If his Sharingan was just enough, then there you go. And better yet, he would have beat Lee when they had their first match. But that was the problem. There was a severe stat gap between the two, and that was weighted Lee at that point.
Yeah, there's a way Noodles could refute it, but I want to see if he says it the right way. Like what I would say, if I was in Noodles' shoes, I'd say, well, if we're talking about overall speed, there's two actions when each attack is thrown. So one, your neurons have to fire. That's perception, right? And then that's what the Sharingan does amplify. Like it amplifies that for sure. Now, because of that, the overall time it takes for, let's say, your fist to land on someone's face is less because your physical speed isn't. Like if we say, that the Sharingan doesn't amplify that aspect of the attack, that's the same. The perception is quicker. Your neurons are firing at a quicker rate. So overall, the time span that it takes for your fist to land on your opponent's face is actually less. So overall, you're faster. Maybe your physical speed isn't, but overall, you're a faster combatant. If you could say that, that's a good refutation. But if he's just arguing, it amplifies your physical stats, then he's gonna have to prove that, though. He's gonna have to prove that.
Because it's two different distinctions. Like you could say, sure, in an overall sense, like he's faster in a regard, right? Like or whatever, blah blah. But like to say you're physically being enhanced as what? That's not how that works. That's two different things.
He'd have to prove that. He'd have to prove that it's like his physical statement or something. So it depends how he refutes this. If he makes that distinction. But yeah, physically he'd have to prove that though.
You're able to see things coming from farther away, so you're able to start your movement prior because your reaction time is quicker.
Okay, he said to start your reaction prior. He is right about that. Like you're starting quicker because your perception's faster. That's true, but
in functionality, there's no difference between him running fast or like in this case attacking faster and just starting your attack sooner. Like distance or speed is literally just distance over time. Okay. Well, in this case, the time frame in which to react is being increased, so he's able to react quicker because of that. That's why he goes from getting blitzed to tagging someone and beating the shit out of someone that was blitzing him. Like he literally goes from getting blitzed to low-key like blitzing Naruto. So it's like there is definitely a functionality speed difference here between them. Now, regardless if you want to like say it's just because of precognition or physical movement speed, I don't really give a fuck. It doesn't change.
Right. Okay. So that's what I would have said. I probably would have worded it better, but basically that he's saying overall speed wise, you've been improved.
You're enhanced.
Yeah. So that he's right about, but he has to make the distinction.
And D1 would agree with that too, because that's just blatantly shown with, again, with the 3-tomo to 2-tomo, right? With Kyuubi Naruto. Like there was clearly a drastic precognition difference, which allowed him to now even respond, even better. Because he like that's the where this part, like, he has the speed already. He's already retained the speed he needs necessary to combat Kyuubi Naruto. Yeah. But because he has higher precog, you know what I mean? Which, aka the 3-tomo, now he could do it even way more technically faster and better and more competent,
Yeah. So although I don't like Noodles, he did approach that the right way. But let's see, though.
The argument.
It does change the argument, Noodles, because you're comparing the third tomoe, which is way different from the second tomoe, which he doesn't get in the tuning exams. So you cannot use that example. And if
that's false equivalence.
Oh my God, why
do you keep exams? Go ahead.
Oh my God. So with the third tomoe in Naruto, it obviously gives him a different functionality. Function than what the second tomoe does in the tuning exams. Okay, so he doesn't get the same type of precognition that he does, where he can actually physically see the movements before they happen or get this.
So this doesn't work for Noodles because it's not 3-tomo.
Second tomoe doesn't allow
it's not. It's not.
So when
if it was 3-tomo, then sure,
but
the
Sharingan first needs to perceive Lee movements in order for it to work in the fucking first place, because we already get the statement from Lee. Where
actually, I'm gonna take a piss. I've been holding it. I'll be right back though.
There you go, bro.
Right back.
Hola, chat. If you have any questions, ask away, whatever. I'll read while he's gone. Hola, amigos. Amigos. Just know I'm a Leaf fan, so at least for part 1, so. Oh, fuck. I did something. God damn it. Okay. Lee murders him. My opinion. Okay, I feel you. Absolutely facts. What Sasuke fight are they debating? Yeah, Jay already answered that. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, but if you guys have any questions, anything, whatever, or who do you think's winning so far? Let us know. Let us know. Pretty sure me and Jay are in agreement with everything that's been said so far. But as of now, currently, because the disconnect, which would take away from what Noodles is still doing, it's not 3 Tomo, it's 2 Tomo. So again, it'd just be simply a false equivalence disconnect. So it wouldn't go through for Noodles. So D1 technically has it so far as of now, but as for when Noodles was saying the overall thing with reacting speed, whatever, blah, me and Jay also agreed on that as well. So wait. And then for like the physical amp thing, we also agreed on that too. So everything's been in agreement. I'm pretty sure you guys will be on the same page, but like the only way this could work for Noodles is if he's somehow, some way able to advocate that the 2 Tomo can function to the same degree as the 3 Tomo. And there is absolutely no way to prove that. So just not to the same emphasis, I'll say. But yo, what's good, Random Black Guy? What's good? Yo. Any questions? Let us know.
Your son needs a diaper change.
Yo, sorry folks, I returned. My bad, y'all. Alright. Let me make sure I'm still in the voice chat. Give me a second, folks. Alright. Let's continue, folks. So far, interesting debate. I'm gonna give credit where credit's due, though.
As for a general consensus, though,
yeah,
D1 would still technically have it at this point because of the false equivalence disconnect. But
yeah,
the only way that could go through is if he could prove that the 3 Tomo functions as the same as the 2 Tomo, which that's just impossible.
He has to prove that, he's right about
the overall speed thing.
But but he has to prove that it's equivalent. Yeah.
Let's see. And then the fucking and then the physical thing, like D1 was technically right on that because obviously it's not physically, it just be as an overall sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
See my movements, but if your eyes are not fast enough to predict my movements, then it just wouldn't work, right? So what you about to say?
I was gonna ask you, so you think that he only gets the movement prediction when he opens the 3rd Tomo? Is that what you said?
We know that with each Tomoe, it does different things, right? So as with the first
I think
Tomo,
it just enhances it.
No, I don't think it does. We all, I can literally get like statements where it states like the first tomoe, it allows you to like copy jutsu. Then the second tomoe, it gives you, I forgot what the fuck it does. And then we see that the third tomoe allows him to get precognition, whereas the movements see beforehand. So we know that there's different applications with each tomoe. That's like the same thing. Like when you get the MS is just a whole completely different type of variation of the tomoe.
Sure.
When the tomoe comes
I agree the Mangekyo does different shit, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Different abilities. But I'm saying that's a form of the tomoes, right? When it turns into the MS. It's just
that could work against you, by the way. I'm not going to explain why yet, but that can actually work against you if you're saying that. Because I do think the Mangekyo does do different things overall. I think it's like a completely different thing. But with the 3 tomo and 2 tomo thing, do you remember when Sasuke fought Haku?
Oh, the Haku fight.
So what was happening before he unlocked the Sharingan?
He tried to predict the needles.
That's a good reference. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I'm talking before he unlocked the Sharingan. What was Haku doing to like Naruto and Sasuke?
He was throwing needles at him.
He's like blitzing them basically, right, with needles. He pierced Sasuke like all over. Maybe not blitz. Let's not get into the semantics of it, but he was tagging Sasuke all over his body. Sasuke was making claims like he literally couldn't like react to his movement and things like that. Yeah. And then when he unlocked the Sharingan, what started happening?
It just gives him better perception. That's different from what I'm saying.
He started reacting to his movements, though.
No, he was still getting hit with the needles.
It visually shows us that he starts tracking Haku's movement. So it's like the Sharingan in that case is also tracking movement, just like the 3 tomo was. It's just that the 3 tomo does it to a higher scale, which makes sense. It's an evolution, so it's going to do the same ability just to a higher scale. His movement tracking is still present during the 2nd tomo. So I think that if we're comparing base to 2nd tomo, obviously he's still going to have that like precognition now, and now he's going to be able to react quicker because of it, and in functionality that is going to make him faster, even if you don't want to grant the fact that it's like physically making him faster, which I think it does because it's still giving him chakra.
Okay, so there's a distinction here, which you're not really understanding the correlation that I'm making. So what I'm saying here is that yes, the Sharingan does give you better perception, but with each tomoe, that gives you a different application in which you can perceive. So with the first tomoe, it allows you to copy jutsu. Obviously, that requires some type of perception, right? But here with the third tomoe, it shows you things literally in slow motion, whereas we literally see the after images of Naruto, which we have never ever seen before with the Sharingan, which literally explains the correlation that the third tomoe literally gives you. Okay, it allows you to see movements before they actually happen. That's not something that he gets with the fucking second tomoe. The second tomoe just gives him a better perception at which he could perceive things, and not actually showing him things in slow motion or showing their movements beforehand. So when I say this, he's not actually physically getting faster here. The fucking Sharingan just gives him better perception. It allows you to see things, allow him to see chakra, which can inherently make you see things, right? Better. So what I said with Lee, if he's not able to perceive Lee movements with the Sharingan, then this argument doesn't fucking matter because it's literally showing that Sasuke is literally slower than Lee physically. Okay, so when you say that, well, the Sharingan makes him faster, it would now give him the speed at which he's now faster than Lee. That would be something up for you to prove.
So yeah, you real quick. The first thing you said was that time begins to slow when he has the third tomo, right? You said something along those lines. That,
no, I said the movements. The movements he can literally see.
Oh yeah. You know what I mean, though. Like where shit starts to slow down from the Sasuke's perception, right?
No, I'm saying it literally shows the movements, like the after images of the movements, where he sees that Naruto's going to be here, or he predicts where Naruto's going to be there. It physically shows him that with the Sharingan. But before that, we have never seen that in the series. Right?
Hold on, big dog. What I'm saying, what I'm trying to tell you is like we see exactly what you're referring to in the Haku fight. Like you literally say the movements of the person begin to slow when you have the third tomo.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. With the Haku instance, it just gives him better perception when he unlocks the Sharingan. It's not that.
What does better perception mean in this case?
Meaning that he could perceive higher speeds of people. So like how he can see chakra, with the Sharingan and stuff, that allows him to see better.
So you're not claiming that he's getting like the capacity. So you're saying like he's able to perceive movements faster and stuff like that. Therefore, he can react to those movements better because that's what happens with Haku. He wasn't reacting previously, and then he starts reacting to Haku once he unlocks the Sharingan. So what in essence is happening is his perception speed has gotten better, his reaction speed has gotten better in that case, and he's able to react faster to Haku. And that's exactly what's happening with the third tomo.
I disagree with that. That's what I'm disagreeing with, Noodles. You're trying to make this claim where you're saying, well, the Sharingan allows him to react faster here. He's not actually reacting faster. He's aim dodging. It's giving him a time frame at which he can move out of the way before an attack is coming.
Yeah, I think they're talking past each other because what Noodle should say is that overall he's faster. He shouldn't use the word react. He's perceiving faster. So overall his speed is increased. That's what he should say. Physically he's not reacting faster. If you think that it doesn't provide any physical amp, he is perceiving things faster, so his body has more time to react to it. There's less distance being covered prior to him actually moving his body because he's perceiving things faster. He sees things coming at a quicker rate due to the Sharingan. But they're talking past each other. But yeah, it's an interesting debate though.
So it may seemingly seem as though that he's moving faster, but in reality he is not.
That's not difference in functionality though.
With the Sharingan, he can literally see chakra, which allows him to perceive better.
Yeah,
he himself is not getting physically faster.
You're not understanding though.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Is it paused? No, it's just the only thing it shows. This is a debate.
What you're saying here is that
what's going on, random?
Since that the Sharingan allows him to react better, even though that he's not physically getting faster, it still allows him to perform better in battle. That's exactly what you're saying with the instance with here.
Well, not specifically. You missed a very specific part.
I'm saying that's the gist of what you're saying.
The gist, sure, but not. Yeah, you're missing a very important aspect of it.
That they're literally saying here. But what you're the other thing that you're literally claiming is saying that within the Tomoe, it just gives him it just amplifies at which he can perceive. So when he goes from the first Tomoe to the 2-second Tomoe, it just enhances his perception. It makes it get faster or whatever and make him react faster, blase. But what I'm saying is that no, it has a completely different aspect of perception here, whereas the first Tomoe allows him to copy jutsu. The second, I don't really know what the second does. It didn't really give us an instance of what it does. And the third Tomoe, where it literally explicitly shows
I think he unlocks the first Tomoe against
that he's allowed like to see movements, like the after images of movements and stuff like with Naruto and stuff like that. Where
it's not after images. He's predicting movement at that point. It's not after images. It's like
I'm saying
it
shows him the after image. Well, pre.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's like pre-images of where they're gonna be and shit. So
yeah, you get what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
So those are like the different applications of the Tomoe. So
no, I get what you're saying perfectly. Yeah. I get what you're saying. It's just like what I'm trying to establish to you is like, so the difference between like actually increasing speed and like having this precog like aim dodge capability, which you agree is like what Sasuke is doing with the 2 Tomoe. Yeah, like this aim, he's kind of like perceiving them and aim dodging quicker. That's what you're saying with the 2 Tomoe.
When does he does that with the 2 Tomoe?
You're talking about with Haku, right? You think that's what's happening?
That's the 1 Tomoe. When he gets 2 Tomoe against Haku?
I'm not for sure when he gets the 2 Tomoe. I was regarding the 1 Tomoe in this instance because I can't remember if he has 1 Tomoe or 2 Tomoe against Haku, so it's kind of confusing. But either way, what I'm trying to point out to you is this, right? When we have this situation where Sasuke is reacting to Haku, at first he's not able to react, gets the Sharingan, he's able to react. This shows that he is accounting for that speed disparity through perception. And what I mean by that is there's not a difference between me being as fast as there is a difference, but in functionality in combat, there's not a difference between me being as fast as a car and dodging a car, like right as it's like coming up on me. Like if like, let's say I hear it right when it's right behind me, I'm not aim dodging in any regard. I'm just dodging it with straight speed. That's one way to dodge the car. Now, let's say I see the car coming down the road or whatever, and I'm able to aim dodge and I'm able to perceive it coming at me in a linear way, and I get off the road. The function was getting off the road. So we both did that. We just did it through different means. The way that Sasuke is perceiving people isn't just like a car coming down the road, though. He just has such good perception with his Sharingan that he's able to perceive characters and their attacks quicker. So he's able to react and start his movements quicker because of that, because he already is seeing it.
That's what I would have said.
Now, I'm not saying this is like infallible.
Again, folks, I don't like Noodles, but this is exactly what I would have said. It's his perception is enhanced. Whether or not his physical reaction is enhanced or not it's negligible because his overall speed is enhanced. That's the point that Noodles is trying to make. He's right. I mean, he used the Haku example. That does display enhanced speed. Regardless of whether you think it's physical or it's simply perception or perhaps both, the point is it's enhanced. He's right. I mean, I don't like him, but he's right on that point.
But it does show that in functionality, it does function. It's no different than someone not having that perceptive capability and just being fast enough to dodge it. It's not really different because the function in this case is just dodging the attacks. So his capability to dodge, block, and attack is all going to be faster due to his enhanced perception.
My bad, Jay. I had to do something really quick. What happened so far?
So yeah, Noodles actually brought up a good example with Haku. Like it does show,
okay.
When he does get, I think it's 1 or 2. I forgot how many Tomoes he got against Haku, but it shows
he had 2 Tomo in the left eye and 1 Tomo in the other eye.
That's fucking weird. Yeah, it shows that, but it shows like the same thing it showed in the Naruto fight to a lesser degree, but it showed him like have more success.
I agree. If you're referring to the point where they're saying like it, like from going from 1 Tomo and above, it's just enhancing the precog overall. I do agree with that as well.
Yeah.
I think what the angle D1 was trying to go with, from my memory, but because again I wasn't with you when you were listening to all this, but that's why I asked you. But from my memory though, it's along the lines where he was trying to speak like from what we see objectively, right? You know what I mean? Like where the 1 Tomo, it's like this or whatever, or like or whatever copy, yada yada, right? Or like the 3 Tomo, you see like the after images. He tried to like go with the objective route of what's actually occurring with each Tomo.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to the subjective route of whether or not if it enhances whatever blah blah, because that's not like blatantly stated, you know what I mean, like verbatim, but there's at least ways to advocate or substantiate that, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or there's like certain feats or whatever, or even certain statements. So like there is a way to prove subjectively that would be the higher probability that it is being enhanced overall.
Yeah, overall.
So I would agree, and it makes sense because you're getting like a 1 Tomo. Then you're doing a 2 Tomo, and then a 3, and like you're getting more eyes. You have like your main eye, and you're getting 2 other eyes. You know, like
it's further evolution. Yeah. Like you're more capable speed wise, overall speed wise. Maybe you could argue whether it's physical as well, but overall you're able to react. You're able to overall be more successful in combat speed wise.
Yeah, that's why like Sasuke, like he was getting blitzed the whole time by Hog, which obviously for many, he's a fucking joining level and he's more stronger than Kakashi, right? But as Haku starts to spam his jutsus and his teleportation, which is severely, drastically nerfing him throughout the fight, then he eventually gets like slow enough to where Sasuke, even without the Sharingan, could still react or do whatever, but he was still getting bitched.
Yeah.
But then when he gets the Sharingan, now he can't even be touched. Yeah. You know what I mean? So again, it definitely has to be somewhat of an enhancement, because if he's over here performing better, feats wise, and you name it, and there's even statements to where Haku said, "Oh, it's like he can see me," or this and that, or blah blah, you know, and then it shows like the Sharingan emphasis. You know, come on, you know what I mean? Like it's very straightforward in the Haku fight. You know what I mean? From my memory, so
like physically shown, like observably shown.
So like along with this whole thing, I think they tried to discuss. It was just mainly about like whether or not the precognition is enhanced from Tomo to Tomo. I think I did agree with Noodles, like comparing what they were saying, because that's just right. At the end of the day, it has nothing to do with when they're talking about fucking Lee and Sasuke, though. You know what I mean? With the whole 3 Tomo 2. So like I love how they this even gets into a red herring fucking bullshit. But either way, if we're talking about then yeah, I would agree with Noodles.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, D1's losing this point, but he should have not even entertained it, because
it has nothing to do.
This doesn't prove that he's above Gates Lee anyway. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, like, and not even weightlessly. Yeah,
no, not even weightless. Even that's like he says in the manga. He says Lee's average speed, like fucking. Yeah. That's his average speed. He's not going all out. He's not in his gates. Hell, definitely not in his fucking gates. Like. He didn't have to
and weightless Lee is no fucking joke, man, because like people be sleeping on, because even though it said like he's practically almost the same speed, like the crazy thing though is like fucking when we eventually see Lee after the surgery and everything, whatever, to where, and like Gaara even says, like after watching him fight Kimamaru and shit, he's like, you were way more faster and way more sharper. And so like he's clearly not even like at his max, potential. But yet he was like doing pretty well against Kimamaru, and that was with no gates and he was doing well. Like I'm not saying he was shitting on Kimamaru, but he was doing pretty good. While Naruto had to do a QB chakra mode, a mental amp, and 2,000 fucking QB clones with a chakra cloak on top of it, and he couldn't even land a single blow. While Lee, just by himself, is at least just going relative or equal with Kimamaru, however you want to perceive it, but he's at least going with him, right? They're just dancing around, they're doing things, and Kimamaru's just avoiding whatever, blah blah. And if you take the anime into consideration, he even lands several blows on him as well, while Naruto couldn't even do shit as cute. You know what I mean? So again, like Weightless Lee is pretty fucking impressive if you actually analyze him in a deeper sense. But again, like you said, the most important thing, this is not even Gates. And we know Gates is way beyond weightless. You know what I mean?
Yeah, way beyond. It's not even, like, these apps don't even matter. It doesn't matter anyway.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's weird because they didn't make it clear. Like, if they're debating overall, this really D1 could win easily if they're including Gates. Yeah. I mean, like, if it's base to base, okay, it's more interesting. But I don't know. I don't know.
That's the sad part. I think what was gonna happen is because, like, you know how Noodles operates, man. He creates all these rabbit holes, red herring, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what he basically did. And then D1 entertained or whatever, blah blah. Maybe it was like an ego thing, and he wanted to bitch him or whatever. But that's what's kind of annoying because it stays like that for the majority of this debate. And then when it gets to the end, they do like a bullshit pack off, and then D1's not able to present his scaling. It was just Noodles trying to scale only or whatever and make all these fucking points, and D1 on the defense. And it was annoying because D1 was going to scale at first in the beginning of this debate, but then Noodles, you saw what he did in the beginning. He's like, he changed it and then wanted to make his own point and then just went from there. You know, so like overall, like that's what's kind of annoying. Maybe D1 would have eventually got it, but unfortunately, you'll see once we get to the debate. It's just constant defense, basically.
Yeah, it's this is just a weird tangent.
I think his perception speed, his reaction speed is getting better, and he's able to move quicker because of that, because his time frame in which to react is longer, so it gives him more time to start his movement. So I do think that does play a factor in combat speed. It definitely does, in fact. That's why he goes from getting blitzed by characters to attacking them afterwards.
Yeah, you're in all the instances of you named are instances that are not in the tuning exams. You haven't yet to give me an instance where in the tuning exam he does this factor, so that doesn't even matter. But
I don't know if it matters because they did it before.
The main point of contention here was saying that he's not physically getting faster. I already agreed to the notion that the Sharingan allows him to get a bigger time frame at which he can literally move out of the way of attack, which does indirectly.
Everyone's in agreement with what we said too.
But when you talk about in terms of like combat speed, like him running from point A to point B, or him punching somebody.
That's run speed. That's not combat speed.
I'm about to name aspects in combat. So when we talk about combat speed, we're talking about the things that you do within combat, like how he charges at you with the Chidori.
That's not what I say.
He literally runs at you with the Chidori, which is a form of combat speed. So running from point A to point B.
You agree the Chidori enhances his travel speed, don't you?
Don't change it yet. Let me go over this Sharingan point.
Yeah.
So from point A to point B, when he's running with the Sharingan alone, he's not physically getting faster here. So that's what I'm saying when you try to say, well, he gets compared to the Sharingan Sasuke gets compared to Lee, even though this is a slower version of Lee, and it still states that Lee is faster than him. Okay, so when we say that you're saying, oh well, since he has a Sharingan, he'll be able to keep up with this Lee, right? I want proof of that. I want an argument for why you think that he'll be able to keep up with Lee's speed.
Yeah, that's what's important.
There's a lot of contradictions that literally showcase that Lee is faster.
Okay, we can get into it.
To a majority. Yeah, go ahead.
We can get into why I think this, but in the first thing, I'm not going to really go over the Sharingan point. I think you basically agree with me for the most part. You just think that like Sasuke can't run faster and stuff like that, but you do agree his time frames and getting increased with having the Sharingan. I think you did say something along the lines of, we didn't see this during the tuning exams. You would agree he doesn't lose like the power of the Sharingan during the tuning exams, right? Like he still has the Sharingan.
The instances that you brought up is when he has a higher form of the Sharingan.
No, I brought up Haku. That's like in the very beginning. That's like the one Tomo. He has a two Tomo now.
Yeah, my contention with the Haku thing is that he still gets beat up by Haku even when he gets to Sharingan. He still gets stabs with the needles. Like
I don't think you remember really what happens.
That's true. That's true as well. He does get stabbed in certain moments.
No, he starts reacting. He literally
did perform better too.
He was already fucked up.
He did perform better. That's
You're
for
like
sure.
ignoring the context. Like he was already had like needles
all this is irrelevant because when I wish anyone would say it in a sense too, but like Noodle's not realizing this doesn't engage with comparing them in tuning exams.
Which is what I refer to when I talk about combat speed. And because he has this capability earlier in part 1, he doesn't suddenly lose that capability in in the tuning exams. In fact, if anything, it's improved because he's been training and got the second Tomo. So I think it's gotten better. Anyway, what I was going to move on from that point, I was gonna go on to the shit of why I think that like he can react to Lee or whatever. Like I've now demonstrated that his combat speed and reaction speed should be faster. So let's talk about travel speed.
That wasn't a point of contention. You never claimed.
I think I have.
Hold on, wait. You never made a comparison between Lee's reaction speed and Sasuke's reaction speed. The point that we were arguing over right now is saying that why the Sharingan doesn't physically make Sasuke faster. And then you were talking about how the Sharingan gives him a bigger time frame at which he can react to attacks. So inherently, right, it will make his combat speed faster.
This is getting tedious. Yeah, it is.
But as far as him running and try to punch and kick
I'm
somebody,
not talking about
he's
running.
not physically getting faster.
But he can move his arm at an earlier time period.
So that's a problem. Noodles initially made the claim he's physically getting faster.
Yeah, he might have actually.
He did say that at the beginning, so the D1's not wrong that he did say that, but then he changed his claim and said like in an overall sense, which we all would obviously agree to. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that's obvious. Yeah, he definitely.
The Sharingan is greater than Lee's. What's their argument for that?
Hold on. Let me get to that. I'll get to that right after, real quick. Like, let's say we're in a race, D1, and like, if I have a longer time,
what the fuck are you talking about?
The race than you do, but you're faster than me, and we complete it at the same time, right? That shows that like me having that longer time frame allowed me to complete the race. Like,
you can't
basically
be
like a head start, right? Like, if you give me a head
start,
how it works. To the destination.
That's
at the same time.
Yeah, that's
no, it's just a hypothetical. I'm not presupposing anything. It's a hypothetical.
Yeah, and I'm saying that hypothetical, right? That you're trying to correlate to both Sasuke and Lee because that's what you're using a hypothetical for. Because you're trying to say that Sasuke,
of course, it's an analogy.
And whereas Lee is faster than Sasuke, but they both complete at the same time, that presupposes that that Lee is somewhere near Sasuke's speed to the point where they finish at the same time with the race.
Guy says they're practically the same speed, so he is somewhere near. That's not a presupposition. We know that.
Oh my god. So and I said that I don't think that it's nearly nowhere. I think that Lee is still above because they're compared to slower forms of Lee. Right. It's literally.
But that's base Sasuke as well. That's a base Sasuke that they're comparing
to his average speed. And it's comparing to his average speed.
No. That's not what happened though. What happened is it's not just like this like average speed of Lee. He says average speed at first, and then he said he's practically the same speed later, as in like he now thinks he's just like the same speed as him overall. And we know this to be the case too, because Lee himself is even like, oh, it took me decades to achieve this.
I zoned out for a moment of my life. What was the assumption part? My bad.
They're saying like, oh, like at first what a guy says, he's like, oh, he's about the same speed as average Lee or some shit like that. And then later he says, oh, he's practically the same speed. And he's like, oh, now he means full speed Lee. I'm like, well, that's an assumption you're making now. You don't know if that's what he means.
No, that's bullshit. Yeah, that's an no. All he says verbatim, and for arguing semantics, which is annoying, but he says that's practically the same speed as Lee without weights. That's what he says verbatim.
Literally.
Okay, and if you analyze the word practically and look it up on fucking Google, that means either close or almost or whatever, blah, blah. So meaning he's not even equal to weightlessly. Okay. And here's a problem with that. And I do remember this, and this is actually a good way D1 went about it. D1 eventually says this example, but you got to be careful with the word close too, because there could be the close of where like you're almost right there, right, to being equal. So meaning get bare minimum your relative, or there's the close to where, oh, you could say, oh yeah, I'm close to the location where I need to be, but I'm still like an hour away, right? Or 30 minutes away. You know what I mean? Like type things like that. So you got to kind of like that's where it gets arbitrary or contentious, because when a guy is saying close, like he doesn't like even further explain like how close, right? You know what I mean? He's not even saying like, oh, he's like right fucking there, or he's still like away, but he's getting close in like a regard to approaching. You get what I'm saying? Like there's many ways this can be perceived, and just like what Jay said, that's an assumption. So no matter what, we have to go off with what is said in the words, and that's it. And that's all you can really do. So I agree with you.
It's definitely it's interpretive. But
over that, I think that matters. Yeah,
that lead statement doesn't matter.
And unless you can substantiate whether if it's feats or other statements, it doesn't matter.
High speed body,
exactly.
And Lee took years in order to master that. It does not mean that Sasuke and Lee are the same speed.
Why would he be impressed by it?
He's just saying, he's impressed about that.
Now he's changing his claim, saying it's the same speed, bro.
Okay, not the same speed as Lee.
Noodles has to pick a claim, man.
Like for example, Minato took it years to master the fucking Rasengan, but it took Naruto like months.
I get what you're saying.
I'm not. Listen, but it does not mean that Naruto's Rasengan performs the same level at which Minato's does. That's what I'm saying here with Lee. He's just impressed about how quick Sasuke can catch on of things. It's not
D1. If it's not the same speed, why do they perform the same feat?
They don't perform the same feats.
They both blitz around in the
you
circle.
You can perform the
guard,
same feats, but not be as fast. So what?
The same speed.
That doesn't mean that it's the same feat. Just
remember the fucking preliminary shooting exam where Sasuke literally copies Lee's movement, but he was nowhere even fast as weighted Lee? Yeah, that's not true. All because you do the same movement doesn't mean you're as fast.
Yeah, that's not a good reputation. Yeah,
that's fucking horrible, Noodles.
But they do like the same thing on panel, like side by side.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's
showing that Sasuke is using the same taijutsu. It does not mean that he's doing it at the same speed.
Yeah, no, he was bitching about it. I'm sorry.
The same speed, and he's using practically the same speed, and he's using the same taijutsu.
Yeah, and we already went over the statement.
Let's pause too, Jay. My bad. Another thing D1 said really good right there too. Was the Rasengan comparison example, because Noodles argued, fucking Sasuke, you know, like with the same where like it took him a month to get the speed, but for Lee it took years, so therefore they have to be the same speed. And then D1 said like, well, it fucking took Minato years to create the Rasengan, and Naruto mastered it in a fucking couple weeks or a week or whatever. So does that mean now they're performing the Rasengan on the same level? No. And he said that too, and that's a good way of looking at it, because that is true. You know? All because Naruto mastered it way quicker or developed it way quicker doesn't mean it's performing in the same level as Minato. You know?
Yeah, no, that's a good analogy.
Contradicts your idea about them being the same speed.
Hold on, listen. If they're practically the same speed, though, I think that establishes relativity between them, because if they're performing the same feats, if they're practically the same speed, what do you think relative means?
I don't think they're relative.
Now the claim is they're relative. Okay, here we go.
Okay, they say that they're practically the same in speed.
And once again, I already told you that there's contradictions with that.
There isn't. You just brought up a statement from Guy that happens earlier in the fight where he initially sees Sasuke.
No,
and then
that's
later
not the contradiction I have.
That's not a contradiction though at all.
That's
just
not
Guy changing his. That's just Guy's opinion furthering the more he saw Sasuke.
I said that's not the only contradiction that I have.
But it's not a contradiction at all, though.
It is a contradiction.
But it's just Guy. Why is it in contradiction?
But see, D1 was going to show their information or statements and feeds, but of course, Noodles just keeps going on this thing.
Maintain a speed in such a short amount of time, whereas he's saying, "Oh shit, he's shocked." But in reality, that's not how what he actually thinks.
He starts off saying that he's practically the average. At first, he says that he's the average speed of Lee, but then he like furthers that statement later. And it's like, wow, now Sasuke's practically the same speed overall. So it's like it's not just now.
No, it is overall. He says without weights.
Yeah,
without his weights.
Now he thinks that Sasuke has gotten to the point where he's like equal to weightlessly in its entirety.
It just can't track.
It just goes to show that the Sharingan does have the capacity to copy someone to a pretty ludicrous degree.
Obviously, what?
I think
what?
That also
That's
his
question.
Training for the Chidori probably played a factor as well. Are you aware that the Chidori like increases your speed? Like your travel speed and combat speed?
Yeah, okay, so running,
he agreed to that,
but you can only move in a straight line, literally, and it's easy to counter the Chidori. It's literally
easy. Not easy. It's not easy.
It's stated. It's literally stated.
From who?
It's stated by Lee itself, and it's stated multiple times in the fucking
when does Lee state that?
In a Naruto series that a beeline attack is easy to counter.
You can say that.
So it's the whole emphasis of why he needs a two-tomo Sharingan.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy to counter.
Kakashi was getting easily dealt with. Fucking Naruto can clash with Sasuke. Yada yada. So yeah, that's true.
In what regard is that easy?
Meaning that it's easy to predict because you're moving in a single foul line. You're not doing any type of diversion or anything that can.
I know, but what does easy mean in this case? What is easy? That's like a relative term.
Easy. Do you not know the definition of what easy means?
I'm just saying it's relative. Do you know what easy is? It can be easy to cook a pizza. It can be easy to build a bomb. It depends on what you mean.
So when I say easy, 9 times out of 10 people counter those type of attacks when they're moving in a fucking straight single file line.
So this is just like this arbitrary 9 times out of 10 it's easy to counter thing. Like that's
it's not
what you
arbitrary.
Think
we literally see this thing multiple times in Naruto, and it's stated multiple times in the series as well.
No, I think it takes like a shinobi that has like crazy good capacity with ninjutsu to counter something like the Chidori. That's why Sasuke and Kakashi are so
not Naruto and not with Kakashi.
Running at people. Like,
hold on, wait.
So, Naruto just runs with a Rasengan. What you mean?
He literally has to grab people and literally hold them down in order for him to hit them with Chidori. Like in the Zabuza example,
bro?
In the Zabuza example, he literally had dogs literally fucking holding fucking Zabuza.
And what it says I'm using the Zabuza example.
Haku comes out of nowhere and then fucking
what says I'm using that specific part one.
So what other lightning blade example is there?
How about him like tagging the Jinchuriki during their fight? Like he's able.
It's a Shidori stream.
Like V2 Jinchuriki.
That's Hickory. That's Hickory stream.
In part 2,
oh, lightning cable. My bad. Lightning cable.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Sneak up behind fucking Kakuzu and fucking stab him.
I'm not using
and God was all those motherfuckers in base.
The
V2 were that strong.
They utilized diversions in order to hit people with Chidori. If you want to,
that wasn't a diversion with the Jinchuriki though.
With the pain example, he tries to use a diversion as well to hit him with.
If it's so easy to counter, why didn't the 9 Jinchuriki who were like 8v1ing Kakashi and Guy, 8v2ing Kakashi and Guy?
Pause this real quick. So far, from what I'm hearing, D1 is trying to say, like, so he agreed that the Chidori does make you faster, but then he says as a refutation, but it's easy to deal with whatever, so therefore, like, the speed and whatever would be, like, irrelevant, basically. And here's what I think where Noodles is going wrong. If Noodles stuck to why the speed is important and to how it can come to a speed blitz, that's the right way to go. Like, you know, like what Jay did with the math equation, etc., you name it, the strongest opponent. Like, if you're going that route and substantiating that route, he could definitely be able to pull it off. But what Noodles is fucking up, he's, instead of going that route, right, he's entertaining what D1 said, where it's very easy to be dealt with, which that is true. It has been stated many times and shown by feats. So he's falling for D1's trap. It's kind of like the reverse Uno card right now.
Yeah.
And he's also citing all those reference points and examples and bringing them all up. And the only thing Noodles has said so far was, oh, but what about the War Arc moment where Kakashi uses a lightning cable against the V2 Jinchuriki? So he brings up one moment, and it's technically a false equivalence at the same time. But even though D1 didn't really say the false equivalent, but I'm just saying. But the bottom line is that's one moment compared to the abundance of consistency that D1 has just mentioned when the feats in the statements. It's stated several times. It could be easy to avoid and counter. That was the whole reason why Minato told Kakashi stop using that fucking technique. You know what I mean? Then there's the joning examples with Kakashi. Even when he has the Sharingan, there's that as well. Then you have Naruto with his Rasengan with Sasuke. Like, there's so many fucking things. Then you have the Gaara shit. You know, like, so overall, like, he brought up all the examples with the dogs. So Kakashi doing that with the mud wall against Pain. He brings up the Sasuke, what he did the Final Valley against Naruto. He had the CM1 amp and how to do ninjutsu combos, then taijutsu, and then grab him and then do a Chidori, because he literally wasted a Chidori clashing it with Naruto's Rasengan. You know what I mean? So from everything that I've heard so far, it's more in favor for D1 at least putting out to why Chidori would be useless. But again, that's because Noodles is entertaining that aspect and not explaining why the speed aspect is important. You know, at least so far from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, he could have approached it differently. Used maybe my argument. Exactly. What's funny is when I debated D1 on this, when he was on the call show, it was the same topic, and I brought that up, and he had a harder time like refuting that than this.
He didn't even bring up the avoid thing or nothing with you at all. He was just trying to contest you with the speed, you know?
Yeah, and I think at the end, like, shout out to D1, I think I got him in the end. Like, you couldn't really refute it, but like when I got him was where he said like, oh, isn't it true that when people are drunk they're less predictable? I'm like, no, they're not.
When they're drunk they're idiots and and like,
that's why I got him. I got him there with that because he couldn't really like dig his way out of that, but Noodles isn't approaching it that way.
Yeah, no, he's not, and it's actually looking more logically and more rationally in favor for. That's all I'm getting at, basically. Because everything he's saying did technically happen and was stated, and he's bringing up all the multiple examples. And instead of Noodles attacking those examples as well, or trying to say why they don't matter or this and that, he's not even doing that. He's just letting it go, and then just saying, "Oh, but what about the War Arc moment?" So the problem is you can't say one War Arc moment. And then while D1 is saying multiple consistency of why it's irrelevant, blah blah. So he's not going about this the right way. He should have stuck on the speed, not the fucking Chidori is easy to avoid or dodge.
Yeah,
that's
he should have stuck to the specific case. He and starting
to what do you mean counter? They're not even in control of their own bodies.
But they're fast as fuck still, and they're blitzing Casey and Naruto and Killer B and beating the fuck out of them.
They're not in control of their own bodies. We already
and they're
know
still able to beat the fuck out of people. They're still fast as fuck. That
doesn't contradict my argument at all.
It does. It shows that it's not that easy to counter.
I listed out multiple examples.
And base guy, let's fight. Come on, you know what I mean? Like base guy, come
on. He just happened to do that in those instances.
Base guy is KCM level or Killer B.
Straight attack. That will not be necessary here. But in 9 out of 10 of the examples that I listed, there are diversions literally being made for the Chidori to fucking hit people.
If it's so easy to counter, why did the Raikage get hit by it when Sasuke hit it?
Hachi did it.
Hold on, real quick.
He didn't get hit.
He did get hit. He got tagged. Why was he bleeding? Why was he bleeding?
He literally fucking
Why was he bleeding?
Pick fucking Sasuke up and
Sasuke ducked under his punch and then hit him.
No, Noodles right on that. He did hit him.
He did.
I'll give you that.
He was bleeding. He was bleeding.
Sasuke tries to thrust him and it didn't work. It didn't work. He tries to thrust him
because of his durability, not because of speed.
Oh, because
he's right about that.
Oh,
yeah, because he tanked it. He withstood it.
And that
still
was a diversion. It wasn't a beeline attack because he literally
it wasn't a diversion. They were running straight at each other.
Trying to thrust him.
They literally ran and attacked each other. Listen, bro, you're assuming there needs.
I agree with Noodles on that one. There was no diversion being made there. It was just straight.
Yeah, 9
out of 10.
9 times out of 10 arbitrary. Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the reason why Sasuke landed the attack though was because of the precog. Like if he didn't have the shotting gun, then they both would have just hit each other at the same fucking time.
Yeah,
like, that's what it would have been. It would have been Sasuke Chidori hitting the elbow. The Raikage's elbow attack. And that's what would have happened. And then it would have just been like a Rising on a Chidori clash in a sense. But because he had the precog and it emphasizes that in the manga and the anime, he sees it, so then he can see it, duck, and hit. So
literally, he's right about that. But yeah, it's.
You agree Sasuke's speed is being increased to some unknown degree with the Chidori. You agree the Sharingan is enhancing his combat speed and reaction speed.
Compare that fucking Sasuke's reaction is greater than Lee's. You still have yet to give an argument for that.
All I have to say is that he's equal in Lee's speed in base, and now all of a sudden, they both get vaguely amped by the gates, the Sharingan and the Chidori, and Sasuke is now just the same level as Lee in a scaling chain.
He
has
more
jutsu.
No, he's not. He's not.
They're both vaguely above their bases.
Noodles, you're just making claims, but you haven't given a single argument to why these things are the case. When I'm actually,
so I didn't argue that Lee and Sasuke are practically the same speed in base.
Hold on, wait. Yeah, we went over that, and I already gave my.
So I did give an argument.
I literally saying, hold on, wait. I'm about to explain. If you let me finish, I allow you to finish. I already keep cutting me off.
Finish, bro. Finish.
So when I say an argument, obviously you're providing some type of justification that proves that what you're claiming to be the case is right. So when you make the claim, well, there's a statement that guy literally says, that they're practically the same speed, so they're relative. What I'm saying is I disagree with that statement, and I already gave my contention with that statement where you say that practically means that they're relative, where I'm saying that no, they're not relatives in terms of speed, and then you're claiming that the Sharingan gives him some type of fucking time frame at which he can literally precog attacks and gives him a big time frame to punch and kick or whatever react to somebody. Why is that greatest? Why is that greater than Lee reaction? But even if we was to say
what I mentioned about I was going
reaction speed I think now they're kind of concluding, but
there are two different types of speeds.
I get that there's two different types of speeds, but in functionality, it's like there's not really much of a difference in combat speed. All I need to prove is that in travel speed and combat speed, they're practically the same in base. Because you said that they have to be close in speed, and then you also agree that they're almost the same speed. So it's no different. You're just agreeing that they're. Yeah, you did. You verbatim said that they have to be close in speed in order to be relative, which is literally what's said. They're said to be practically the same speed, so they're relative.
No, that's not what I said. So
that is verbatim what you said.
They
are cap about it, but that is what you said.
There's multiple contradictions that literally showcase this, and I already gave you my argument about the guy's statement.
That didn't show this.
The guy's statement could just be some type of shocking statement, whereas he's stating that.
D1, I have the consistency on my side.
You don't have any consistency. Everything that you have claimed thus far has got the bump.
No, it hasn't. We've been going over this whole argument about like. We can go over your scaling in just a second, but hold on.
Okay.
Let's finish this point real quick, and then we can go on to yours. Anyway, so like
that never happens.
What I was saying was that we're arguing whether or not they're relative in base. We show a scan that says they're practically the same speed. You said that practically means that they're close. All that we need to say that
I didn't say close.
No, they're almost, right? Almost was the specific word.
I said practically means about. I never just said that it means close.
Okay, so do you think if someone's almost the same speed, they're close?
No.
What do you think that means then?
Almost is saying that they're getting there. It doesn't mean that it's close.
almost does not mean that they're getting there.
Yeah,
Almost
so
means
if I
they're
say,
pretty close.
hold on, wait. So if I
I
say
mean,
I'm
almost
almost
is
at
similar to close.
Subway,
It's a
but I'm
synonym.
fucking 30
Yeah.
minutes away from the fucking Subway, does that mean that does that not entail that I'm getting closer to the Subway?
Hey, D1,
you wouldn't be
the
almost there
definition
then,
of
though.
Very nearly.
Okay, we just went over that.
It's
literally.
very near. As
Yeah,
in
no,
close.
almost does mean
Very
close.
near
pretty
is very
much, but-
subjective.
Yeah, practically
Okay,
is
so
like
it's close.
very nearly,
So
nearly
your
almost.
definition, your definition is that they're close. If they're very near, they're close, bro.
No, that's very subjective.
That's what
Almost
Guy
is a
says too.
subjective
So
term.
they're all
Subjective,
close.
Yeah, and I
dude.
already gave my argument with the guy.
And they're performing the
I
same
think what
feats,
D1's
literally the
trying
same
is
feats.
what he's trying to say there is like if like let's say I'm going like a Burger King or whatever, and I'm like practically there or close or whatever the fuck right we want to say, right?
Yeah.
Like there could be to where like you could say that like when you're like either 5 minutes or a minute away, or if you're like 20 minutes away, you know. Like there could be a difference in like the quantification of how close you are. I think that's what he's getting at. And that is technically would be true. But
yeah, general, yeah.
They're performing the same feat. You said because they're showing this fucking after images and they're performing the same taijutsu, that means that they're doing it at the same level, which I disagree with in the first place. They're not performing at the same level.
I think they are, because Guy says they are.
I don't think they are at all.
Guy says they are, so
they're not equal.
No,
they're not equal.
I'll just close off on the scaling. So, like, in essence, Sasuke has ninjutsu, he has genjutsu, and he has the same skill as Lee in taijutsu, and he's the same speed as Lee. They both have the same scaling chain and speed. The gates vaguely increase Lee's speed to some
No, he didn't get the speed shit. He didn't get the speed shit though.
Vaguely increase.
And he also didn't explain.
Yeah, he says the gates are vague. They're not vague. There's literally like multipliers for him, but
yeah, no, they're fucking drastic fucking amps. That's bullshit. But he's over here, right, bro. I'm gonna be honest with how bad he's doing with Sasuke. Jay could take Lee and slam the fuck out of him.
No, I'll beat him.
Yeah.
Lee.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And mind you, like Sasuke is like in the majority of what people think is like the W stands to, and so on and so forth, or like the more advantage. But either way, what's it called? I'm just gonna put this out because what he just said right there is blatantly bullshit. He didn't win the whole speed thing. D1 definitely got that. He got the fucking the Shidori shit. With like whether if it's easy to avoid or counter. He got that very good as well. The only thing Noodles, which D1 agreed to it though, was the overall thing with like, you know, the precog and blah blah.
Yeah.
The efficiency for the precog as well when it changes like that as well. But D1 eventually agreed to that too. So the physical speed, D1 was right on that. And the Noodles agreed to that eventually. So like overall, that's kind of just been like the general consensus of it. But then when he said like all the genjutsu and ninja, all that, the problem with that is Noodles is just making random shotgun claims. Like he never explained the relevance of why that would even matter. Yeah, he didn't explain why that would be a win con or even matter. He had no relevance of evidence substantiation. Where like, I'm sorry, but you could say fucking Kakashi has like all these goddamn thousands of jutsus, right? And whatever, blah blah. But does that mean he's beating Pain? No, right? You know what I mean? Like, or you could say Kakashi has genjutsu, ninjutsu, all this, whatever, blah. But again, does that mean he beats Pain? Obviously, no, for many reasons. So that's also retarded what he just did. Obviously, we'll see what D1 says in response. It's probably just going to get into like hostile territory now. I think they're just both like spouting out whatever the fuck they want to say. But yeah, that's blatantly just not. That's not.
Yeah, no, he's definitely shotgunning now. Like none of this shit was ever substantiated. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sasuke speed to unknown degree, so they end up the same place in the scaling chain. Therefore, Sasuke is just Lee but better in every capacity. There's my argument. There you go.
Okay, so everything that he just said got fucking
in ninjutsu, yeah.
Right, stop.
Yeah.
Oh my bad.
Scuba, yeah. What the fuck, bro? Go ahead.
Yeah,
genjutsu. Sasuke doesn't even have genjutsu in part 1. Like, what the fuck is odd about that too? He never uses genjutsu with a Sharingan.
No, he doesn't really have that skill yet.
Give a graph of what reaction Lee's reaction speeds was to look like. He tried to say that but since they're relative in speed, the functionality of the reaction speed will be the same in battle, which I literally disagree with because there are two different metrics of different speeds. Your fucking reaction speed can be greater than your fucking movement speed, which he literally agrees with and gives no fucking argument for why Sasuke reaction speed will be greater than Lee's. He also talked about how like the statement that practically means very near or very close. I literally said that Guy's statement, right? It could just be a vast statement because he's in shock of how fucking fast Sasuke obtained such speed in a slower form. I mean, in a slower time frame than what Lee did. He Noodles tried to compare that to say, well, since Lee is shocked about how fucking fast he achieved this speed, it means that he's now at the same level at which Lee can move. I said no. Lee is just impressed about the time frame at which Sasuke obtained higher speed. Okay, because they both attain a high speed body, it does not mean that they're doing it at the same level. I gave the example with Minato and Naruto, whereas Minato took a longer time frame to master the fucking Rasengan, whereas Naruto, it took him like 2 months. It does not mean that Naruto's Rasengan is now at the same level at which Minato does because Naruto completed it in a smaller time frame, right? I told him that the Sharingan does not inherently make you physically faster. It just gives you some type of aim dodging material, whereas you can move out of the way before an attack literally happens, which is not actually making you physically faster. But what I told him here is that he would need to compare that why Sasuke will be able to react to Lee in his higher forms of his speed, because every statement that I literally listed are literally statements literally comparing fucking Sasuke to a slower version of fucking Lee, which I literally stated before. He talks about the Chidori. I told him that the Chidori is literally easy to counter, and 9 times out of 10, we literally see throughout the series that people literally counter people Chidori all the time, and that's the reason why fucking people have to.
You didn't cite one though.
By the way,
it's so emphasized. That's why you need the Sharingan.
I was quiet
during your conclusion.
Yeah, but you went way longer.
Because then sometimes your opponents have the same speed. You know what I mean? Either the same or close. That's the problem. Or if they have it, then what are you gonna do, right? You know what I mean? Because Chidori could be a speed amp, but if they're in the same scaling, you're fucked. You know.
In order to land Chidori, because when you
move
moving a beat,
and I gave 2 as well.
Fuck up, you
didn't take 9 out of 10 though, you dumb bitch. You gave 2 and I gave 2, and they were both equal, bitch. They were equal, bitch.
Let me get my fucking conclusion. Ugly ass nigga.
Cry about it, dumbass. Cry about
it.
Keep crying, you dumb motherfucker. Go crash your car again. Go fucking slap
Damn.
you dumb motherfucker.
All right. Let him give us his conclusion.
Say go crash your car.
Keep going.
Anyways, before this fucking ramen noodle eating ass white ass bitch. Who the fuck voted for fucking Donald Trump, you fucking white cracker?
He voted for Donald Trump.
The fuck I was saying, you retard.
You're applying shit to me I didn't do.
Yo, Ice, can you beat him?
Time.
Bro, stop crying.
Let him finish it.
That was funny as shit.
That was fucking funny.
But yours is way fucking longer and tangential. No one gives a
I
fuck.
guess like this, people that are like are annoying or hostile. To be fair, he didn't like this with you.
This shit is
Oh my
funny.
god, it's just on point we're concluding on, not the whole fucking debate. This guy's retarded.
Okay, thank you. So, like I was saying, retard, is that we literally see that people create diversion in order to land Chidori, which goes back to the statement about Lee literally saying that beeline attacks like that are easy to counter, and he needs the eye to see through the counter. That's the reason why
Minato says it, Lee says it.
Literally successfully land the fucking Sharingan, because
she says it
requires some type of perception. Because
Sasuke and Boruto says it.
So when people try to counter that things, they fucking shock with the fucking Chidori, you fucking retard. So, anyways, about what I was fucking saying, you fat neck ass bitch, right? So, literally, why is he still talking?
You're making me laugh, bro. What the fuck you want me to do?
Yo, guys, you can easily server mute this nigga. That's the easiest option.
Oh, shit.
All right, look, Noodles, let's be grown ups here.
Who doesn't hate Noodles?
Thank you. To see through those counters. So, why is Chidori? He still have yet to show me why Chidori is now a great factor in which now he'd be able to fucking beat the fuck out of Lee, which he have yet to compare that to. He's a fucking
he hasn't
retard.
done that. Yeah.
Like I said,
he doesn't. Yeah, he hasn't.
With fucking,
I wish he did. That's what he should have done in response.
That would have been the better approach, but
well, he's almost his average speed, which is a very slow version of Lee, and then it says practically the same speed as Lee without the fucking weights, right? Where I stated that practically means almost to, which is literally a subjective term, and I gave him the example about me being 30 minutes from the subway. Does that mean that I'm not getting close to the subway because I'm almost getting there? So that's the definition I literally gave about almost, saying that he's getting there. So it does not literally entail very close or very near, you fat neck ass bitch. It's a subjective term. So it's subjective to the person who is using it. And I already made a statement about how, like I stated, that guy can just be shocked, and that's the reason why he's making that claim, but in reality is not the case, which he has yet to fucking
that's a good thing to say too, because everybody was shocked.
That is true.
All right, quick today.
Yeah, we're on my family.
And then I'm assuming we're gonna hear. I think the rest is just packing, and then eventually it's new. I think Noodles gives his conclusion. I don't remember, but anyways,
yeah.
So overall, what I'll say on this, I do agree. D1 got all the most important points and all the main things. But here's the issue, though. So like Noodles' scaling didn't go through, or his win cons. But so D1 was good on that because he defended very well. And then Noodles just fucked up on how to engage what he said. Because again, as we said before, what Noodles should have done is said he should have been like, "Oh wait, hey, hang on.
The avoiding Chidori, whatever, that's a whole other thing. Let me explain why Chidori is a win con and how it allows him to speed blitz, okay? Yeah. Or show why with Chidori, why he would scale higher. That's what he should have said. And then after arguing for that, okay, of why it would be a speed blitz or a win con or why it would make him scale higher than Lee, then he should have went to the is Chidori easy to deal with, whatever, blah, blah, because that only matters if you're actually scaled to your opponent, if you're equal or actually relative to your opponent. That is when Chidori is a problem and why it can be so easy to counter, or you need diversions or this and that and yada yada, right? Yeah, exactly. It's only when your opponent still scales to you. You know what I mean? But if you can argue that the Chidori speed amp is high enough to get you over, then all of that's fucking irrelevant. That goes out the window. You don't even have to talk about it being easy to avoid. You know what I mean? So that's where he went wrong, you know?
Yeah. And the arguments exist, like the one I used myself. Yeah. Like, if we could have used that. I mean, I know Noodle steals my...
Like, Gar bled. He bled, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you could go about it in so many really good, you know? So, that's the problem. He didn't... Yeah, he fucked up on that. He fucked
Noodles has stolen my arguments before, like when he debated Swakage. He used my argument where Itachi against Nagato. I used that book before. So I'm surprised he didn't steal my other argument. You probably haven't heard it, but
the speed argument for Sasuke that you have, and then in correlation and substantiation with everything else you say too.
Yeah.
Again, that's where he fucked up. So if he was just able to argue very simply why Chidori is a win con and how it puts him above in scaling, that it's not even relevant to even talk about the Chidori being avoided, because that only matters if you scale to your opponent.
Yeah, like my force argument, you can actually get him above fifth gately if you use that argument, but he didn't even use that shit. So yeah, I think overall, Noodles won some points, but not the important ones. Like the Chidori one, that was probably the most important, and he lost that one. He started bullshit. Yep. He started bullshit that the gates are vague as far as amplifying. No, they're not.
I wish D1 attacked that too. I wish because that's so bullshit.
That's bullshit. He's like, bro, the Chidori
gates are Jay, the gates are so cracked. Okay, because remind you, Chidori's great, Chidori's insane, gates are insane. Like, we're not gonna sit here and say it's fucking. So here's bullshit. The problem. The gates are so crazy. When Lee activated the fourth gate, okay, and he took a single step, he destroyed the entire stadium. Everything blew the fuck up.
He was too fucking powerful, and
he was
D1 could have been more dominant if he wanted to. Noodles saying dumb shit.
People couldn't even track him, dude. Everybody couldn't even see him. Kakashi had to take out his 3 Tomo. You know what I mean? Because
just to track him, literally.
Just to track him more better and properly. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, he probably couldn't track him without. I think that's stupid. But you get what I'm saying. Just to track him more efficiently and effectively, that's a big deal. Still, the fact that Kakashi is whipping out a 3 Tomo, you know what I mean? And he's over here sweating. He's like, oh my god, what the fuck? And he even got super serious with Guy. He's like, I can't believe you taught him the fucking gates. That is really some crazy shit to teach someone. You know what I mean? It's no joke, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So, there's just so many ways to go about it where it's blatantly insane amps for the gates. Bro, the first gate alone, shown consistency-wise, allows Lee to speed blitz 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, literally.
And the only person he couldn't speed blitz was Kim Marb. That's because he's built different. You know, fucking... Else. You know, but here's another impressive thing, and people overlook this too. When Lee was fighting Kimura or whatever, he let a couple blows in the anime only, and then the manga, if you just take the manga, then he didn't let any blows, but he was at least still scaling to him. He landed 1 blow in the manga, technically, but that was to save Naruto. But either way, he landed blows in the manga and anime, and overall, he was going to lose, right? But then he does the drunken fist, right? And he's actually beating the fuck out of Kimura. So he's beating him up, whatever, and then Kimura had to use partial curse mark and basically amp his jutsu activation, his bone shit, in order to shit on Drunken Lee. And then he has to do the same exact thing to gate 1 Lee. Okay? So clearly that would definitely be a pretty big fucking amp, right? Because he never ever had to resort to using the curse mark or to activate his bones like a Susanoo, basically, right? You know, he never had to use his jutsu to defend himself. He was just reacting with his body or just taijutsu. You know what I mean? So, clearly there's a big difference. And we know jutsu activation's a big deal because when he was fighting QB Naruto, he was over here like releasing bones all over his fucking body and stabbing them all, you name it, the whole nine, right? So he could still do the bones out of his body to counter Drunken Lee or to counter Weightless Lee, but yet fucking what's it called? He couldn't do that. He was still getting bitched and shit on. Lee was just too he was fast, right? So
too fast.
So the fact that Lee was too fast with the Drunken and he couldn't stick his bones out with no curse mark. I'm talking about no curse mark. The fact that he couldn't do that, which is basically the bones are basically a Susanoo, okay? He couldn't do that. He had to use the curse mark, and then he could speed blitz Lee now. That's more further precedence that the gates definitely are a good amp. You know what I mean? It's very dishonest to just sit here and be like, "Oh, the gates are shit," or like it's just so dumb. You know what I mean? Like it's very.
D1 easily could have debunked that. Like, oh, they're vague. I'm like, it's literally stated what the multiplier is, retard. But
exactly.
Yeah, he definitely approached it the wrong way.
Isn't it dozens of times, Jay? The statement? Yeah.
Yeah, literally. Like fucking the multiplier is insane. It's like
and Kakashi says you get the power of an Hokage if you release all 8.
Literally, you can become Hokage level. Like, dude.
And then it should put in. It's like then it's stated at least for Guy because we learned that like the 8 gates vary from person to person. It's different, right? And Shippuden, you get the power of the Gokage, but 10 times greater than the Hokage.
Yeah, he's like greater than all Hokage in the world and shit. Like it's fucking
and 10 times, not like just greater. No, like 10 times greater. That's
like 6
insane.
Yeah, he's like 6 past level. Fucking D1 could have been more dominant. Noodles could have won. They both could. Like D1 won overall. D1 could have been more dominant though. Noodles could have won with the right argument. To Chidori. It was close, relatively close, kinda, but D1 won the major argument at the end of the day.
Yeah. So like D1 won overall, but again, where it stems back to this, and I'm pretty sure you would agree with this too, Jay. Like since D1 didn't get to present his scaling, it still gets nowhere technically. Like technically, no one won the debate overall because it didn't finish, but D1 did win what they did debate in this video. You know?
He definitely won the main points, and I think.
I mean, right now, I would beat the fuck out of you. You fucking shrimp neck bitch. I've seen what you look like, you ugly motherfucker.
You should ignore me because Noodles' mic is way louder, bro. It's not fair.
What the fuck? Let's see.
Show us fucking ass.
You ain't got shit, motherfucker. Yeah, I'll show my ass cheeks. I'll put my ass cheeks on your fucking face.
You show ass cheeks this minors.
You're the one who's bitching, bitch. You don't actually have a fucking argument for why this is the case.
It's not wrong. He did show his ass on Discord to minors.
You don't have a fucking argument. You can't just say that it's not stated, therefore an argument. You have to have it stated in the manga, dumbass. If it's not stated, why the fuck would I say
on Discord? He actually showed his ass
to Discord.
It's fucking pathetic, dude.
It's not something you can just deposit without evidence. I dismiss it via Hitchens razor. It's not a possibility.
I think this is all talking.
Yeah, I want to hear like what
listen to it. You can't hear D1. It's not fair.
Yeah, I can barely hear him. Let me see.
Give some clue, you dumb motherfucker! You fucking loose asshole, bitch! Go get fucked in the ass some more!
Why does Noodles always say gay shit like that? Look at the gay shit he says right
here.
He's
gay! You dumb motherfucker! You fucking loose asshole, bitch! Go get fucked in the ass some more!
Is that what you fucking fantasize, Noodles, about your girl like fucking pegging you, bro? That's all you talk about is like gay shit, bro.
He's so gay, bro.
Like, what kind of gay shit does the man of the house have you doing, bro? That's the question.
Hey, title of the video: D1 slam Noodles.
Like he starts bringing up gay shit.
Witness D1 slamming Noodles in this bitch. At the end of the day, you want to know what's sad? Like obviously it's an exaggeration, but what's called. But either way, like the fact that D1 won this shit, like again, just further proves Noodles, you don't win all your debates.
No,
you can
bro,
act like you do, but
you're not built that way. You're even too fearful to come see me now. Like you're a fucking pussy,
I wonder why he don't debate part 1, Jay. I wonder why.
You lost this shit, bro. You like started deteriorating, like, bro. He's too scared to even come see us now. Like you're a fucking pussy, bro. You can't even talk to me like that because you'd get fucking slammed again, like I did last time.
And mind you, Jay doesn't even know D1, and he's already admitted several times when he'll agree with you, whatever. He's unbiased. And he's even admitted when you've won debates. So again, the fact that he said it, because mind you, for me personally, I'll look for every fucking reason to really put you down in the grave. But I'll try to be unbiased. But I'm gonna be real with you. I just don't fucking like you. So if I can advocate for the person, I definitely will. But Jay is not even like that. He will always be objective as possible. And he still said you fucking lost. You suck.
You fucking ass,
you fucking suck.
Fucking doo-doo ass. Like, and you talking shit about gay shit at the end. Like, bro, just come out already, dude. Like,
and loud miking.
Like you come to my that shit ain't happening, dude. I'm gonna fucking son you again. Have you crying again? Yeah. Like, oh, I'm making dinner. I can't talk right now. That's the last thing you said to me. You're a fucking pussy, bro.
Go get fucked in the ass some more.
Look at this gay shit that he's saying, bro.
Go vote for Kamala. See how much that is. That'll get you. Go vote for Kamala again. You and all you libtards can catch some more.
Oh my! What the fuck is this retard saying? What's fucking wrong with you, bro? When did politics going to become a part of it?
Maybe we should listen to all of it before just to hear how retarded.
I'll rub your fucking face in the carpet. You want to interrupt the dialectic? You probably shouldn't have. The Spurs king won the Spurs dog shit. You don't have nothing. You don't have nothing for me. I'm better than you as a man.
This man's fucking shit.
Do you hear what he's
saying? You're
not
good at roasting. You fucking. For one, we can't hear D1, so that's why you're acting like this. And two, everybody slams you in the roasting.
Like, bro, you cannot roast. He's like, I could tell. He's trying to steal my stuff.
It's Metro Boomin trying to join the diss shit to Drake. It's like, bitch, you can't fucking rap.
Yeah, bro, you cannot. He's like trying to steal my style with the shit he's saying. He's like, oh, I'm a better man than you. I'm like, don't steal my roast, buddy. Don't steal my roast.
Everything. You can't do shit to me.
He's literally, dude, this is the shit I was saying to him. Noodles, if you need lessons, because I see you copying me all the time. You use my arguments. You use my roasts. Like, you're trying to Sharingan my material. If you need help, buddy, just reach out. Reach out. I'll give you lessons.
He's like, oh my god, Minato. Fuck, he's so strong. Or wow, Lee, he's so strong in part 1. Oh, let me copy him.
Yeah, like, dude, if you need lessons, man, just reach out. If you need the flaming lessons, you need women lessons, because I know you can't pull for shit. You get cucked by your wife. Apparently, you're married to the man of the house now. Congratulations. If you need help with any of that, let me know, buddy. I know your life's pathetic enough.
A roasting session from Jay.
I see you stealing all my shit. Like, you're trying to steal my arguments with the swag debate. You're trying to steal my roast here. Like, dude, just reach out. Reach out. I'm right here, man.
Oh my god.
I'll help you out, man. I'll give you a little pat on the back, man.
Out in front of me right now, I would beat the fuck out of you.
Look at that. I'd beat the fuck out of you. Come on, man.
Neck, bitch. I've seen what you look like, you ugly motherfucker. You bald bitch.
Show us fucking ass.
You ain't got shit, motherfucker. Yeah.
You will with the ass cheek
shit. Stop my ass cheeks. I'll put my ass cheeks on your fucking face. I'll
fucking nasty, dude.
I'll use you as toilet paper. I'll flush you down the fucking toilet into the sewer where you belong, you dumb motherfucker. How's my ass taste? Oh, you're gonna be a fall when I'm done with you. You're gonna get fucked up, motherfucker.
He's always saying gay shit though. Like, that doesn't hit, Noodles.
So gay.
That doesn't hit.
Like, so fucking incomparable to me.
He wants to hear that, dude.
And you're not even gonna be a bacteria. You're gonna be a subatomic particle.
That doesn't Noodles. That doesn't hit.
That was so lame.
That was so ass. Oh, you
spoke like Jimmy Neutron, bro. Got a blast.
Did you just have a brain blast, retard? Like, what was that dumbass shit that you just said? Like,
oh my god,
subatomic particle. What the fuck? Nah, man. You need lessons, buddy. You need lessons on how to roast, man. You cannot roast for shit. Like, if you're not stealing material from me or D1 or somebody, like, you can't roast, dude. That's not your forte. Like, man.
Hey, we gotta admit though, we gotta give credit when it's due though. And you even shouted out D1 when you guys had your pseudo debate and whatnot, or discussion, however you want to call that. Fucking like literally, like you even said like D1's pretty good, like how he can do things and like how he articulates whatever, blah blah. Like again, shout out to D1. He's blatantly, obviously, in this video, just he's way better than Noodles.
No,
way
he's
better,
in the trenches,
bro.
man. Yeah, D1's always in the trenches. Like, he's definitely he took it in this one. He's out roasting fucking Noodles here. Noodles saying gay shit and like cringy ass dumb shit. Like, come on, man. Like,
and I will say this, like, because they did go back and forth, you know, in a sense. But what's it called? But if Noodles, like, if he went about it the right way, then he could have had a chance.
He
like,
could have won.
Maybe you know, But either way, like D1, this again just goes to show that he's just way more competent. When it comes down to it, he's competent. You know.
Yeah, he knows how to, like, even if he is like perhaps losing, he knows how to dig his way out. So like.
Yeah.
You're gonna be a quark when I'm finished with you.
Dude, who says that? You're gonna be a quark? Dude, you're retarded, man. Stop with the fucking chemistry shit. That doesn't hit,
it's not
dude.
funny.
It's not funny.
If you want to roast, you gotta be calling them all kinds of hilarious shit. Like you gotta be like, oh, hey, dude, do the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse dance, looking like Goofy, you know, hot dog, like, you know what I mean? Like you gotta say some like hilarious shit, or Mike Wazowski looking ass, one eye, like you gotta be saying things, bro. Forky from Toy Story, like, bro, you're not funny, bro.
That's not funny. Like, not even I'm criticizing. I'm trying to give you pointers, Noodles. This is not good.
They're at least useful. You're gonna be a fucking neutron.
Dude, really? You're gonna be
like,
a
bro,
neutron?
One of the reasons why like me and D want to like so much on his server is because like we're good in debating whatever blah, but fucking we're really funny, and when we roast or whatever, we're pretty fucking funny. Like I literally I've had Gios or D1 crying because of like how much I make them laugh and shit. So like and everybody else be laughing too. Like but Noodles, you don't have that spark.
Roast for shit. Like I'm trying to help you out, big boy. Like this is not
charge,
good.
Bitch. You ain't got no heat in this VC.
He's trying to steal my dude. You can't use my rhetoric, buddy. It doesn't hit when you say it. You sound retarded, dude.
What happened? You fucking skinny little
he wrote JTheGreat's words to me when I got bitched.
Like,
let me read the script.
Yeah, like let me go rewatch me getting flamed. Maybe I can learn some pointers. Like, dude, no. It's not. This doesn't hit, man.
This is why you're so dog shit. And everything you do, no one considers you good. They only like you because
let's see.
That's not true. A lot of people think
that's not true at all.
That's why you're never gonna get anywhere.
Yeah, everyone likes D1. Like,
that's your fucking life. And that's all you fucking be. You'll be a Discord troglodyte, bacteria, low life organ.
Dude, that doesn't hit, dude. No one says troglodyte. Like, what the fuck?
That's all you are, bitch. You fucking pussy ass retard. How's my balls taste? How's my balls taste? They taste
really the same old. How's my balls taste? Come on, man. Come
gay, bull. But you even said like I'm gonna rub my ball sack in your face too. Like he's so gay, dude.
Like when I was flinging him, he got desperate and he's like, "Oh, I'm nutting." I'm like, "Bro, what the fuck are you talking about? That's not even a roast. You're just saying gay shit now. That's gay, dude." Like if you roll that way, that's fine, but at least come out.
Bro, if you was saying that shit in high school, middle school, everybody would look at him and be like, "You're a fucking weirdo." They just beat the fuck out of him. I'd be like nobody would laugh, and they would all just be like, "What the fuck?" Like,
he's like, "I'm nutting on you." I'm like, "Bro, you might as well just come out of the closet, buddy."
Go down your throat, pussy.
Bitch, I'll beat the
fuck you, pussy. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Huh? You gonna do something? You gonna do something? You're gonna talk shit over the internet. That's all you do. That's all you're gonna do. You're gonna talk shit over the internet. Have my balls taste.
Yeah,
What's big
for a while, man. Like, we skipped a lot of it.
You don't want this to happen.
That's the other shit.
Your Discord cloud gone.
I told you
all this fucking cloud gremlin bullshit gone. No more.
Like,
it's gone,
bro. They just packed.
Oh my god, dude, this shit is
After
crazy.
D1's conclusion, it just went to nothing but backing.
Like unleash the VC, man, or is that we all done, man?
I wish they asked the voice chat who won though, or if there was a judge too.
It's not gonna be known after this debate.
It should be obvious.
Damn, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Started screaming in this shit.
After that.
All right, anybody? I mean, shit, it's a free fire. I mean, the mics, they can talk now. He's got to leave and drive back.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah,
that's it. Fuck that shit. I don't want to hear that. That's crazy. Yeah, that's fucking dude. That. Noodles, like, don't try to pack no more, man. Just stop that. That's fucking. You're not made for that, man. Not against guys that could actually pack, like, could actually flame. Like, you cannot. You're not good at it, buddy. Like the little dweebs that you like talk shit to. Yeah, maybe you could pack them, but a real one, you're not packing nobody. I'm sorry. You're not built like that, big fella. Really not. That's why you don't want to face me again. Oh, I'm making dinner for my man. Okay, is that your excuse to not get flamed again because you're making dinner for the man? Yeah, to be a cook, buddy. You know? I heard you got engaged, buddy.
Bathroom style, type shit.
Literally, like, buddy, you're not built like that, big fella, at all. Like
he tries to be like a Discord gangster so hard, and it's just so bad. It's so bad. Yeah. And
then when he gets flamed, he gets like fear hacks, like me, Arrow. Like you just can't even come forward no more.
Bro. Like, what's it called? But overall, to conclude, like what was your like? Do you have any last general thoughts? Or I basically said everything I need to say, but you know,
yeah, I'd say it was fairly contentious. Like early on, Noodles was. I mean, it wasn't even relevant to the overall topic, but he was winning the Sharingan amp point. Like he won that. Yeah. But then D1 luckily like brought it back. Like, oh, you haven't proven like that he's better than Lee in tuning exams. And then Noodles started to kind of fall apart. He just couldn't really prove anything. He brought up the Chidori. Then he got disproven.
You can't fucking bring up like 3 Tomo, which has nothing to do with 2 Tomo.
Yeah, like it was a strong start because D1 entertained it. Then he kind of fell apart. D1 took it. The main point he won. The Chidori was the only thing he had. If he could have approached it, he could have won. If he approached it the right way, he didn't. Then D1 properly refuted that. And then Noodle started saying a bunch of dumb shit like, oh, they both have vague amps, so they're equal. Like, no, you didn't prove any of that. You didn't prove I was vague. It's all just bullshit, meaningless like jargon that you're spitting that has no substantiation. So D1 beat you, that simple. And then you had the worst roast I've ever heard. Like I think you're getting worse, to be honest. Like it's pretty bad. Like
I think the age is getting to him. His brain's
his brain is starting to deteriorate. Like god damn, dude. Like all you say is sus shit and just the dumbest, cringiest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Stuff, man.
Like you're not good at it. Stop. Just stop acting that way. That's not you. It's not genuine. Like you're not built that way, buddy. Like just be you. The real you is a cuck, timid, passive little bitch. Just be the real you. Like honestly, people would probably like you more if you were the real little bitch you. We'd all probably like you more, honestly. But it's up to you, man. If you want to keep being a fake tough guy, it's up to you, buddy. Like all I could say is, I hope the Lord's with you, man. That's all I could say. Being a cuck must not be easy, But the debate was good, fairly contentious. Gave credit where credit's due, but D1 won. It became clearer and clearer as the debate went on. Great videos by Six and Virthue. They're the goats. Shout out to Sage. He's that guy. TG. All the guys are legends of this game. We hope you guys enjoyed. We'll definitely have this clipped on both channels. W stream, and we'll see you next time, folks.
Hey, D1 said appreciate it, by the way, 'cause I told him what you said, that you won, and you said he's a good debater and whatnot, blah blah. He said he
for sure. Yeah. D1's a fucking he's chill as fuck. Like besides the debate shit, he's
he
chill as fuck.
has no problems with anybody. Like unless you're being disrespectful or fucking or AK noodles, blah. Like he only gives this energy to people that deserve it. So
yeah, facts. Like D1's actually really chill. Like we've talked to him like even off stream and shit. He's actually pretty fucking chill. So good debater, great debater, chill. He's a pretty chill guy. Like Noodles is a bitch. Like it's that simple. But hope you guys enjoyed. And Noodles, there's a fairly good chance you'll see this. You know where to find me, big fella. I know you're probably scared shitless ever since I sunned you. Probably worse than your girl did, the man of the house. But